Remember, none of this is possible without you. Join the fight and sign up for Mug Club today at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Gain access to an unrivaled catalog of unapologetic and entertaining creators, including the Hodge Twins, Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, and of course, Alex Jones. All that and everything you see today is entirely funded by viewers like you. For $89 annually, join the fight at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub today. And here we are, but we went to the weird screen there. It's okay. It's going to be better than that tonight. It's the debate stream. It's going on right now. Now, most of you don't care because Donald Trump isn't there, but we'll talk about that too. You can use a promo code right now, Crowder GOP debate. You get $10 off right at MugClub, louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub, or use the hashtag Crowder GOP debate. Remember people used to say hashtag?
Not anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but we don't say that anymore. Pound sign. I don't necessarily know what people use, but we'll be live streaming this debate here from Rumble. We actually have a booth right down there in Milwaukee, where Gerald was, which of course means Indian burial ground, Milwaukee, in our native tongue.
Nice.
And any candidates who have the stones to sit down, we'll have. I think we have Vivek semi-confirmed.
Yeah, looks like I think Darren's just going to grab him and walk him over. His feet won't even touch the ground.
Okay.
Light fellow.
Well, great. So if you, by the way, we have the YouTube dump button. So if you see this at any point tonight, that means head on over to Rumble, because we're live streaming on Rumble, which is where you should be anyway. And you just click that button below and you get to join up at Mug Club. So question to you right off the bat, what do you expect? Who do you think will be a front runner? We're going to give you some predictions here tonight, kind of go through what we think are the need to knows. And by that, I mean, none of it is really necessary. None of it's a need to know, and I don't know why you would want to know it, but it pays to be informed. We have G. Morgan Jr. here with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Fresh off a flight from Milwaukee to get back here.
It's a horrible town. I mean, I don't say it from an elitist point of view as far as it being flyover. It's just a very bad place.
It has bad beer lists at a lot of places. I had to go to 4 different spots to get a good beer.
You're not a fan of old Milwaukee or Grain Belt?
No, it all sucked. It was all that kind of stuff, and I was like, I just thought this was Midwestern beer town.
You don't like Iron City Lights? What are you, a Vegas ass?
No, I just can I get a triple or a quad somewhere? I don't know, something.
What is that?
Oh, I should mention that before. First off, of course, you have here today, I guess not third chair, it's like a joint chair. He's like a Siamese twin growing out of my shoulder. A gargoyle, really. Nick, I can't imagine.
I'm excited.
I've almost seen it. Nick DiPaolo, who, by the way, you have his date right there. You can go to
September 15th.
September 15th at Rob's Comedy Playhouse. There's a name. NickDip.com, and his show is live on Mug Club Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. And you're recovering from the vid.
Yes, I'm getting over the vid. Luckily, I scored some, was it?
Ivermectin.
I wouldn't say that.
I thought he was a point guard. But yeah, I scored some ivermectin and some hydroxychloroquine.
Did you use it on yourself?
Got it from an Asian kid in front of the subway back there.
Well, that's before you pushed him on the track.
I feel better already, so I want to thank whoever got that for me.
Yeah, we have no idea they wouldn't be in the studio. So, hey, before we go on we'll be giving our predictions. We were down there. In Milwaukee, and you actually, you set this up for people. We actually got an interview or semi-interview with Vivek already.
Yeah, we did. So Vivek actually had a bus set up. He had a really, really cool setup right there, right in front of Pfizer.
Oh, one thing, sorry, really quickly. First off, Tim, can you put that down in the lower third there, just whatever the stream, so people know that we'll be bringing it up. And there will be a pre-taped interview that Tucker Carlson is uploading to his Twitter, to his X with Donald Trump.
Right.
I think they're airing it as a live stream, but we know it's pre-taped, and we will be covering that as well with the highlights, so you can get it all here in this one place. Sorry, Gerald, to cut you off.
No, you're fine. He actually had a really cool setup with his bus, and his team set up like this exclusive event for everybody. He was the one person who did something cool at this event. All the other candidates just kind of were getting into town, kind of there, and so we had one of our guys go into this. They had the all-access pass courtesy of Rumble. Hey, we didn't give that back. Sorry about that, guys. But
did you say Vivek was cool?
His setup was
like
cool.
He's an Indian Fonzie?
No.
Hey!
He had a lot of really, it was a very nice setup. It was. I would go to it and be like, oh, this is cool. They had a beer garden there. Maybe that's why all the other places had crappy beer. All the good beer was at that place. But we asked him some questions because, you guys want to know what these guys actually think about some of the stuff that Alex Jones was reporting on with COVID and mass elections. And we got up close and personal with him, and he had some good answers.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go. Well, by the way, I guess before that, we should let you know the drinking game rules as we have for every single live debate stream. Bring them up. Drinking game rules.
Boom.
Anytime, and you'll hear this ding, anytime President Trump is mentioned, you drink. Anytime 2020 January 6th is mentioned, ding, you drink. Anytime a moderator cuts off or interrupts a candidate, you drink. Any thug life moment, which I expect to probably most likely will come from Vivek, could be from Ron DeSantis. And then you finish your drink anytime a candidate mentions a Democrat other than Biden.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think it's going to happen a whole lot.
No, yes. What are you talking about?
You think they're going to mention other Democrats?
Yeah.
Like who?
Like Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer.
Why would they mention Gavin Newsom?
Because that's who they're going to be running against.
Yeah, but they're going to be infighting tonight. It's going to be
They're going to be infighting, but the 2020 and Trump's going to just... Are we really going to do that every time they mention Trump or drinking?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
How about every time somebody mentions Chris Christie's lobster bib? How about that? Huh?
Full. What is he going to Gallagher?
Heavy cream dripping out of his
I don't think he needs a bib anymore. They just have an IV drip of heavy cream.
It is heavy cream right into his
It
face.
rises to the top. Hook it to my veins. Let's go to this package that you have from one of our on-the-ground reporters with Vivek earlier, and then that'll lead us into our predictions.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the lockdowns that are coming right now that are reported in the news?
Hell no.
Not going to stand for it?
Hell no.
Hell no?
Yeah.
How about the mail-in voting that's going to come probably after these potential lockdowns?
Single day voting on election day, paper ballots, government-issued ID matching the voter file, period.
I think that's fair.
My deal.
Yeah.
Get that? I'm done complaining.
So the fact that they're foreshadowing these mask mandates and everything going on here?
Well, I first it struck me as a joke.
Alex Jones reported on it a few days ago from a whistleblower.
I literally thought this was satire.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
Good. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I do appreciate, first off, I appreciate the baseball cap, but I also appreciate that he gave a straight answer.
I like the fact he's holding a baby. Nobody know where he got it.
Yeah. I think that's
Nobody's questioning it.
called
I'm telling you, it's
stealing.
his night.
Yes.
No, but look, this was a, for all of the, there's so many people out there who Trump is the only guy they'll ever look at. And I'm like, look, I get it, but there's also got to be somebody next.
Yeah.
If he gets elected, it's going to be for 4 years maximum. Vivek's a guy who comes out and gives you some he said not only no, but hell no.
Right.
He gives you a little bit different answer, and it doesn't take a whole lot to make people go, oh, good, it's authentic.
Yes. Well, here are a couple of things that I want to go through. By the way, we also do have some other packages. You interviewed Carrie Lake down there. We also have Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few on-the-ground packages, again, with people who we will be interviewing. Hit the like button. Toolman, I didn't think you let them know to comment below. And do consider signing up at MugClub. Let's go through the people who are running here, who will be at this debate. You have DeSantis, you have Vivek, you have Nikki Haley, you have Tim Scott, you have Mike Pence, Chris Christie, you have Asa Hutchinson. Asa Hutchinson. William. We'll call him William because every time I read it, I think of it as a woman's name.
Naga.
Then you have Doug Burgum, who is I know he's the governor of North Dakota, but outside of that, no one really cares. But this is what's remarkable here. So what do I think? Here's one thing that I think a lot of other people are missing, and I want to hear from you guys. We'll be reading your chats here today. Everyone talks about Donald Trump not going to this, how that benefits him, right? I understand that. Really, if you're leading by double digits, okay. I understand that. It's sort of a risk he doesn't need to take. On the flip side, this is such an act of God. It is an act of mercy, a miracle for everyone else tonight that Donald Trump isn't there. Think about it for a second. If Donald Trump showed up, the best chance they have is maybe gaining some traction right now in his double-digit lead. They would have had no chance if Donald Trump was there because even if he wasn't winning, he would have burned down the whole ship. Think of the primaries. That's when he was the most, right? It was low energy Bush, small hands Marco, and Ted Cruz, your dad killed JFK. Where were you that day? Where were you? No one could prepare for it. Everyone left with blood on their face. The fact that he isn't there, people act as though Donald Trump is just not taking a risk for himself. Why don't we talk about, no one's talking about how much that benefits all of the other candidates. Is it me?
No.
Great point.
I think you're 100% correct. Like these guys, their only shot is to try to get some traction tonight. And if Donald Trump is there, he sucks all the oxygen out of that place. Like everybody's going to be focused on him. Yeah. You will really have to land some blows. And Donald Trump is so fast on his feet, it's going to be really, really hard for them to do that. So I think you're right. Like it's a blessing for them. But here's the thing. A number of these guys, this may be one and done for them. Like they don't have enough support to make it very far. We'll get into some of the campaign numbers, the
I can
percentages
name 'em right now.
where they stand. They're just terrible. Like, I don't know
Easy
why
with
they're
your
there.
Morgan and Coke. The drinking game's going to have you in the ICU for crying out
I'm
loud.
sorry. I was
Well,
just
he's a
try-
night
I was
guy.
just warming up. I thought somebody said Christie.
What is that?
Yes,
Donuts?
he did. He said it in the mirror 3 times, hoping a campaign would appear.
Delicious. I didn't think I liked Captain Morgan.
Sorry, Gerald. What is you think that it's really going to be Vivek's night, right?
I really do. I think there's going to be a big buzz after this. Everybody's going to be talking about I sent the guy money. I don't
did?
do that.
You sent Donald Trump money or Vivek?
Yeah, I sent Trump money too. Now that I think about it.
Sent both of
Actually,
those
I
guys?
sent Asa Hutchinson about $50 too.
Come on, to drop out of the race?
And who else? Tim Scott. I sent him $1.50. No, I sent $25 to Vivek. I've yet to go. This guy, he's the most articulate, eloquent. Like you said, he's balanced. He's walking that fine line,
Right.
Kind of Trumpian in his, his point.
in his approach. And people
Yeah.
used to like that about Ron DeSantis. When we talked about Ron DeSantis before he declared for
I
president.
like too.
Yeah.
we're like, man,
by the
he-
way, just
he
to be
seemed
clear,
like-
I like Ron
Me too.
DeSantis.
Me
I
too.
like Donald Trump.
too.
I like Vivek. I think he maybe lacks some foreign policy experience. I would vote for any of these people against Biden, with the exception of Chris Christie. I would write in Nick DiPaolo.
I got a vote, by
Joe
the
Lewis?
way, in a presidential election in Minneapolis.
Oh well,
I did.
my dog and Dean Cain got like 16,000.
I'm sorry I
As a
brought
joke.
that up.
Yeah, no, I felt guilty for years.
Jesus.
Think about
That's
that.
bigger
in a
than
swing
one.
state.
Just so
Not
you
a
know.
piss on my parade, fella.
My point is, I may have torpedoed an election with a goof.
You're why we
He
got
really
Whitmer.
believes that.
It was in Michigan, so they'll just find more votes. Here's one thing that I think is pretty important, though, too. A lot of people are saying, okay, who will win against Joe Biden in a general? And right now they're saying, well, Donald Trump, if he's the nominee, he can't win in a general. Well, that's not really necessarily true. Again, some context actually matters, and I think you can bring up these overlays, Matt. We have Collage E1 is where we're going. So Donald Trump, of course, has been leading the primary by at least 20 points.
Yeah.
Okay, in the primary. So it's really hard for them to make up that gap unless there's some kind of a miracle. They're saying that Biden leads Trump in a head-to-head, and that's, by the way, only recently by +1 or +5. Now, keep in mind, up until June, Donald Trump was leading Biden by a couple of points, which was surprising. But let's put this in context. If you actually were to compare Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton at this exact same moment in time, going into that 2016 election, Hillary Clinton was actually leading him by 10.4 points. So not 1 to 5, 10.4. And then if you go into Biden at this exact same point, right in the 2020 polling, he was leading Donald Trump by +12. So a +1 to 5, which is pretty new as a development since June. Just don't let your primary vote be determined by someone telling you what the polls are saying. Because anyone who would be ahead in the polls, I guarantee you the average would have them behind Biden. And it may or may not be true, but it's not by anywhere near the margin as the last elections. It's the best margin that you've seen at this point in time in a campaign in any of Donald Trump's.
Yeah, and it's going to fluctuate a lot based on what's going on in the world, right? So if there seems to be economic progress, which I don't know where they would get that from, but right now Bidenomics is the term. It should be Biden crime family was the term that everybody was throwing around up there. Like this is going to sway people back and forth for a little bit. It's still very, very early. Once we get into March and April and May, like obviously you're going to start to see things shake out considerably by then. So I agree. My main point with Donald Trump was if he can win, I'm voting for him because he's got 4 years and nothing to lose. And day one, he walks into that office and knows what to do. Ron DeSantis, as governor, been fantastic. I've liked a lot of what he's done. But day one, he walks in and he's trying to find out where the pencils are. He's just not. Anybody walking in brand new is going to have a little bit of okay, how do I do this? Where do I go? What do I do? Donald Trump won't, and he's got some scores to settle. I don't want this to turn into like political tit for tat. I don't want to go after and prosecute other opponents just because they prosecuted us. I want to set things
I kind of
straight.
do, though.
I don't because it
Is it just me?
It ends up in a genocide. We don't want that.
The brawl, the better.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
agree.
we're more prepared. We are the party that does have most of the guns, and so if it ever does come to it, we'll be fine. I just want him to go in and go, you know what, FBI, you don't exist anymore. We're putting a under construction sign on you for just a little while, right? And DOJ, we've got some people to clean out there as well. I think he walks in and does that. I don't think Ron DeSantis does.
Yeah, I think you could be right. What about Vivek? What about Flying
Vivek.
V?
The Flying V is hilarious. I don't think foreign policy, in this case, I don't think his foreign policy issues are going to be bad. Donald Trump didn't have a lot of foreign policy awareness at the time. He had business interactions.
But the Taiwan-China
nationally.
thing has evolved since then, and it's getting ugly. And Vivek made a nice statement today about Something about wiping off the earth. Did I get them?
Well,
No, he was going to arm them.
Yeah, he was saying he was going to arm
And of course,
Taiwan.
CNN girl was,
Yeah. Of
You
course.
really mean that?
Oh, yeah, the chick with the hairy forearms.
Yeah.
Oh, Caitlin Collins.
Which one?
I don't know. The one who has the eyebrows like Michael
He destroyed
Keaton.
her, by the way. He absolutely destroyed her. in that
Caitlin
interview.
Collins.
Yeah, can you bring up the Caitlin Collins? She has eyebrows like Michael Keaton.
Oh, she's gotten better. They've brushed her up a little bit since the town hall with Trump.
What they do, shave her?
Waxing, I do believe, is the term, Nick. Waxing.
She's like Birdman.
napalm.
Yes. No, so Vivek, too, he's gotten some flack for posting, oh, he's a 9/11 truther. Again, if you look at his answers to the questions, he never said that 9/11 was an inside job. He said that we were lied to by the commission report. He said that we were lied to in the sense that we were told that the Saudis weren't involved with it at all. Isn't it kind of crazy? Because I don't know if you remember this, but there was a man, I believe his name, Michael Moore, and he did a whole film about that, and it was a badge of honor to not believe the George W. Bush government narrative on
right.
9/11. And now they're the ones attacking any Republican nominee
Great point.
as though they're a crazy conspiracy theorist. This is why I say when they say, oh, Donald Trump is so bombastic, they're going to make any candidate out who's the nominee to be dumb or evil. Period. It doesn't matter what you do. Now they're flopping on the 9/11 issue. It was the biggest, I think, the highest grossing documentary of all time up until that point, Fahrenheit 9/11. Someone can fact check me on it. And Michael Moore's a dick. He looks like Walter White transitioning. No one likes him. But he was the guy championing their cause. And now Vivek just saying, hey, you know what? We were lied to about the Saudis. And so I'm saying that this is a reason to distrust the government. They want you to believe he's a crazy conspiracy theorist. Also a crazy conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones, who was right about more rollbacks and masks.
He
right?
should be up there in the
Lockdowns, yeah.
debates tonight.
I know. Yeah, I would. Boy, would I pay money.
Or
for that.
even a moderator.
Yeah, moderator.
And we've got about 3 minutes until Trump and
And Tucker.
Tucker. Thank you very much. I lost his name for some reason.
You're
Trump
tired.
and
You've been
Tucker
up since,
so do you maybe get to some reasons why Mr. Donald?
Yes, that's
President
right. Again, the
Donald Trump
promo
is not
code
here?
is Crowder GOP Debate. The hashtag is Crowder GOP Debate. We'll be taking your chat. Smash the rumble button. Hit the like. And we actually we have some exclusive here. You know, we always get some exclusives here at Louder with Crowder.
I do,
We have
absolutely.
the inside lane.
Yeah.
Some people refer to it as inside baseball.
Yeah.
I don't, though, because it's a sports reference. We actually were sent from the Trump campaign the top 7+1 reasons that Donald Trump is not at the debate tonight.
You forgot Stefan in the chamber.
Oh, and by the way, while you guys are bringing, maybe ask T. I need some of those eye drops, which you can just pop there because I'm coming down with something a
good
little
beer.
bit. And
Oh, no.
so these are the 7+1 reasons that Donald Trump is actually not going to be at the debate tonight. The reasons he gave officially on the record. Number 7, he's golfing poorly, yet still having fewer strokes than Mitch McConnell. Yeah, that's the 7+1 reasons that Donald Trump will not be
Real
at the
news.
debate tonight. You know what, Nick? Why don't you take a crack here at number 6?
He's grabbing Melania by the pussy.
Well, you have to set an
wow.
appointment for that.
Yeah.
It takes some time
Move them around.
if you're doing it right. Number 5 reasons that actually, you know what? You can do this one, Gerald, that Donald Trump will not be here at the debate tonight.
He would, but Christie ate his debate prep notes.
Oh, well, Christie.
Yeah. You don't dip them in gravy, though.
Leaves
That's
no
yeah.
potential sustenance unturned. Number 4, Donald Trump would be there, but he has a date to play pickleball with Stormy Daniels, which
Wow.
I don't know what pickleball is exactly. I assume he'd be throwing a pickle down a hallway.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, in this situation,
Stephen Crowder.
Top reasons that Donald Trump, again, that he officially gave our production managers here who've done a fantastic job, will not be at the debate. Number 3, he would, but he has a private lesson with Dr. Ben Carson on, quote, how to keep his pimp hand strong. You have to brush up on that.
Yeah.
I'm black and I don't even know what that means.
Well, you know, I was raised in a generation of Enter the Wu-Tang. Number 2, Nick, I think this one's up your alley.
He'll be in Fulton County, Georgia tonight looking for those 11,000 votes.
Oh, yeah.
There you
You'll
go.
find
And
him.
there you
There he is. Wait a minute, that's the Bud Light warehouse. Right?
Yeah, someone could bring it up. Kid Rock with
Wait,
the
did
Bud Light.
somebody set him up or
Yeah,
something?
no, the paparazzi had. He was just drinking a Bud Light.
He
and
set
suddenly,
himself up.
There's no reason
Oh,
for that.
come
I
on.
know.
That's almost like taking it back.
I know. Come on, just have some courage here to your convictions.
Oh,
it's
that
just,
really hurts me.
it
He
doesn't
needed
it?
to get drunk. Do you know what he was listening to? It was bad music, okay?
Well, you said if any band, dead or alive, you could see would be Motley Crue. So you're one to talk.
That's not true at all. What are you talking about?
I don't understand.
That's true. There it is.
upsetting.
Right
That was
There it is. Look, you see that? Look at that Bud
Oh,
Light right
that's
there.
photoshopped.
Yeah.
You are one pathetic.
You want to
loser.
believe.
Some lesbian.
You're like
put
that
in his
tween
hand.
who still believes in Santa, but you know that it's not really true.
By the way, we're keeping
That's
an
him.
eye on the Twitter, the thing that used to be called Twitter to make sure. So
X.
just so you guys know,
You've been
when that
X'd.
comes on, we will
7
make sure we
plus
jump
1
to it.
reasons that Donald Trump has not made the debate stream tonight. Number 1, he's sick. His best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this dude who's going with the girl who saw Trump pass out at 31 Flavors last night.
I guess it's pretty serious.
I guess it's pretty serious. And the plus 1 reason that Donald Trump will not be at the debates tonight, grand jury duty. That has been this week's 7 plus 1.
You forgot Stefan in the chamber.
Gerald, brief us really quickly. I got
All right, so Donald Trump. So it looks like
someone bathed in cat hair this morning.
I have no idea. So it looks like they uploaded the full video. Tim, why don't you go ahead and see if we can bring that up?
Might, yeah.
Yeah.
Really quickly here. They're smiling. That's
Mr.
great.
President, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Why aren't you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, you know, a lot of people have been asking me that, and many people said you shouldn't do them, but you see,
You always
the
said
polls
other
have come
people,
out,
right?
and
Other
I'm
people.
leading by 50 and 60 points,
40.
and you know, some of them are at 1 and 0 and 2, and that's going to be, I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president. Should I be doing that? And a network that isn't particularly friendly to me.
So it's not live. It was an upload. This
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were
so they
backing
didn't.
on
So they're just doing it as an upload. They're not
Yeah,
doing it as a
they're
live
doing
thing.
it as an upload.
So we've got our team going through to get clips of.
And by the way, I can
biggest
fact
moments.
check that as true, by the way. Just to be clear, Fox News has been anti-Trump for a significant period of time, and now they're kind of turning on DeSantis a little bit. But they definitely have been actively campaigning against Trump. Which, here's the thing, just be honest about it.
Yep.
Just be honest about it.
Honest about
Can I
it.
ask you why?
Probably
What's their?
they
is
think
it the Murdoch sons? or
they're
whoever
very establishment. I remember when I worked at I was at Fox News for 4.5 years, and Romney was their guy at one.
When is there no money in Trump? Isn't
Yeah.
that the bottom line? The bottom line's the bottom line in news on TV.
I think that
So-
they think they can it can be a coronation because Fox News has had a sort of a stranglehold on that market for a long time, so they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But let's continue listening to Donald Trump.
I did. I'm grateful that you did. It's interesting, though, because you spent a lot of your career in television.
Yeah.
You would a top show in television. I know.
True. Film.
But you don't feel the need now running for president to do television, obviously. Do you think television is declining?
Well, according to a poll
Well,
that
that's
I
a
guess
layup.
we just saw, it just came out where it's
You
down
just
like
say,
30.
according to Nielsen, absolutely.
Cable's down because it's lost credibility. MSNBC, or as they say, MSDNC, is so bad. It's so wrong what they write and what they do and what they say. It's fake news, as I said. I think I came up with that term. I hope I did. It's not.
That's what other people say. They say you came up with the best terms.
By the way, the drinking game rules do not apply to this interview.
Yeah, I was
because
going to
it
say.
is
But by the
Donald
way, just
Trump.
drink
So-
sort of at this point, I guess. Is
Yeah,
kind
my
of
throat's killing me. Come on.
MSNBC, and you have CNN, who's absolutely doing no ratings at all. I mean, they're dead.
Let me smell your drink.
But they're doing none
Like
because
it's a
they don't
child
have
and
credibility.
Biden's
They
rum.
really don't have credibility. Fox is way down. as you know.
Something's just like strong perfumey. I
The
think
good
it's like
old days,
spiced rum. It smells like
long ago.
perfume.
I will
like a
say
dirty
this.
Like you're drinking
If you
Egyptian
come
musk.
back, but
Good Lord.
they just don't have a lot of credibility.
That's a Black Beans
Tucker,
cologne.
you know that.
Yeah,
Perhaps
aftershave.
better than
It's that
I know.
rouge you
David,
put
I
on,
think it
Nick.
was a terrible move getting rid of you. You were number
Robert
one on
Parrish.
television, and all of a sudden we're doing this interview, but we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate or competition.
Well, again, it's not really a fair apples to apples though, to an upload, and again, impressions are not the same as views. But I guarantee you that he will have more views. But if you see like 100 million with Tucker or something like that, it's not the same as live viewers. And
Yeah.
so sometimes they'll pull that trick. But it is true that cable news is dying.
It
Absolutely,
is dying, and this is we talked about that up there. This is one of the first events where you're seeing them die, and Rumble and places like that are going to take them out.
Yeah.
Put the nail in the coffin, boys.
And to
You're
be clear, by
pirates.
the way, about Fox, you have Brett Baer. He's obviously running the debate there tonight, along with Martha McCallum. And he did say that January 6th, the committee hearing made Donald Trump look horrific. Apparently, there have been a lot of reports that there's a soft ban on Donald Trump at Fox News.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
They were really going hard on him because they were being sued by Dominion. They were all in on DeSantis. But now that he's not
there you
doing
go.
so well, they're sort of backing off a little bit. So there is a very strong bias at Fox News. I saw it when I was there for Mitt Romney as well, which was just, in my opinion, quite dumb.
Well,
that he was the guy.
They're not doing that well because also Tucker's not there.
Yeah. Well, that's a big component.
Yeah, no.
Well, they're going to try to put somebody else in that slot, obviously, and see if they can like move people around. But it's dying media. Like
I know
people
they're
are
looking
watching.
at Willie Nelson.
They're watching our show. They're watching this right now. They'll be watching the stream on Rumble. Like, that is taking over media. So here, I don't want to talk over Trump too much.
Oh, here we go. It is now is this live?
That's live, yeah.
All right, well, let's switch from Tucker to the
We're on
debates
it.
right now. Coming in from Fox News, this is being live streamed from Rumble. Bring up the volume.
Here, there is one battleground that may be harder to win than ever. Wisconsin.
Can you turn it up a little bit, Yakuza? We can't hear that.
Got it. A state known for its beer and cheese, gridiron and grit, and also its razor-thin elections. In 2016, Republicans narrowly flipped the Badger State red for the first time since Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, who did that, by the way?
But it was back to blue.
It's not razor thin, Wisconsin. Wisconsin was, in fact, a blue state until Donald Trump flipped it. I lived it that night.
I think he won
was
it the
surprised.
second time around. Just saying.
In the suburbs of Milwaukee, the division seemed deeper than ever. But that was just the beginning. 2 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, leaving the legality of abortion up to the states. In Wisconsin, that meant a nearly total ban.
While they do the intros, do you want to
Democrats
go
to the
over? And
polls
obviously,
this
the
year.
opening statements will be back there. But do you want to go back to Trump for a minute while they're?
Yeah, let's go back to Donald Trump. I think there's perfume in my beer.
Jeez.
Does that not smell like perfume?
Bring up
to you?
Trump.
It's the new PA.
The death of
Well, you
Jeffrey
drink
Epstein.
one of those
Joe
fruity,
Biden
you
didn't
know.
do
Epstein.
investigation on the election fraud either. Okay, he said he did, and he pretended he did, but he didn't. McSwain, the U.S. attorney in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, said Barr just wouldn't let him do it. It was crazy. Barr became so petrified, so frightened of being impeached. We're going to impeach him. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
It's not a big moment in history. But they said, we're going to impeach. You know, they play a much rougher game to the left, the lunatics. And they were going to impeach Bill Barr, and he was petrified. Now, how do you not get impeached? Don't do any of this stuff. But he didn't do the job there.
So we're going to go back to those highlights. Let's go right now. They are introducing the debates. We have Brett Baer and Martha McCallum. Now, is that Burgum?
No.
I can't see. Oh, there's Mike
He'll
Pence.
be way down on one end.
He's a dick.
There's Bergam all the way on the right.
Bergham's on the, yeah.
He blew out his
there he is.
Achilles playing basketball. Does
The guy
does
looks
that
like-
guy strike you as a basketball player?
All right, let's see.
I'm Martha McCallum.
I tell you what, though, Brett Baer will never go bald. He has a hairline like Curious George.
Like a high school wrestler.
Republican choice for president will accept the party's nomination next summer. The 8
Can you bring it up there,
contenders
because he
are
can't hear it?
positioned by the order they sit in the polls,
long as it
with the
doesn't
highest
feedback,
polling
you know.
candidates in the middle standing center stage. Florida
It's my
Governor
hand.
Ron
It's the soap.
DeSantis.
It's
Just sanctimonious.
just that smile is off-putting.
Here's my primary care physician.
Former Vice President Mike Pence.
The Jimmy Neutron hairdo.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Hey, Nikki Haley looks good tonight.
Jersey Governor Christie.
Oh, look, he fasted.
Tim Scott
And there he is, Mr. Ed's teeth.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson.
and North
I like how it's quiet.
They hate him.
He looks a little bit like a skinnier Muppet like Scorsese.
That's right.
Rules for tonight. We'll ask the questions, and then candidates get 1
All right, why they
minute
say
to
this, just so
answer.
you know, for the Trump thing, you're not missing anything. Our team is actually going through right now and pulling some of the best moments
Yeah,
from
we are
that
pulling
interview.
all the
So
moments
as
from
we get
Donald
those, we'll
Trump.
pull them in. You don't have to go anywhere to see all of it. We will make sure you see.
Yes, absolutely. We'll make sure you see that and cover this live.
So tonight, these candidates have
Again,
a
you can
big
use the hashtag CrowderGOP debate or that promo code to get $10 off MugClub right now as long as this is live.
it.
Let's hear the stupid questions.
president at a time when the likely Democrat nominee, President Joe Biden, is working to convince the country that with Bidenomics, things are looking up.
Go straight to
We call
inflation
my plan
and the spending.
Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time.
This is new.
But guess what? It's working.
Wow. What a But is it?
The American
More than
Rescue Plan is what,
65%
$1.9 trillion. The Inflation Reduction Act, $500 billion. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, $1.2 trillion. Chips and Science Act, $278 billion. And we've had the worst inflation since, actually surpassing Jimmy Carter. This is an easy layup. I hope they get into specifics. Let's go to the guy in the Michael Jordan hat.
A lot of people's out here homeless because they can't buy food.
They always play video
It's tough when you
assets
got
at
mortgage
these
rates
No,
at
they
78%
don't.
versus
This
2 to
is
3. It's just you can't afford the house anymore.
This inflation is ridiculous. It's killing us out
That's
here.
not your biggest problem.
As we sit here tonight, the #1 song on the Billboard chart is called
Bring it up
Rich
a little bit,
Men
Yakuza.
North of Richmond. It is by a singer from Farmville,
This is a weird way to lead the
Virginia,
debate.
It's a very weird
named
way.
Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation.
As Tupac once said in his album All Eyes on Me,
with the state of government
Vivek, your floor.
and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
What are we doing? Is this like an award show?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
And now up for Song of
Chris
the Year.
Christie looks hungry. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
He looks like he's looking.
They don't feed him for
He's
8 hours
looking at this
before.
country singer like a guy in a stranded island when you turn into like a roast chicken.
Yeah. He's a drumstick.
These guys are probably hearing the song for the first time.
Yeah, they're like, Richmond, north of Richmond, that's us.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody get this.
He's singing about us.
Striking such a nerve in this country right now. What do you think it means?
Oh, Lord.
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice.
That's
We need
so
to
rigid, it
send
almost
Joe
seems
Biden
pre-taped.
back to his basement and reverse American decline.
Was that a planned applause? Because he hasn't said anything good yet.
Understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of
Democrat
dollars
who's not
on
Joe
lousy
Biden, Hunter
payments.
Biden. That counts.
That is wrong.
I'm not finishing my drink, though.
We also cannot
did they say?
succeed when the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country.
So you know someone said come out forcefully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, come out forcefully. And so
Well,
I think
he was in the military, so he's a leader. He's a born leader.
I think he confused forceful for loud. And now he goes back to that. Anyway.
Governor Christie, do you agree with Governor DeSantis just said there? And why would you be better on the
Why
economy
Christie next?
than him?
Well, look, I do agree
Ozempic.
predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. I think that if you asked every one of us up here, that we would agree predominantly with what he just laid out. Here's the difference. The difference is that we're going to have to work and make sure that we sell these ideas and be able to put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote.
Oh, like you
not
sold
only
two-lane
by
traffic
winning
on your
Congress
bridge?
and the Senate in the 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience of doing it. Now, I was elected as a conservative
You mean President Trump?
in a blue state.
No, let's correct that
With
phrase.
61
You were elected as a Republican. Let's not say conservative Republican.
No.
In a blue state, which means you're not a Republican.
Yeah. It's a state where you can't even pump your own gas.
Jesus, New
Decision-making.
Jersey.
Brought them around to our point of view. We cut taxes in New Jersey.
Try cutting cars.
We cut debt in New Jersey.
We
made
closed
sure
roads
that
in New Jersey.
every time we were confronted with bad democratic ideas, we stood and stopped them. And when there were good ideas, we brought people together to make progress going
Excuse me
forward.
1 second. I'm going to take a bite of my sandwich.
Truth and accountability are the things we need to do to fight waste. And I'd say the last thing is this, Brett. We cannot sit by any longer and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their grandchildren. It's robbing our country, and it's wrong.
Well, Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey,
was very tepid.
when you were governor, had the second lowest credit rating in the nation after Illinois, and it was
Well, that's not
downgraded
his
11
fault. I
times.
mean,
The
he is.
highest BMI.
Yes.
And that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has done that. But when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut debt in that state, debt that had been left to us by three
cut the crust off your sandwiches.
predecessors of mine who ran up that debt tremendously.
I don't think we're gonna get him for the post-debate.
Is that a tomato? And get that off there.
Was to cut the unemployment rate in half. It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did was cut pension payments to public employees to make sure that taxpayers were not being so.
Well, apparently none of that worked because you're still second to last, Tubby.
That was killing the taxpayers.
How's that for a follow-up?
But when it comes to being second to last, we're tops.
Yeah, this is what I just said.
Yeah.
After welfare programs.
Pizza.
As a senator, now President Biden argued for freezing federal spending. This was back in the 80s.
That's a nice jacket.
Why are you wearing a
Dealing with
photo
secret
negative of the
cows.
Thriller jacket?
He does not talk about that anymore. You have been a senator, though, for 10 years. So what have you done to rein in
Please lead your answer
the
with,
increasing
"Hey!"
size of government?
Hey, come on, man.
Question. Over
the last several years, I've had an opportunity to vote against spending package after spending package after spending package. What we also need to understand is that Joe Biden's Bidenomics has led to the loss of $10,000 of spending power for the average family. When you see 16% inflation, your gas is up 40%, your food is
I actually
up 20%,
have the numbers right
your
here
electricity is
on the Bidenomics as far as how much more you're spending. Which page is Bidenomics here? I have in my prep. I always do this
11.
prep and then
Almost
11
at the very back. Second
All right,
last
keep
page.
the volume there up there, Tim.
Let me just say this: Christie had the lowest approval rating ever for a New Jersey governor at 15%.
I'm sure that's going to come
I wouldn't talk about.
Well, that's because of the Democrats, as he
of
would tell
course,
you.
yes.
So you were spending $202 more in July, by the way, in just 1 year than you would have to buy goods or services 1 year ago. $709 more than 2 years ago. It has crippled Americans, the inflation. Just so you know, that's one thing. It's not a talking point, but everyone has that arrow in their quiver. Let's go back to Mr.
news
Scott.
for the American people.
Okay, but just to follow up, you did, during the Trump administration, you approved
Trump's mentioned.
4.4 trillion,
Oh,
4.1 trillion,
drink.
1.7 trillion over the course of that administration. That's a lot of money.
There's no doubt that during the
For
Trump
COVID,
administration,
right?
when we were dealing with the COVID
Tax
virus,
cuts?
we spent more money. But here's what happened at the end of our time in the majority. We had low unemployment, record low unemployment, 3.5% for the majority of the population, 70-year low for women. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians had an all-time low. But our inflation
But where are the white women
was at 2%. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen inflation explode, which led to 12 Federal Reserve increases that's devastating home buyers today.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you're listening to these answers.
If I may,
Oh, hold on one second.
Was there a buzzer?
So I don't
Yeah.
know if I get a
He
chance
didn't-
to
That wasn't us. That was them.
That's Mike
I'll
Pence.
be with you in a second, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Ramaswamy.
Ooh, we just shut down Pence.
Can I talk?
It's like he just rolled up a newspaper and spanked Mike Pence's dog in front of
Another
him.
drink.
Does that count as a moderator?
Moderator interrupted.
I can't believe
Yeah, that's a moderator cutoff drink.
You're 38 years old. You've said that you only
Told you, wanna
voted
pace
in 2
yourself.
presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight.
Yes, my hair is real.
Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a
I
politician.
think
Brett.
people
You're
thought,
right
why is
about
tech
that.
support here?
I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on
I talked to him on the
found
phone last night trying to
multi-billion-dollar
get cum out of a mouse
companies. I
pad.
did it while marrying my wife Apoorva, raising our 2 sons,
Gerald didn't
following our
like that.
faith in God.
I didn't hear it, sorry.
That is the American dream.
Good.
And I am genuinely worried that that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation.
He's not answering the
unless we
question,
do
though. That's
something
the
about
issue.
it.
This is
And
this
I
is
do
kind of
think
like an
it's gonna
opening
take it
speech, which is
outside.
fine.
Because for a long
He
time,
needs
we
to
have
do that, but then he needs to
professional
pivot into
politicians
answering the
who
question.
Who have been running from something. Now is our moment to start running to something. To our vision of what it means to be an American today.
He's got a lot of fans.
If you have a broken
Telling you,
car,
man,
don't
he's the
turn
guy.
over the keys to the people who broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
All right, to you, Governor Haley. So why are you better positioned to turn around this economy that we've heard all of these voters talking about tonight than Mr. Ramaswamy, who is a successful entrepreneur nationally right now? He's beating you in the polls.
Well, I don't care about polls. What I care about the fact is that no one is telling the American
did in
people the
college.
truth. The truth is that Biden didn't do this to us. Our
It's a little high
Republicans
now.
did
Split
this
the
to
difference,
us
maybe.
too. When they passed that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus
A valid
bill,
point. I don't like
they
it, but-
left us
No,
with
it's a valid point.
90
It
million
is.
people on Medicaid, 42 million people on food stamps. No one has told you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it. They need to stop the spending. They need to stop the borrowing. They need to eliminate the earmarks that the Republicans brought back in, and they need to make sure they understand these are taxpayer dollars. It's not
Fred
their
Bear says,
dollars.
speaking of
And
earmarks,
while
I noticed
they're
you've had
all
yours
saying
pinned,
this,
right, Haley?
You have Ron DeSantis,
To
you've
you,
got
Christie.
Tim Scott, you've got Mike
I like
Pence.
the
They
idea
all
of
voted to
a
raise
female
the debt.
president with a black stripper's first name.
What?
Like chandelier.
Kids are never going
No,
to
like
forget us
Nikki.
for this. And so at the end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget. Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the White House.
Vice President Pence.
Vivek says, you rang?
And that brings us to Mike Pence. Speaking of boring,
Here's where the Democrats are different. They would never
Mike
do
Pence
that.
cannot have a good performance tonight. I'm calling it right now. And again, you can send in your predictions. It's not possible for him. He's awful.
If he did, it wouldn't matter.
No.
increase. But as vice president, your administration spent more than any prior, $7.8 trillion added to the national debt, $3.5 trillion of that before COVID.
I'm proud of that.
So does that mean that you're part of the spending?
So that does mean half was in
first of
1
all,
year.
thanks for the
That's a
question.
pretty big number.
Thanks for letting me respond.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. Could you find a dipstick?
Record. I'm incredibly proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration.
Trump.
I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy.
This
and we
guy,
appointed
you
3
cast him as a
conservatives to the
president in a
Supreme
movie.
Court
Yeah.
that gave the American people
He's a
Where the
walking parody.
president is the villain.
Martha, you asked earlier who's the most best prepared.
Can't
for
say
this
that.
job.
Most best.
And I must say, with all due respect to all of my friends, in the
Donald
States,
Trump.
and even to one that's probably looking on, I think unquestionably I am the best prepared, the most tested,
Sorry,
the most
Biden, what'd you say?
qualified and proven conservative in this race.
You're a traitor.
I was a leader in the Congress of the United States. I led Indiana where we balanced budgets and had a AAA bond rating. When I
But
was
he certainly
governor.
would make a great Judas.
President of the United States. We spent
People
funding
flooding to Indiana, Mike, to live there.
I know, right?
Iscariot, to be clear, because I know there's there's two Judas. Yes, the bad
Judai,
Yeah.
if you will. Yeah.
in 100 years. All that being said, I was the first person in this race to say that we've got to deal with the long-term national debt issues. You got people.
Look at what he. Look, seriously though, look at his resume is. I have more experience because I was tapped to be VP. No one actually voted for you,
That's
Mike
right.
Pence. Then he goes, I was the first to. You were the first Republican to say that we need to lower spending, dummy. There's nothing you need. This is the thing with Mike Pence. He will say whatever
Talking
he
points.
thinks is necessary. It is talking points
The
personified. I don't think I've ever. Is it just me?
He doesn't have an original thought
No,
in his head.
no.
He just doesn't.
When people talk about politicians who are rinse, recycle, repeat, they're specifically
him.
referring to Mike Pence.
That's right.
Yeah. He's the guy.
I see 1980 when I look.
They're trying to jump in. Let's see.
I'm going to give Vivek first.
We'll get to both of them.
Yeah, this isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear.
I love he said burn coal. I love it.
No longer paying them more to stay at home.
Hope Tim Scott
Reform
didn't
the
take
U.S.
that as
Fed, stabilize the U.S. dollar.
He's from the town
and
where
go to
October
war.
Sky was
The
based
only
on.
war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations acting like a wet blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out. For me, it's pretty simple.
Good way to
That's
call
something
him
a
on.
U.S.
Yep.
president
Yeah,
can
good.
do
Yep.
with focus, and I'll deliver on
Well, let me
it.
explain
You know what I
it
like
to
about
you.
him too? He's not doing the thumb BS. He's pointing. He's pointing like a good Indian should.
I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool.
It's still not cool, dummy.
The last time we actually reduced
Somebody's burning
the national
coal.
debt in
He's
the
also in a
United
Salt
States.
and Pepper cover band before it was cool.
Conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe
In
Biden
Indiana.
has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a
There's his
rookie.
buzzword. He really thought,
We don't
wow.
need to bring in people
On the
that
job.
are-
That's
We need to bring
Whoa!
We need new blood, Mike. Look at he even dressed like
Well,
Vivek.
what about? I mean, I take on-the-job training over on-the-job failing, Mike.
Yes, yes.
There's no question mark with you. It's a guarantee.
He talks like he was the president.
I know. That's a good
All right,
point.
it's DeSantis.
How
Let's
this
see.
federal government handed COVID-19 by locking down
Handed?
this economy. It was a mistake. It should have
He
never
starts to sound like Paul Lynn when he gets excited.
We let
I'm
the
telling
country
you.
out of lockdown. We kept our state free and open.
That's a
And
very
I can
strong
tell you
point, though,
this,
for Ron
as your
DeSantis. He should
president,
point to him being one of the, I think, really two places, if I'm not mistaken, that did it right. As far as
Absolutely.
right away unknown, he was the first
Absolutely.
state to open back up, repeal lockdowns. This is a strong point for him, and I hope he goes in hard on immigration because I like how he's answered that in the past. No amnesty. He should lean into that. Let's see.
He just did.
You know what?
He's pointing
I just want to finish responding to Mike. I just want to respond to
Actually,
Mike
now
for 1
Ramaswamy's
second.
pointing too much. That's too much of the pointing, Ramaswamy.
Everybody's gotten their memorized, pre-prepared slogans out of the way. We can actually have a real discussion now.
Yes.
The reality
Amen.
of the fact of the matter
Is that one of yours?
not really, Mike, actually. We're just going to have some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their
Tearing a page
super
from the Trump book.
PACs last week. The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution?
Okay.
And I stand on the
Do
side
you want a
of
revolution?
the American revolution.
I've got to address
rather than
We're going to take control back here.
We need everyone to have a moment on the economy.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can I address-
Martha, men are talking here. Quiet.
Yeah, Asa Hutchins, keep silent. Thank you.
Let's hear from Governor Burgum.
And that guy at the end.
Burgum's just saying, I'm just glad to be here.
I can barely stand. I'm on pain meds that blew out my
He looks like
Achilles.
Scorsese.
There he is.
If you watched him on Hot.
Make it on this stage with all these folks. But
I'm just happy to be here, Bob.
Well, but these eyebrows.
They were all wishing me well. I think I took them a little too literally when they said, go to Milwaukee and break a leg.
Oh, boy, you couldn't wait to get that one, huh?
Yeah,
Stupid.
he tore his Achilles.
Cross him off
We're
now,
missing
please.
something. We can't just talk about the
I
Biden
was hooping
economy because
last
the
night.
economy, energy, and national security are all tied together. Of course, we're paying too much for our energy in our state in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because the Biden policies.
His only chance would have been to come out with all like Ramaswamy did today with double barrel, and instead he's coming out exactly showing us why he shouldn't be here.
Are they all dressed the same, or am I high? What the
Pretty
fuck?
much blue suit.
Both.
And you're high.
Buying batteries from China. We're just trading OPEC for Sinopec. And then belatedly, the Biden administration says, no, we're going to put sanctions on Russian oil.
He looks like if Martin Scorsese and Henry Winkler had a baby. Bring up those pictures. That's spot on.
You buy a solar
It's like an
panel,
Italian B.
it's
Arthur.
being produced in a plant in China powered by coal, or it's being powered by oil and gas at 20% off. And every farmer in this country would like to buy diesel at 20% off, just like they're
So
buying
this
it in
guy
China.
said, I'm going to be the energy candidate.
That's right.
It's very clear that's what he said.
I was just thinking he has that.
All the greats have their calling cards, and so do the mediocres.
Oh, Asa.
To be here tonight.
I forgot you were there.
Let me just
You
tell
may go.
This
that
guy,
I'm
nobody
a pro-life
likes.
governor from a conservative state that have a conservative record in which I lowered taxes in
Yet you're
Arkansas
still a
as
rhino.
governor. I created a $2 billion surplus that I passed over to my successor, and I made sure that we shrunk the size of government.
In Arkansas, you can do that by putting a tax on moonshine.
14% fewer state employees in Arkansas after
And
I
flipper
left
babies.
government than when I took over as governor 8 years ago. I tell that because that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government, that can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged...
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Look,
but
let me be really clear about something. This is not a race about just reducing the size and spending of government. Yes, of course, that should be a given, and I get it that Republicans have spent far too much. That is not what is going to energize the American public. You need to make this about immigration and about corruption in the government and the media. You need to make it about the elites, just like Ramaswamy did right now. Donald Trump could have said that right. It's very simple. Do you want a puppet pack candidate? He sounds like Donald Trump. He's tearing a page from his book because he understands that that is what mobilizes people, not just talking about deficits. Yes, that does matter, but that's not what you lead with if you need to get ahead and get American people, the American public, to actually start paying attention to you.
And especially since you've been in Congress for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
You're part of the problem.
Exactly.
Why is it? Why is
why
spending
didn't you
out of
do
control?
anything?
What have you done?
Yeah.
Well, just give us the control. And we'll
Let
do
me
it.
hear the Brett Baer. What's his question?
After the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more
Vivek,
than a
about
century,
Curry, I
Hawaii's
put-
governor and White House officials said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit.
Wait, are you guys?
101
Is Fox
degrees
News
off
actually trying to parrot the idea that it's climate change? It sounded like that a little bit.
So.
Let me
Let's see what
see.
they say.
Let me see how little we should be able to trust them.
So
Wrote to
Alexander
Caitlin
Diaz
Collins.
from Young America's Foundation has a question for you all.
Polls consistently show that young people's #1 issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the
Here we
United
go.
States and leader of
Because
the
they don't know
Republican
anything.
Party, calm
done
their
with it.
fears?
I'm
that the
really
Republican
curious
Party
to see the
doesn't
answer.
care about
Please
climate
swat it out of hand and
So we
point
wanna
out that
start
the
on-
water,
Give it to Vivek.
that the warning didn't work, that the water didn't work, that all of their fail-safes didn't work, and that it was the guy who was the coroner from Vegas, the Vegas shooting for crying out loud. Please clarify this.
School children, let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander?
So do you want to raise your hand or not?
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this.
And answer the question?
And here's the deal.
Girls being beaten in the audience.
Can you answer the question about climate change? Because we want to guide this
Yeah, he's already
so
a
that we can
politician.
sabotage everybody. The moderators here.
Let's be honest
Did they
as
interrupt him?
Republicans.
Yeah,
As
interrupt the
on
drink.
the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say
Bring
this.
up the drinking game rules again so people can see them.
Is a
Please.
hoax.
It's a hoax.
Climate change agenda is a hoax.
He just said it's a hoax.
That's a thug life moment. Drink
life.
The carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality
Can you bring up
is
the drinking
more
game rules
people are
somehow?
dying of
There you
bad
go.
climate change policies.
Anytime Trump is mentioned,
than
January
they
6th is
are of
mentioned,
actual
moderator interrupts the
climate
candidate, a thug life moment, finish your drink if they mention a Democrat other than Biden.
Hold on.
in the last century.
Listen.
I've had it. No,
Wait,
hold
No,
on.
no.
I know.
I've had enough already.
Have you, Mr.
tonight
French?
Of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up.
Oh, you stole that from a funny meme you read on 4chan, you fat son of a...
The last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?"
Obama.
Was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Oh, that's not going to help you, Chuckles. Say the word bully, Chris, you big girl.
Just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
bear
same
hug,
type of amateur.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond?
Is it just me? And by the way, hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching... I never think that Chris, they say he's a tough talker. No, he comes across as incredibly feminine to me.
Yes, he's a whiny.
He's catty.
He was picked on as fat as a kid, and he still has that mentality.
Yeah, he should have gotten ripped.
He's a big girl who loves
Kicked
heavy
sand
cream.
in the bully's face. Charles Atlas.
Clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of. But there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all,
Stop by
yes,
burning
is
that
climate
jacket.
change real?
What?
Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what just happened? Is that
it
coming?
buffering?
They have to
Oh, there he
lower
goes. Yeah,
their
it's back.
emissions. That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done. What that
Can
does,
someone bring up
half
actually
of
mission control? Bring this up. You should be able to get this in about 15 seconds. Biden just removed, I think, was it 10 or 15 companies from the blacklist from China just today, I believe, or it was yesterday that he did it.
In the last day or two.
Yeah, within the last day or two.
Because we're sending an envoy over there right now. and
Yeah,
he did it
exactly.
In anticipation of that.
Well, have to keep appearances up.
India and China, you've got to stop polluting, and that's when we'll start to deal with.
Oh yeah, I'm sure China will get right on that.
Oh my God, she sounds.
Are you bought and paid for?
I'm sorry.
Are you bought and paid
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve: is a debate
By
about
who?
the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth and being childish is not helpful to the
here we
American
go.
people to decide
He's
the
pointing
next
out
leader
Trump.
of our country.
It's
Number one.
gonna take the high, he's taking the high road, Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
You should consider it sometime.
There you go.
A single-parent household mired in
I'm just
poverty. I
Show me your
wonder,
gums.
Was the American dream real for kids who are devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we
Hey,
want
what are the
the
drinking game
environment
rules
to
for
be
an
better-
anti-thug life moment? I think Tim Scott has
You get to
gotten
throw
that
up.
tonight.
I mean, you could drink.
Yeah. You know what, though? The only person who said, no, we're not doing the climate change thing, the only person was Vivek. So good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's saying what
right.
people want to hear, but at least he's willing to speak out. Everyone else is going, we shouldn't be childish. China and India. What are you going to do about that, Nikki?
Yeah.
Because you were ambassador to the UN, who, by the way, they ignored?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
That was
He was
quick.
having a Larry Elder moment.
Has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase, Africa, 950
The
million
thumb
people.
point.
India, over 1 billion.
Please count.
China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage? Devastating our own economy. Let's bring our jobs home.
Look, here's what you do. Finish the line of questioning, Why would we put our... Here's what you do. You say, why does the Biden administration want to put us at a disadvantage to these countries that want to see us fail? Places like China, right? These great polluters out there who have no intention of honoring these international agreements whatsoever, but will cripple the American economy. That's right, because they're not looking out for you. They're not looking out for the American people. They're looking out for international interests because they're bought and paid for. We can talk about Joe Biden's connections with the Chinese government. He's talked about it quite a bit. We can talk about their connections with Ukraine if you want to understand why we've dedicated $135 billion. I know we haven't spent it all yet, but the question needs to be asked, and then all of us here need to have the balls, if I may, to answer. That's not an answer. Give an answer. That's the guy who's going to win this. That's the guy who's going to make up some ground. I don't know who you guys are hiring, but aside from Vivek tonight, fire them. Is it just me? Please send in your send in your comments.
It feels very dated, their approach.
Yeah.
We've seen this show 1,000 times.
Well, and I think we're tired of it, right?
Except for
We're
Vivek.
absolutely tired of hearing these canned responses. And Nikki Haley's like, does climate change exist? Absolutely. Well, it depends on what you mean by that.
Right.
Does man-made climate change exist? I don't know. Do we have an impact on it? Yeah, I'm sure to some degree. But if you look at a lot of the science that's coming out right now,
that's too much. I'll tell you what you say. You say,
no,
man-made climate change. What they need to say is man-made climate change. Look, maybe there's some debate about that, but about which there can be no debate is Joe Biden can't fix it.
There you go.
Then you expand upon it if you have that time. But the point is, people, and because I get it, you're nerdy, so am I, a little bit. But guess what? People, you only have a few seconds to punch in and punch out.
Yeah.
And if you're so busy tripping over yourself and your advisor's talking points to get to something prefab, you're never going to connect with the people. I get it. You think Donald Trump's bombastic, but you know what? Bombastic is better than completely inauthentic. The only people here tonight who have a remote chance have been Vivek and potentially Ron DeSantis, but he also needs to just relax a little bit.
Bombastic won twice, by the way.
We probably actually, they gave us that. It was actually dozens of companies that were
Dozens of
removed,
companies. I thought it was
from that
15.
list. Yeah, so, but also we may have some clips from Trump. Tim Toolman, do you have any of those
From
over
Donald
there?
Trump with Tucker Carlson?
Speaking of Trump.
punch.
And then we actually have our on-the-ground correspondent Finnegan, who's actually out there today at the RNC debate.
Gosh, what's he
Wow,
gonna
they
do?
give me a lot of clips.
Yeah, we do.
Did they
Just
give you a lot
pick
of clips?
the first one off the top.
All right, let's run these now. These are the highlights from Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson as they are at commercial break with the RNC debate.
Stand by. There we go.
That's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. Can you imagine
about
you're
Ukraine,
in an
obviously.
apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And who can, why should anybody, human beings, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are, it's got to be stopped. And it can be stopped very easily. It would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started.
Now, I can tell you exactly what the media is going to say. Oh, he equivocated between innocent Ukrainians and evil Russians. They're going to say, Donald Trump said Russians just like Ukrainians, which of course is horseshit. He's a guy who's saying we shouldn't have a war. I can tell you exactly what the media is going to do. Come back tomorrow. Tell me if I'm wrong on that clip. Do we have context for the next clip that we can run? A little bit. Sorry, I just get so angry when I watch something and I know that it's a losing play.
Yeah.
And this is what hey, you know what? You know what the problem is? You want to know what a little bit of the problem is? Is the fact that these people are all beholden to the same nonprofit donors. Why do you think that YAF gets the first question? Why do you think it was a layup for climate change? I like a lot of people at YAF, just to be clear. I like a lot of people at these nonprofits. But the billions of dollars, ironically, in the free enterprise capitalist movement, unfortunately, the purse strings are held by nonprofit donors who are out of touch with the American public. Sure, they'll talk about Trump when it's convenient for clicks. But why was YAF asking a question about climate change at the RNC debate? How many trains did not run on time for that to happen?
Yeah. Exactly. By the way, just so you know, the debate is taking a break right now. That's why we're covering some of the Trump stuff. So just want to make sure that you guys know that. But we do have some more Trump clips there, and I think they are labeled by what they're talking about at least.
All right. Let's see, second one talks about Biden.
Talks about Biden.
Joe
All right.
won't make it. Let's see this one.
Joe won't make it.
Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I don't think he's going to make it to the gate, but you never know. But he's a corrupt person, so corrupt that I took the name off Hillary. I don't do two people at one time. I took the crooked Hillary and I retired the name. That was a good day for her. I bet she was very happy. And I used it for Joe because it's Crooked Joe. But Joe is really...
But you don't think he's going to make it to November of 2020?
Well, I think he's worse mentally than he is physically. And physically,
I know.
he's not exactly...
That's what Gerald thinks too.
A triathlete.
He's not going to be there.
And you guys can comment, especially if you're watching right now on MugClub. If you're not a member, we'll go to MugClub exclusively with some interviews from candidates today, liveofcredit.com/MugClub. Everyone here, aside from me, thinks that the nominee for the Democrats will not be Joe Biden. Let me know what you think. Let's go right now. They're asking Nikki Haley a question.
Women and suburban voters across this country.
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people.
I've got to tell you,
that's great. When it comes
it
to
really seems like Fox News is trying to set up these people to fail. asking a leading question about the abortion issue because they see that that's been a losing issue on the state level with people not understanding Heller versus DC and the overturning with the Dobbs. And same thing right there when they were asking about climate change. It's like I'm watching CNN or MSNBC. I don't know. It's just what I'm seeing right now. Let's hear her finish her answer.
Abortion shouldn't have to perform them. Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion?
No one is saying that. No one is saying that. Boom. That's a wolf in sheep's clothing right there. Her using that talking point. Point me to one governor who is saying that a woman should get a death penalty for having an abortion performed if she is raped. There's not one person saying that. It's like she took that straight out of Salon or Slate or insert your shitty blog here.
What do you say to him and others who say politically that is a tough thing to sell nationally?
You know, actually, really quickly, let's go live to our on-the-ground correspondent. Actually, he's out there, right? He's gotten some interviews. Thomas Finnegan, he's down there. Do we have him?
Yes, we
do. Because this is a boring question right now that they're asking, and it honestly is a setup. I don't want to play these games. Let's go right now. All right, Mr. Finnegan, big night. What do you got for us?
Hi, Stephen. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Wait, where?
I'm in Mike Pence's bathroom.
Why?
I'm hiding out. I'm going to get you a candid exclusive interview.
Are you out of your mind? How did he get past security?
Jail.
I just walked in. I don't think they like him very much. Wait, I gotta go. I hear someone coming.
I'm sorry about that, Nick. You deserved better.
Maybe not. I don't think we should ever expect better from Thomas Finnegan. But you called it. Where is something like that coming from? An article from Salon? SC GOP bill would subject those obtaining abortions to the death penalty. How did you know?
There you go. Yeah, how did I know? It's almost like I've done this for a while, and Nikki Haley's a crooked hack.
Yes.
All right, let's go back to Ron DeSantis. Hey, Mike Pence is talking. Let's all hurry so we can not care.
Well, look, I'm not new to this cause.
I tell you what you are new to.
After I
not
gave my life
sucking.
to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I opened up the book and I read.
Yeah, that doesn't
Before
work
I formed you in the womb, I knew you.
And by the way, I agree with all but this is not, the first debate should not be about the abortion issue for these candidates. And the way they framed the question was obviously one trying to get people to slip up. I get that Mike Pence is trying to position himself as a social conservative, which I am through and through. I'm as pro-life as you get. But the line of questioning tonight, do not be fooled. Climate change is the most discussed issue in our generation. And then the next question after that, or two questions later, is the abortion issue that's being misrepresented. This is going to tell you who your friends are when you look at people like Nikki Haley and how they answer. I guarantee you that Mike Pence has a good answer, but this is a no-win situation for these people this early in a campaign. You know what they won't ask? They won't ask a single Democrat to put a limit on abortion. Not one. That'll never happen. Hey, let's say it's not 9 months. When is it? Is it 8? Is it 7? Is it 6? And you'll find out really quickly who has a more reasonable policy. I'm just really disappointed that Fox News is doing this, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Nobody's talking about abortion. I read the headlines every day for the last 2 months.
Well, one person
other
is.
than Salon.
Fox News.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm validating your
No,
point.
it's
I haven't
remarkable.
heard anybody mention abortion.
I know.
How about
I'm
the
sorry,
illegals?
I was distracted looking for a fly on Mike Pence's hair.
Yeah.
Just see if that. Oh, yeah, that's.
No, his hair is actually just a bunch of deceased flies.
It's like
Really?
Madame Tussauds wax machines.
Oh, he's gagging at that.
They got him.
Any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
Oh, here we go.
Nobody gives a
Female
shit.
victim. You don't have a vagina, no opinion. Really?
She
All right, well,
sucks.
you know what? There's never been a male president, so you can't run.
Take leadership.
Hold on.
They can't have those.
Sorry, female president. Yeah.
You have to be honest with the
We have to
American
have
people.
a 15-week
All right,
limit.
let's get Governor Bergman for one minute here.
For anything.
So
do you really think you have a shot?
Yes. Overturn.
Yeah, what are you doing here,
Roe v.
stupid?
And the result of that decision was that it went
She looks
back
good.
to the states. So that's where it is right now. So
Look at that.
as I
Dracula.
understand it, you are not in favor.
Oh, there you go, Henry Winkler. There it is.
Yeah, he's the
What do you
Italian
say
Transylvania.
about the states? There's about 5 of them, including New Jersey, I think a few others, that allow abortion up until the time of birth, though. If you were president, would you
Should be
able
third
to
grade.
abide that?
What?
Well, first of all, I'm a
kidding,
pro-life
folks.
governor of a very pro-life state. And this issue is, of course, very important. But I am on the record, and I stand behind that we should not have a federal abortion ban. We should not. And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple.
There is
It's
no
the
federal
10th
abortion
Amendment
ban, though.
in the Constitution.
There is no
In the
federal abortion
Constitution.
ban.
No, he's saying that they're basically pushing for it. That's what the argument was with Nikki Haley and Mike Pence.
Right.
Pushing for a federal abortion ban. And he's saying, look, that's a states' rights issue.
Right.
He just pulled out a little Constitution. It was
He
actually a
did.
flask.
Oh, geez.
To the people. We need
Be tough
get
to drink
back
from with his
freedom
cleft
and liberty
palate.
for the people in this country.
That man owns no upper lip.
We can't have Republicans who fight for 50 years for this great cause
And win.
to return it back to the states, and then the next day they turn around and go, no, the feds should do that, because the feds are stepping into people's lives, they're stepping
agree.
into people's businesses over and over. If
And as
we
someone
say
who
that the
does
feds should be in on this one, where
view
do
it
we
as a
stop?
termination of a life, I also understand. This is the middle ground that people talked about, that Republicans need to take. It goes to the states. And I understand people making the argument, yeah, but murder is illegal on a federal level. I understand. But as far as what you can accomplish politically, this is about as good as you're going to get, and states can enact their laws. And they need to do a better job of doing that within their states. But this is not a fair question to talk
And also, credit where credit's due. Nick, you kind of nailed it with the flask Constitution. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I guess that's the...
But he can't purse his lip up against it. It'll just dribble right down to his underpants.
This is the guy out of all of them that's making me laugh that he's there tonight.
I know.
It's a Hutchinson.
Get out of there.
He's more left than friggin'
He is.
Just name a lefty.
Chris Christie.
Through the term. So they have their extreme position at a national level. It's most likely going to be addressed in the states, but it's certainly fine for
You
it to
say
be
we
addressed at
is
the
most
national.
likely going to be addressed? Well, is we
Arkansas.
is or is we ain't with the Confederacy?
I signed 30 pro-life pieces of legislation while I was governor.
30?
And
How many does
every
it take?
state
Right.
can
Exactly.
determine
I thought it was one.
Thank you.
and it is the most important issue for women and for the unborn child and for our country that we get this right.
Hold
gonna
on,
be
it's
a-
not just for women anymore, abortion.
That's true. That's true.
I'm telling you.
Men can have abortions, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, your prostate won't be the biggest fan of it, but
You don't even have to go to Planned Parenthood. You just play football with your buddies in the backyard, have a few beers, get blindsided, and Timmy ends up in the anyway the
Those
street.
things we've done in Arkansas and are important for our nation's future.
There are a
Oh,
lot
shut
of
up,
I don't know
Asa.
what was
Go back to
happening.
Pigtown.
we were just
didn't have
supposed to be
Walmart.
touch football, and Bobby ended up with a miscarriage. I don't know how that.
Or Bobby.
like California, New York, and Illinois have abortions
just-
on
I like Tim
demand.
Scott. He just didn't come to play.
Black people aren't boring. How do we pick a boring black guy?
It is wrong.
They're not.
always
They're not
boring.
boring.
I'm
One
funny
thing you can
black
say about
person
black
on the
people, they're
planet.
interesting people.
Yes.
Where do we find this fucking man?
Ben Carson was already taken.
Says our Creator gave us inalienable rights that include life. That is a list. That is an issue we must solve. We can't leave it to Illinois. We can't leave it to Minnesota.
Oh, come on. Yes, you can.
Why do you start talking
you
like
can.
Octavia Spencer when she cries?
I know.
We can't. I say.
He's doing the N-word talking.
He sounded like Hillary doing a black guy.
Are they for 38 weeks? Are they for 39
I'll
weeks?
go back
Are
to the
they for
women's
40
shelter,
weeks?
silly.
Because that's what the media needs to be asking.
All right, another issue is America.
Nikki Haley
and
got
the
it right.
crime
Ask the
crisis,
Dems.
The homelessness crisis.
Where's your
American
limit?
cities are in decline. People are moving out as
So are your
homelessness,
ratings.
drugs, crime move in. There are problems accelerated.
As drugs and crime
They
move in,
did it-
Mr. Scott, you know all about that. I'm just joshing you. Hey, Asa Hutchinson,
Murders
this
in
one's
Los
for you.
Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022.
I
Homelessness
love how they
is
blur
up
the face of the
11%.
homeless person out of
exactly.
respect for the homeless.
What is that?
Vice President
Wouldn't sign
Pence,
the-
a lot of this began in
Sir,
the
if you wouldn't
COVID
mind
era.
showing your ass crack next to the big gulp, don't worry, I'll blow your face.
happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns, and is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats have been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels. I mean, it's extraordinary to think about the violence that's claiming innocent lives literally every week in every major city in this country. And yet Democrats and liberal prosecutors in major metropolitan areas continue to to work out their fanciful agendas, to do bail reform and go easy. What we need is strong commitment.
It's bigger than that,
to law
Mike. It's a
enforcement.
cultural
We need
revolution.
leadership in Washington, D.C.
Honestly.
That'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources of the American
He's like
people.
Jiminy Cricket if I could stomp him.
Opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump
Well, he's talking. We want to bring up some of the Trump with Tucker interview. Can someone just give me some context? Because I'm flying blind. I have no idea what's coming up.
So I've got plenty of Trump stuff, just kind of feathering it in. So here's him talking about Gavin Newsom.
Oh, wonderful. That should be fun.
Bye, Mike.
Newsom.
There. Cool.
We're switching. It says Newsom.
3.
It says
2.
Give me more time.
A 1.
Keep cutting them. We have like 20.
Newsom. Guys, just give us the highlights. We don't need 20 clips. Don't cut all of it. Okay, Newsom.
They cut everything.
Newsom.
All right, well, let's go to Chris Christie because he's going to say something and his bees will be
around the country.
Talking about chicken cacciatore.
Blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation.
Quit coloring your hair.
Oh, this may be a layup for Chris Christie to sabotage himself because he's incredibly anti-gun.
I'm the only person, along with Governor Hutchinson, up on this stage who's actually running United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where there is significant urban
The oblong office.
And the problem
Did you
is
make
not
it the
gonna
5th
be
largest
solved
office?
by
Exactly.
more money.
It was a broom
It was
closet.
the 8th.
So you got
You got there.
These prosecutors
The West Wings.
in these
Oh, too many
localities
fact
in the
checks.
states
Bullshit.
are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what a President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general who would instruct each
If I'm not mistaken, why didn't Governor Christie, you guys fact check, bring this up for me, please, in Mission Control. Why didn't Governor Christie get rid of the waiting period? I believe it was 30 days, and there was a woman who actually had a restraining order out against her ex-husband, I believe, or maybe it was her current fiance, who ended up being killed because she needed a gun immediately. So when people say, why do you need a gun right away? Why can't you have a cooling down period? I don't know. Sometimes people need to purchase a firearm to defend themselves for a specific situation. Governor Christie was probably the most left, if I'm not mistaken, if there's a rating system, probably the worst Republican governor in the history of the Second Amendment. That's why he wants to talk about who he appointed.
Which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father. And then you have a Justice Department that walks away from those charges.
In your case, Waddle.
People that the law doesn't apply to everybody. In a Christie administration, he would go to jail for 10 years.
What about a President Ramaswamy? What does a
Let's see what he
President
has.
All right, good.
Ramaswamy
Going back to
do
Ramaswamy.
about guns?
So the reality is we have a crime wave in this country and we know how to fix it. The question is, do we actually have the spine to do it? More cops in the streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a mental health epidemic in this country. Yes. Just over the same period that we have closed mental health institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will. But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel. It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role
really
here
reached
too.
for old.
We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this as a member of my generation. The problem in our country right now, the reason we have that mental health epidemic, is that people are so hungry for purpose and meaning at a time when family, faith, patriotism, hard work have all disappeared. What we really need is a tonal reset from the top, saying that this is what it means to be an American. Yes, we will stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in.
Boom! Fit it in there. Good. Thug life moment. First guy to fit in immigration.
Because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
Governor DeSantis, really quickly. Governor DeSantis.
Let's see what he says. Hold on.
We don't have an identity crisis with that. We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, hardworking people the world has ever known. We just need government as good as our people.
We don't need government, period, stupid.
Some others, like you may have on the stage, it's Morning in America speech. It is not Morning in America. We live in a dark moment, and we have to confront the fact that we're in an internal.
Good. And by the way, if you go back to Ronald Reagan, everyone acts like Ronald Reagan was just shining city on a hill. No, at the beginning of his campaigns, he talked about where they were in that country. When he smoked Carter, he talked about the dark days of America and then transitioned into a plan. Mike Pence is delusional. That does not resonate with the American public, and certainly not people who will vote for a Republican. Let me hear Ramaswamy.
Florida Governor DeSantis. How do you stop?
Follow that act, DeSantis.
Crime's at a 50-year low in Florida. We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing.
Brett was too ready with
These
that.
hollowed out cities, this is
Gerald, I
a
noticed
symptom
that.
of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not.
Yeah, we
gonna
all know that. What are you going to do about it?
They disagree with the inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that. Me.
That is true.
We had two of these
That is
district
true.
attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job. I removed them from their posts. They are gone.
Boom. He needs to lean
Boom.
on that.
Good Thug Life moment.
Yep.
We'll need some refills on the beers because I know I'm out. That's right. You need some.
burnt my tongue on
all
the
of these
4 more
people
beers, please.
because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing
Five
innocent
beers.
people in every corner of this country, and it will stop when I get into
Okay,
office.
you were right on Chris Christie. It was a 30-day waiting period, and there was a woman who was killed while waiting on her gun permit for
And
protection.
how
They
old
had
is
that up
that?
there. I
I'm
just
bringing
needed
that
to
from
come
Rope.
back.
That's probably what is that? That's going back to Obama
that
days.
That is 2000 and actually
2015.
A second ago. 15. Yeah,
2015.
So good job, guys.
Get sick,
Thank you,
everybody
guys.
comes together and helps them get the crop
Excuse me,
off.
Dracula's talking.
Accountability, there's transparency. One thing that I think this country
One
could
vote.
use.
Nikki, I want to suck your blood.
Understand small town values
He
because
was
that's
laying
our
down. He
road
just
to get this country on track again.
we can do it in North
Want me to
Dakota.
just right
Look
there?
at that smile.
Yeah, you.
As former head of the DEA,
Look how dark-
I understand the drug crisis in America. And
I
right
just
now,
want to be president. Is that too much to ask? Hey guys, I'm doing my best.
there's three simple words that would be helpful. One, enforce the law when it comes to
Asa
crime.
looks like what Mike
Secondly,
Pence is going to
let's
look like
deal
in
with
another
the
15
challenge
years.
of fentanyl. And it's
Depending on
both
top bags.
about
He has
stopping
eyes like those white
fentanyl
rats.
coming
You
from Mexico.
White woman.
Does, yes.
know what I mean? The white rats where they have like the eyes that are inflamed.
They're red.
Beady and
Yeah, but he looks like they're
Yeah.
probably red.
Yes.
Usually.
And he has a tail.
Yeah, he does. Well, that's really more of a growth of the coccyx bone, tailbone, but these are medical terms that you need to
Coxeye?
concern your-
Yes.
He's saying right now, I can move my left hand thanks to balance of
in our
nature.
inner cities. As president of the United States, that
Look at
will
me.
stop.
I couldn't do this
It
Wednesday.
starts at the top with
I
the
rubbed one
respect
out
for
today
our
in the
justice
fucking,
system
apple
that a former
steps.
See, he has
president
eyes like
who's
that rat.
under indictment has undermined by attacking judges, by attacking prosecutors, by attacking the
This is
system,
weak. I'm
and
sorry.
saying
That looks
he's
creepy.
aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for
Now,
our
seriously,
justice.
we're not like he isn't actually paralyzed on his right side, right? Like we're not just joking about something.
No, I don't
or
think so.
He's just a bit of an asshat who refuses to remove to move his right arm at all.
No, he's like a hip hop guy. He's grabbing his balls.
Where former President
I'm
Donald
saying?
Trump
Ow,
will be
drink.
processed tomorrow.
The big
So
Cypress
next,
Hill
the
fan.
candidates will have an opportunity to talk about the
All right,
coming
they're going to a
trials.
break. It looks like.
That's
All right.
Fulton County, that
So-
street?
Well, really quick, what were you about to say there,
I was
Joe?
about to say we can go to another Trump clip if you want to, or if you want to provide something of commentary there. He was basically saying at the federal level we're going to stop these smash and grabs. I'm like, really? How? Because that's a state issue that you have to deal with, and really it's a city issue that you have to deal with, and you have to get these stupid Democrats to have better policies in these cities where these things are occurring. That's not a federal send in the police thing because you don't have a police that you should be sending in.
I think you're right, but really quickly, we should probably go to, since we have a break here, some of your content where you were down there in Milwaukee. What we're about to see here first is you spent some time. This is, if I'm not mistaken,
Exclusive on the ground
with
footage.
Carrie Lake and other candidates.
Yep.
Yeah, catcher for the Brewers.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's.
We got the Chris Christie ad.
Well, actually, there's a
behind the
new
scenes
campaign
one.
ad from
Yeah.
Chris Christie that's right before that. If you want to hit that.
So it's right before his original.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. We have a new Chris Christie ad that we have the exclusive here at Louder with Crowder. Of course, you can join MugClub, louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub. And then Gerald was there on location in Milwaukee, and you can see the answers that we got from some of these candidates.
Chris Christie.
I can't guarantee you success in what I'm about to do.
For the working man.
You're going to get some straight talk from New Jersey.
For the truth.
Bag of M&M's. Right? Donald Trump doesn't even have this at games.
Because the truth matters.
If you are in search of the perfect candidate, it is time to leave. I am not it. We're going to be small, or are we going to be big? And that's why I came back to tell all of you that I intend to seek the Republican nomination for President of the United States in 2024, and I want your support.
Chris Christie. You make good cookies.
Carrie Lake has decided to join us. Carrie, thank you very much for being here.
It's so good to be back on and to be in beautiful Milwaukee. Wow, they've done a great job with this city.
Absolutely. We were talking about this, I believe, earlier in the year, and I said, look, the best possible scenario is 4 more years of Donald Trump and then 8 years of DeSantis at the time, because I thought, just stay out of it. Donald Trump is going to go and become president again.
And you thought
Just
that
stay out of
DeSantis
it.
would be smart enough.
I thought he would be, right? And that would be good for him. And the thing that people liked about DeSantis, he's not been doing any of that. It's almost like he's taking kind of that Mitt Romney turn that cost him to change when he was facing off against Barack Obama. And it's like, don't go be who they want you to be. But I do believe that President Trump will be victorious at this debate, even though he's not even there. I don't know that there's any point in him coming to some of these debates. I don't think that people are going to suspend their campaigns because they are banking on President Trump either running out of money, running out of support, or just not wanting to deal with it. I don't think any of those things are going to happen. So good luck with that.
Well, he's never going to run out of support. The people who love President Trump love him, and they will vote for him no matter where he is. They could try to lock him up, they'll still vote for him.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, he's already won the debate. I have been doing interviews for the last couple of weeks about the debate, and not once has anybody asked me about the other candidates. It's all questions about Trump.
Yeah.
You wake up, you turn the news on, it's about Trump. And how brilliant for him to do an interview with Tucker Carlson. The two people that Fox hates the most right now are President Trump and Tucker Carlson. And tomorrow, when Fox wants everybody talking about the Little League game they're going to hold in here, tomorrow everyone's going to be talking about Trump and Tucker. And Tucker, who can be a tough interview. I don't think he's going to do a softball interview.
No, he's been critical of President Trump before. So.
But President Trump will be able to get out his ideas for turning this country around and how he sees us saving ourselves on the world stage, because we are marching toward World War III. That is the backdrop of what's happening, by the way. And they want us distracted with all these other things. Meanwhile, the world has been destabilized and we're heading toward World War III. And hopefully they talk about some of these issues, because I think we're going to find out there's a lot of warmongers in there. One of the main reasons they want to bring Trump down is he is a truth teller and a peacemaker. He didn't start any wars, and that makes the military-industrial complex, which has a lot of control in this world, that makes them very upset.
Very upset. And less rich. Because
There's no money in peace, but there's trillions to be made in war. And President Trump is about peace.
Absolutely. Well, really quickly, final question. Can you fast forward a little bit to President Trump winning the nomination, selecting a vice president? Who do you think that could be, and where do you see yourself going next? And maybe those two things are tied together. I'm not saying they are. Listen, I'm not leading the witness. I'm just saying.
I think that, in a year or so when he does choose his vice president, President Trump is very smart. He'll look at where things are, and he'll say, I need help with this group, with that group in this state, and he will pick an incredible vice president. And whoever he picks, I will vote for enthusiastically. In the meantime, I'm seriously giving it consideration to jump into the U.S. Senate race in Arizona.
Very nice.
We have 2 Democrats running, one who just announced that she's going to act like an independent, even though she's voted with Joe Biden 93% of the time. And we have an opportunity to pick up a seat and finally get an America First senator in the U.S. Senate, one who's actually going to do work for the people. And so I'm considering that. I'll be making a decision in the next couple months. I just wrote a book, Unafraid. It's a great book. If you haven't seen it, get it. It's a page turner. In typical fashion, I throw a few punches.
I would expect nothing less.
And I have a few other things that I'm working on right now in my personal life, but I'm really giving that serious consideration, because we have an opportunity to get a great senator in Arizona who will serve the people of Arizona in Washington, D.C.
I love it. If you end up running, I want a button, and let us know. Let us know what you're doing. We'd love to stay in touch with you. But thank you very much for making some time with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And thank you to the audience out there.
Okay, we are back to the debate. Bring it up there in the lower quadrant. Toolman and Nick DiPaolo is with me. His show is on MugClub, LetOsCrowder.com/MugClub.
Yeah.
You get $10 off with the promo code Crowder GOP debate. Hey, what do you get? You get Nick DiPaolo. You get Alex Jones. You get the Hodge Twins coming soon. You get Brian Callen. You get Guns and Gear. You get our Friday show. You get double the show every single day. You get the investigative unit. It does not exist without your support at MugClub. No corporate donors. Like these pack puppets. Nick DiPaolo is going to be also Rob's Comedy Playhouse. I'm sorry, what a terrible name. But it's a very, very good venue, September 16th, nickdip.com. They have their hands up like they're kindergartners.
15th. It's September
15th. I'm sorry, Nick. It has nothing to do with the Sicilian.
Don't worry, it's going to be packed no matter what you say, Steve.
Booing is allowed.
I think it's 11 rooms.
But it
11
doesn't
seats.
change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
He's talking about cholesterol.
I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century.
Bug life moment. I'm not finishing my drink, though, but you guys bring up the drinking game rules so everyone can see them.
Yeah, that's just a drink.
That's just a drink. I can't finish my drink. It was just filled.
You understand how much good he just did for himself?
Trump is mentioned January 28th.
Hold on.
January 6th. All right.
Okay.
We need this.
He's continuing the thug.
Him or Carrie Lake is the VP pick for Trump.
Yeah,
that's my call.
A vision for this country. They could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States.
Point.
We're
Point that dark brown
and
finger.
We cannot set a precedent where
Like
the
the guy in
party in power
Seinfeld.
uses police force. To
Christie, you are very, very bad man.
in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
You tell me to go to debate on Fox, but nobody comes. Do you see people? Where are people? There are no people.
What did he just say, this fat fuck?
That he's not paying for his buffet.
You sit here and answer.
You sit everywhere.
No, don't bail him out, Martha. You let him wallow.
Exactly.
Let him deal with those boos. Let it reverberate into his sloppy soul.
Brett's lecturing the crowd.
Oh my!
Talk
All
about
right, this you should drink.
They're done, man. Fox is hurting himself.
Yeah, moderate. Moderator
You
interrupted.
sit here talking about
Drink.
how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not
It's
true.
very true. I read it, and I know.
You
ate it.
That behavior
Quote
in
it,
your behavior,
bitch.
Chris, and you as a
By the way,
prosecutor should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I
Quote
know
it,
a lot
Dom
of-
DeLuise.
Behavior.
Look at, he's not
I know
taking
a lot
any of
better
it.
than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance
Paul
the
Lynn
interests of
reference. I
this
felt like I was being
government,
left out.
except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing: we've stood up for law and
He's in
order.
his 30s,
I did it as
Chris.
U.S. attorney.
You
I did
didn't
it as-
stand up to a waiting period and people got killed in your state. You stand up to no one, Chris Christie. If nothing else tonight, please let his giant bubble be burst as far as the tough talk and straight from the hip. Everything about that man
That's
is
not true.
phony.
I saw him stand up to the managers at Arby's. They showed him.
You said you have the beef.
The Constitution.
Why go?
Now, the
That's why
votes
they
you
advertise that
take
now. I
is
know.
to preserve, protect.
He's
and
going to hang
defend,
himself right here.
not
Watch.
suspend
Well, you need to
Show me the rope.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to reinforce
It's a cable.
rope.
It's got to be cable.
political pressure.
We have another
It's gotta be an
question
old
for you.
bike
I'm
rack.
going to get everyone in on this issue, but I have
Martha,
another
stand
question.
up and
I have
spin
another
around.
question. Hold on, you will. All right. So
God damn it, get an ass like a
President
nectarine.
Trump's
Let's see it.
former vice president is on this stage tonight. He has faced hecklers on the campaign trail over his actions
Look at
on
this
January
wooden
the
puppet.
6th.
January
On that
6th.
day, the vice
How
president
do you feel about termites,
moved
Mike?
forward with the certification
Yeah, January
of the
6th.
election.
I think
So
Geppetto
do you-
had a weekend with Pinocchio and Mike Pence happened.
Oh, God.
Did the right thing
On Temptation
Senator Scott,
Island.
Do you believe he did the right thing?
Absolutely. He did the right thing. Number one.
Oh, you sucked him.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll
That's a
do
good thing.
is
Good.
fire Merrick Garland. Secondly,
Defund the FBI. Whoever here
Christopher-
tonight says disband the FBI, our intelligence agencies and build anew is the guy who should win this debate. I've said that's a close-handed issue for me. You cannot save this country without disbanding our intelligence agencies who are political propaganda and hit artist wings. Yeah.
Justice.
Well, how can you say
Here's
Mike
why.
Pence did the
We
right
keep
thing
seeing
and then say
not
go after
only
the Department of
weaponization
Justice?
of the
It's kind of
Department of Justice
contradictory.
against political opponents, but also against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called under this DOJ.
Now that's clever. That's how Glenn Youngkin won his election.
That's right.
He talked about the critical race theory. He talked about the white privilege. He talked about the transgender bathrooms. And people always say those social issues don't work. Guess what? They won Youngkin a governorship in a very, very blue state. So this is, some people say this is ill-advised. Don't listen to those people. Those people are morons.
His homes with guns drawn because this DOJ uses their power, uses their authority, not just against political opponents, but against conservatives and conservative causes. It is time for a change in America.
Well said, Mr.
And
Scott.
I will bring that change to the greatest
Oh, don't
nation
do that.
on God's green earth.
He did go a little bit, and I will bring.
Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th.
So here's what we need to do.
We need to
January 6th,
end
drink.
the weaponization of these federal agents.
Disband them. Come on, someone, grow some balls here. Disband the FBI. Comment. I'd love to see your chat in Mug Club. But let's put out a poll. Do you think we need you to? You right now, millions of people out there, whether you're following me, whether you're hundreds of thousands who are watching right now across all of our platforms, you are a sample group. Do you want your candidate, the Republican candidate, to run on the platform of disbanding our intelligence agencies? They want you to think that you're an extremist. I think it's most of you. Let's put out a poll.
Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win in November 2024.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice President, is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty.
You were inconsistent in your answer, and here's the thing. It's not about just defending. We're no longer a nation. Look, I want to take a second.
Constitution
yes,
right now, right?
Exactly. You are no longer a nation or a candidate defending the Constitution. What you are doing is trying to undo a president, and by the way, you're really talking about 12 years, 8 years of Obama and 4 of Biden, then there were 4 in between, 3 really, of someone wiping their ass with the Constitution. You're not defending something anymore. You're trying to reinstitutionalize the Constitution. You are trying to ensure that you reinvigorate the American people to understand. You have an entire generation of people who do not understand, or if they do, they don't care about the Constitution. You are no longer in defense mode. You need to be in attack mode. You need to be in rebuild mode. And that's why Mike Pence should disappear into obscurity. He's not talking to the American public, and certainly not the voting base, as far as where they are at this period in time. This is, when you wonder about the donor class, ask yourself about Mike Pence. If Tucker Carlson didn't do what he did with Mike Pence, guess what? He would still be a darling to a lot of the conservative donor media class. And I say this as a you can go back to 2008 on YouTube. No one has a track record longer than me of being a conservative, pretty much basic bitch, pumpkin spice conservative across the board. But the messaging now is different when you are at a point in this country. It is a turning point, and people like Mike Pence are out to lunch.
Consistent with RNC rules.
Chat's hitting us up. They're saying disband like crazy.
Yep. But let's put out a poll on Twitter. And
we are, yeah.
Martha, can I answer the question?
Can I get in on that?
No.
I'd like to answer.
I've already been in on it, Vice President Pence.
All right. I'd like to
That's his tough moment. Hey, hang on.
And not give a prepared speech. Mike Pence stood for the Constitution, and he deserves not grudging credit. He deserves our thanks as Americans for putting his oath of office and the Constitution of the United States before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument that we need to have in this party before we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution
attacking Trump.
to put forward his
There you go.
political
Attack
career.
Donald Trump. I don't think you're going to like how this goes, Hot Shot.
I give him credit, but I mean, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what do you think he's going to gain from saying that? You look at the polls. Trump's what?
He has advisors telling him that
everybody.
He should be a Romney type.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that. But what I will also tell you is, look, I mean,
no, what he needs are some lifts in his shoes.
When it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide.
The American people don't trust their vote. We have that poll. It's a significant portion of Americans, including, by the way, Democrats, who don't believe that their vote is secure or that it's counted properly. They're speaking to people who aren't there. This is the problem with the donor class. This is where Vivek is going to pick up some steam. The GOP, do you want a puppet candidate saying the American people have to trust their vote? They already don't. Talk to those people. They're tuning in right now. They're looking for a reason to give you their vote. Are you man enough or woman enough, Nikki Haley, to take it?
She's both.
You have the balls to take
January
it.
6th. But I would say you started off the top of this hour saying we're going to talk about China, Ukraine, education.
I lowered the crime in Transylvania by 40%.
And every minute that these 8
Go
candidates
smack a
spend,
jukebox.
Impalings were up 75%, but
Hey, Groucho wants his eyebrows back. Listen.
the garlic harvest is raped.
promised we were going to spend a few questions
Just the
on it.
suits
Let
are
people say what
unoriginal.
they wanted to
I know.
say. And now, indeed, we are moving on to the subject.
The U.S. has committed nearly 77.
Can I speak on this issue?
You did say something.
Yeah.
We thought you were done, but please.
They were talking about him, right?
Well, Mike, why don't you say this? Join me in making a commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's see what they say. Listen.
How we move our nation forward
I don't know
and
why
turn the
you
page
assume
forward.
that
That's
Donald
exactly
Trump
right.
will be convicted of these crimes.
You should be able to make a commitment. The same justice system that was this
Vivek,
corrupt.
here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons. As governor of the state of Indiana, it usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I'm
that's political talk.
Yeah.
You suck. You know, it's not about looking back at.
It was our man on the ground up there.
2021. It's about January 20th, 2017.
By the way, drink.
I put my left hand on Ronald
January
Reagan's
31st,
Bible.
my
I raised
birthday.
my right hand. And I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, boy.
And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people,
More like a statement.
but I also made it.
That's not really a prayer.
Just saying.
I made it to my Heavenly Father.
Kind of a demand to the Lord.
Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same.
There's
If
your
they
oath.
earn this job and the confidence of the American people.
A vice president?
All an oath.
Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped
He's a bitch, girl.
that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversy
Let me tell you about Men's Warehouse.
had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law. And President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to.
Bring back up the drinking
And we
game
will
rules
make
really
sure and
quickly for
extend
people who
that
aren't
to
familiar.
him.
We're playing
But the
right now,
American
and
people deserve
please
to
don't get
know-
alcohol poisoning. Just pick a light beer. Anytime Trump is mentioned, January 6th or 2020, moderator interrupts a candidate. Any thug life moment, and you finish your drink anytime a candidate mentions a Democrat other than Biden.
Exercised or taken.
We'll also add anti-thug life moment, meaning a low light, which is pretty much every time Mike Pence speaks.
How about if Martha has a wardrobe malfunction?
I had no right to overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right
That'll
to
be the halftime
overturn
show.
the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President.
Oh, yes. That's a little presumptuous if the guy is you.
He said leave it to the American people. That's what they were doing on January 6th.
To the Ukraine war.
You're right, in my opinion.
The administration is
it
now
doesn't get
asking
any more.
Congress
No, I understand. Yeah.
more. Regardless of that, the
Let's hear
specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support
Can I chime in on this?
the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
Pence.
We would not support it.
Europe needs to step up. I mean,
Vivek's got his hand up.
Hey, Ron, it's a raise your hand question.
Can I ask you why they have Dallas Cowboy logos across the podium?
Because they're America's
Well,
team.
because McCallum was a cheerleader.
Is a good answer. Good answer.
not doing that.
not support
and I think
more
we need
funding?
to do. And I
Excuse
think
me,
our
Paul Lynn is
support should be
talking.
contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China, to be able to take China and do what we need to do.
Let me
with
raise
China.
my finger.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous.
There you go.
Good.
He's kicking ass.
Good. Point that finger.
Somebody else's border when we should
Pretty
use
thug
those
life.
same military
Yeah, thug life,
resources
drink.
to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States
Boom.
of America.
Boom, drink. What did I say at the beginning of this? Bring in immigration. That was a winning issue for Donald Trump. It's still a winning issue, by the way, for that base who voted for Donald Trump. People in the
100%.
Rust Belt and people in
Build the
states who
wall.
experienced that with the southern border. It's the one area where you can pick up some of the left pieces of Donald Trump. People say, you know what? He didn't really deliver on his promise. I will finish what Donald Trump
I
started.
think people in New York and Chicago and Martha's Vineyard are starting to
They might
experience
have strong
that problem
opinions
a little
about
bit
that.
because we shipped them to you.
Vivek is 4 for 5 with 3 triples and a home run.
I don't understand the sports reference, but I understand that's good, correct?
By making America strong.
I thought I was sitting next to Diane Carroll. What?
Sorry. Look, I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine.
Hold on, listen to
because
this.
I wanted to see for myself
If the cabbage was
what
fresh.
Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. If every one of them was filled, there would still
That's
be
climate change right there.
2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been
I hate him,
abducted,
and I hate everything he stands for, but he's
from their
pretty good
mothers
at a debate.
and fathers
I gotta say.
and brought
Christie?
Yeah.
No.
No, I hate what he says. I don't agree with any of it.
Out of your mind.
Let me just say this.
talking about?
Let me just say this. Chris Christie decided he wanted to go over and see President Zelensky. Right? No, don't worry. Just put him anywhere.
We have a new intern PA. By the way,
he's
been
doing a
very
good job.
helpful. Yeah.
Look, he's got Tourette's. Quit
Don't
picking
worry.
up.
It's the good Tourette's, though, the funny kind.
Careful, you might appear in media.
Got Lou Gehrig bringing out refreshments to us.
Take him to a Yankees game. You'll be your best friend.
Tonight. I had to serve beers. To a
lot of crowd.
Chris Christie right now is lying through his teeth. He didn't go over there to see what was happening firsthand on the ground. We have media
Also,
reports
food
for
stuck
that,
in
Chris
him.
Christie. You understand what's going on by hearing. Look, I get it. Maybe you think that there's a little bit more to the story. You went over there because you have a campaign that is faltering. And your only path to victory is to stay relevant somehow. By the way, he
went to
doesn't
Ukraine?
need lyrics to John Bon Jovi to put next to the freaking Oscar that Sean Penn left over there.
Yeah.
That's not going to help them win a war. Don't lie and use something that is absolutely tragic to get your campaign off the ground.
Do you know what
gas bag?
Do you know why else? Do you know the other reason why he went to
Gas bag.
Ukraine?
Watch your language.
Because he had to go there because he endorsed the government, Barack Obama, by the way, who installed a puppet government in Ukraine, just to be clear. Not saying that Russia is right. Putin, dick. Okay, I understand it. But let's not act as though Ukraine is a bastion of freedom and democracy. Let's go back. Oh, look, he's making the quintessential Indian face, which I don't even care. Good for him, Ramaswamy.
And the Russians back out into Russia.
I want to just briefly address Pence.
They're all dressed the
Vice
same.
President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Slug life.
And the real communists
That's very similar to Barack Obama, though, with Mitt Romney, where he said, now the Cold War called, they want their policy back.
Has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Am I imagining this, or is Mike Pence defending funding Ukraine in a proxy war?
Yep.
Yes.
To the Does he think that's what the Republican voters want right now? Is that what you want? You comment. By the way, hit like if you think that's a horrible tack to take.
It's what the neocons do.
Yep.
Communist China. And we are driving Russia further into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance
And they're very
is the
small.
single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party's talking about it. And I am the only
Let the Indian finish.
Keep us out of war.
Mr. Vice President.
Moderators interrupting. Drink.
Yep.
We're far too good at these drinking games. We have to scale it back.
Ukraine will never be in NATO, and then somehow
Mr. Vice President.
China will not think about taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice
Which is
President.
arming Taiwan.
Okay. Here we go.
Am I right?
Yes. Everyone in the Republican Party believes that Taiwan should be armed, should be protected. That's something that makes sense. Ukraine, Russia, I'm sorry, it's not our fight. In Ukraine, you want to be in NATO? Guess what? You have a bunch of back payments. Yep.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is that today, Ukraine is not a priority for the United States of America. And I think that the same
booing the
people who
moderator.
took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
All right, so what I'll just
Someone play the theme from Homeland every time he appears.
China and Russia do not have a military alliance. That's a very unlikely alliance to have. Right now, they have somewhat of an economic China and Russia.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have a military. I think he said that either misspoke or he says that often. Maybe he's assuming that will happen.
He means
down the
to
road.
say
don't have
that
it yet.
they have a vested interest in
They
each
gotta
other
be
at this
talking
point.
about it.
It's like a friendship agreement.
Friendship.
That's what I hear.
That's a little Mortal Kombat for you.
Territorial dispute. Why? First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They
I hope
need
so.
to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5%.
A pro-American country? You mean the only other country in that sector of the world that hosts drag shows?
If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine
Nikki,
is
the guys need a sandwich.
So what do you do? Tell me what you do, Nikki. Come on. Give me the answer.
Look, here's what people don't want to say. They want to say, pro-America and international relations, and of course this is our okay, are you willing to go to war? And by the way, $135 billion. This is the only time in history where you can spend more than many countries' GDP in assisting a war and claim that you are not in a war.
Right.
Just to be clear, the world views it as the United States being engaged in this war. You may not like it, you may not agree with that, but that is true. And I understand the arguments regarding Ukraine and Russia. I understand it. But when you actually look at the amount of money spent, and I understand that's a drop in the bucket compared to the Inflation Reduction Act. I get that. But again, it is the principle of, do we want to be the country who is involved in proxy wars with countries who, by the way, she just said pro-American. That's not true about Ukraine. Certainly not true about Zelensky. That is complete and total horseshit. That's neocon talking points. Let's go back.
And you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this
Ooh,
lie.
catfight.
You've been pushing this lie all week,
He
Nikki.
just called her a fake Indian bitch.
Okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those.
They're all going up to Vivek.
Of course, they have to.
Grab her hand.
Swat it.
Stop hitting yourself.
America less safe. You have no
Oh,
foreign policy.
don't let her
experience,
overtalk you.
And you know what?
She will.
The foreign policy experience and the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies.
Boom. Thug life
I love
moment.
that they have a
He is
national
bringing it to
identity
immigration, which
and an
was
iron
the
dome to
singular
protect
winning
them.
issue for Donald Trump in 2016. Got away from it a little bit. He knows what he's doing.
No, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland, Nikki.
Nikki, I said mustard, not mayonnaise on it.
Okay, Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial dispute.
I just want him, when she's pointing at him, he goes, "You know, damn it, tell me to point."
President of the United States, your first
so
obligation
upset. Protect the American
is to
people.
defend our country and its people.
Yes.
And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people who are being killed because
Bullshit.
I know.
Bullshit.
What
Look,
a
I'm
joke.
going to go by rote here, and please bring it up. I think you probably have this in the Build a Wall, Change My Mind. I think the most generous estimate, if I'm not mistaken, for the wall being built, as Donald Trump originally proposed it, would have been about $20 billion. I think some people tried to say it was $40 billion, but the average somewhere was around $20 billion. And illegal immigrants cost the American taxpayer an average of $116 billion a year. So if you're talking about, let's call it $40 billion. Let's use the salon sources as Governor Christie and Nikki Haley want to use themselves. They're using these talking points today from the far left. Okay, $116 billion is what's cost to the American public, okay, the American taxpayer every single year. $40 billion. Compare that to the amount of money pledged to Ukraine. That's what it would cost to secure the border physically. Of course, we need better policies as well, like deportation, no more Dreamer Act, no more amnesty. We need all those things in conjunction. But the point is, it is a drop in the bucket when you're talking about securing the American people. So when people say this is a very small number in comparison to our deficit, to our spending, but it's a very large number, $135 billion dedicated to Ukraine in comparison to what it would cost to at least secure our border. That's why Republican voters don't like these people, just to be clear. Secure our borders first, and then maybe you can make a case to be a neocon foreign policy hawk.
And not with the wall, with the military.
All of the above.
I'm serious.
Yeah, he wants turrets. It's like Congo for him.
I want landmines. They work beautiful.
I want it booby-trapped like Kevin McAllister's uncle's New York apartment.
I'm serious, though. When they bring up a wall, I laugh, even when Trump brings it up. Really?
But we need
the
all of the
strongest
above.
military on earth. Come
Yes,
on.
but we need a wall first.
Why?
Then you put people on the wall if you have to.
Oh, this is yours. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Plug the
In
hole.
that case, put a fence up 3 feet up.
Research.
It's the guns and flamethrowers that keep people out, not the goddamn wall.
The most liberal estimates values it at $21 billion.
$21 billion. Yeah, $21 billion, $116 billion cost.
Yeah, but Trump wants to Z-brick it, so it's going to go up.
They like sending money over to Ukraine
Like the Green Monster.
to prolong a war.
Yes, to prolong a war while the American
What's your
public is
endgame,
struggling.
Haley?
Yeah.
What's Dracula talking about?
But Biden administration wanted to put 87,000 people in the IRS as opposed to giving the money in this for what we need to our own border patrol.
Okay.
Well done, Mr. Brigham.
Thank you for letting me talk again, guys.
Thank you, Lugosi.
Thanks for reminding the people I'm here.
Fire
Yes.
the 87,000
My foot
IRS
hurts.
agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago.
By the way, he's going to get fact-checked on that, just to be clear, and just don't be fooled by this tomorrow. They'll say, Tim Scott, it's not 85,000 IRS agents. It's 80-something thousand new IRS employees. They're not officially agents. Who cares? It doesn't matter. A bunch of pencil-pushing, pencil-necked pussies with Glocks. It's still a problem.
He was in Yuma, Arizona. Apparently forgot the sunblock. Listen,
Our national security watch list have been caught at our border. How many have not been caught at our southern border?
I think he was was about 350 to Yuma.
350.
We could finish the wall. For $5 billion more, we could have the military-grade technology to surveil our southern border to stop the
Thank
flow
you,
of
military.
Hold on. I don't want to look at them crossing illegally. I
want to stop them.
What are we doing?
You have to see them before you shoot them.
I want a laser wall that vaporizes them.
Oh, yes.
Government.
I want super soakers filled with cat piss.
They'll turn around.
Petty. What if they have cuts?
That's very cheap. I'm saving them money. You ever get sprayed with cat? Oh.
It would also solve our feral cat problem in our inner cities.
That's exactly right.
It's a 2-for-1.
We're killing it right now.
Oh, Dracula's talking about
300 people a day. We're taking mass casualties, and that's a statistic, but these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews that we're losing.
Talking about fentanyl.
Talking about R. Kelly.
Down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations. They've got better funding on their side than we've got on our side.
He did say trans. He has to be
Done a nice job, this guy.
He's done a valiant effort.
Seriously, for the little time he gets.
Mexico,
Vice President Pence, images from earlier this month.
We secured
It really doesn't help. I'm asking a question. Earlier this month.
And all he does is smirk. Is it just me, or does Mike Pence, is he acting like he has this in the bag?
He does. He's delusional.
He really is.
Okay. What's Richard Pryor doing in the paper?
Would you
I was starting to cross the border. This shit crazy. Ain't there some shit? Cocaine.
Force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to
I was
protect
crossing
the
the
border.
border, and then fentanyl had me lost my goddamn mind, man.
Military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes. This is
What
not
would you
unusual.
know about that?
Whenever I was in the Bush administration, we went down there and met.
Oh, that's a ringing endorsement.
He looks like he's in a hockey rink right now.
His help and going.
Hey guys, you remember when I didn't do a dang thing to stop the problem because it's terrible today?
That's true. Add the mustache. What's the name of that actor? Was the owner in Slapshot?
Yes.
They came out here to see the RNC. Not this bunch of pussies. The toughest candidates in the Federal League.
Oh my God, it's perfect.
Bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both
How we
sides.
dealt with this in Arkansas was we didn't have it.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Mexico like he lives in Texas.
Limited in its
We
use.
dealt with it for you. Yeah, Asa.
You know, in Little Rock,
We had
there was
the
two
global
Mexicans
war on
starting
terror.
some shit.
You know what I did with that?
I put a stop to that in a hurry. I took away the
I said, don't start nothing.
Any idea the damage they can do with a toothbrush and a bent back paperclip?
Exactly.
Sending U.S.
Silverado.
Special Forces over
Martha,
the
you look
border
terrific. Did I mention that 12
into
times?
Mexico to take out fentanyl labs,
Take
to
off your
take
top.
out drug cartel operations.
Yes.
Do you support that kind of American
Yes.
military?
Look at him, like somebody
Yes.
smelled the
And I
fire.
will do it on day one.
100%.
Here's the thing.
Special forces to take out fentanyl labs.
I will say Ron DeSantis has answered very clearly
Yes,
on
he
this
has.
question before, where he said, no, I will not support amnesty whatsoever. He's been very clear about that. He just needs to be clear in this debate.
A part of your southern border, we have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming
Against
across,
the globalists.
yes, we're gonna use
Finish the
lethal force.
sentence.
Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a
Nice
lady
tits.
in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet
Sally's Angels.
that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are bringing in. So as president, would I use force? Would I treat them as foreign terrorist organizations? You're darn right I would.
Does that mean bombing them?
Would have been great if not for the "you're darn right I would." I'm sorry, that's just not a good way to frame it.
No,
you're darn tootin'. You're darn tootin'. El Chapo?
Yeah.
El Chapo, I have a little something for you. And guess what? It's not snack time.
Right, that should have been a Thug Life.
I'm not.
moment,
It's
but
an Apache.
not.
Fentanyl, could it be Satan?
I'm not talking malarkey.
Yes. I don't want any more of your tomfoolery. Okay? This isn't the local town hall hootenanny.
You know, Jill had some fentanyl in the kitchen.
It was awesome.
She was cooking it, and there was a fire.
That's been eloquently described here as
This guy's a mannequin at Sears.
Tragedy across this country. But Martha, you began this
which closed
evening talking about who is best prepared to be the next president of the United
He
States.
keeps wanting to go to prepared because he was vice president.
I
And
know.
you sucked.
What did you do
And
as
you
a president?
sucked.
You went to
Because you know where
funerals.
the room is.
It's
doesn't
like saying,
matter.
I played in the professional league, right, and you were dead last and you scored nothing.
Around the clock. I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy on behalf of the president
say he
of the United
rocked around
States.
the
And
clock?
Asa, you're so right. It's because we used
Oh my God, he's
economic
agreeing with
pressure
Asa. Here's how to
bring
back
the
yourself.
Mexicans to the table, and they allowed us to have people wait in Mexico while they applied for asylum and ended asylum abuse overnight. We got the Mexicans to deploy their National Guard to their southern border and to
It's their
our
northern
southern border.
Trump
as
did,
never
stupid.
Before, and I want to promise you, as President of the United States of America, I will engage Mexico the exact same way, and we will partner with the
With
Mexican
force.
military, and we will hunt down and destroy the cartels.
This guy, here's the
that are
problem with
claiming
Mike Pence.
No.
He wants to claim credit for Donald Trump's presidency, and then turn on him when
That's
it's
right.
convenient.
That's exactly
Yes.
right. Pivot when it does.
And by the way, he's like, we will hunt down and destroy the car. No, you won't. The cartel will always come back. You know why? Because they have a product and there is demand. It may be somebody else. It may look a little bit different, but that is what history has taught us.
Oh.
That means you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Mike.
Also, I have to get cheap ass fillers in Mexico.
That's true. Yeah. Tijuana. Great
Ass is
market.
starting to sag. You know what I mean? I look like Michael Douglas.
With the folks that are here is to,
mean his throat?
again, as we've talked about all night tonight,
Christie's still here.
we have to have law and
Somebody
order
throw
in
him a
this country.
salmon.
We have to enforce the law. And what that means is to make sure that
catches
people
it with
who
his claw.
come here illegally are
Have
not
we hit every fat
rewarded
joke there?
for being here illegally.
No, there's still more.
We have so many wonderful people from around the world who are waiting in line, following the law to try to come here and pursue the American dream. And those people are waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah,
because
you're in line at
we haven't
Wendy's.
dealt with the problem of the folks who are here. We have to have them detained. We have to make sure that they are not rewarded for having broken the law. And one last thing on this fentanyl issue. With China, we can't take our eye off of that ball. Yes, it's important that we secure the border. Very important, as I just said. But China is sending these chemicals to these drug cartels for them to create the fentanyl that
That's
is
a good
killing
point.
hundreds of thousands of our citizens.
Let's bomb
the
China.
Chinese are engaging in an act of war against us.
Take them
killing
both
our
out.
citizens.
Just drop him. That'd be a Moab they wouldn't be
There you
expecting.
go. Exactly.
And to try to straighten
Oh,
that
no!
relationship out.
Give him 20 minutes in a porta potty and fucking drop that.
All that Christie's will block out of the sun. We have to fight in the shade.
Martha's looking fine.
We have a lot of
He's
issues.
going to roll
that
him at the
Americans
Mexican
care
He
about.
cartel.
doesn't
like
do
the
bad
Lost
for a
Boys.
fat guy I hate.
As millions
What did
of
he say,
American
Gerald?
children are not
Gerald?
proficient in reading or math after this.
What did he say?
I don't know. What did you say?
No, it was what Nick
was
said
a
to
Hulk
make me laugh.
reference, I
I
think.
get
He
it. I
doesn't
get
do
it.
bad. He doesn't do bad for a fat guy I hate.
All right, so really quickly, I just want to go back through a few things that happened while we were doing that. We're going to go to a Trump
A Trump clip?
a Trump clip.
Yeah,
here in
from
just
with
1
Tucker
minute.
Carlson.
But one of my people that I love to hate, Robert Reich, said there is no such thing as abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Governor DeSantis is telling a dangerous lie.
Yeah.
That is not true
Well,
at all.
ask Governor Northam that, but he might be too busy
exactly.
doing blackface in his retirement phase.
Glad I had so much Northern material.
So I'm trying to go to the next Trump
did.
clip here. Gosh, it's like 50 pages back up here. I
It's
got to find it.
you mean President Donald Trump with Tucker Carlson?
with Tucker
So
Carlson.
we are covering, and keep this in the lower third here, just so people can see that they're advertising Birch Gold. Oh, I guess they don't have I guess they don't have Devane doing it anymore. So look, they're really upgrading.
No, they get Pence's nephew.
Yes.
Fucking Phil Pence.
There were a couple of them that they gave me. They gave me one really quick. So I don't know. Let's go to the.
So
Gavin Newsom.
And you can use the hashtag Crowder GOP debate. $10 off MugClub at Crowder GOP debate. It's a promo code you use, louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub. We are covering both the debate as well as the Tucker Carlson interview that just dropped with Donald Trump. Which is this next clip, Gerald?
So this one is him talking about Gavin Newsom.
Oh, okay, good.
There's another one they want us to get to, but we'll have to get that.
Okay, Gavin
Yeah, they
Newsom.
got to give me the names if they want them.
All right, Gavin Newsom. Let's go.
Newsom, right? I mean,
Could be. I mean, you know, I always got along well with him, believe it or not. But could be him, could be somebody else. He's got a big load on his shoulders because you look at California, what's happened.
You know, Paul Pelosi dropped it.
People really, the people that vote for him, I don't even know if they care. You know, you look at so many of the things that are going on, and people don't seem to be. In the old days, if you had a bad record, it meant a lot. Today, if you have a bad record, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Well, I actually, I don't care what he has to say about Gavin Newsom. We'll see if he ends up running against that guy. But it's civil war, like it's actually open conflict that he's talking about.
Oh,
I think maybe
we have that clip.
Yeah, we have that one.
Great. Let's hear this.
We got
President Donald Trump talking about
8 seconds.
Civil war, or as Mike Pence refers to it, something he will never touch.
do you think it's possible that there's open conflict? We seem to be moving towards something.
I don't know because I don't know what it. You know, I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen, and that's probably a bad combination.
Donald Trump, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Why is he interviewing him in the slave galley?
Donald Trump, do you see any
12 years
there's a
Tucker's
level of
dead.
Passion. I would say peacefully go, but last time that didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Look, I don't know. I would think there shouldn't be any type of civil unrest, but if I don't win, I can't answer that question. I can't speak for them. A lot of people say if I don't win, they might try and take out the government. I hope it doesn't happen. I say, no, that's the worst thing. They say, that's what people tell me. There's nothing I can do.
I love his style of pawning it off on someone else.
It's just
someone else always.
I've been
is the
talking about that
originator
since
of the idea.
2015
I
in
know.
the Trump talks.
Yeah, he's very
A lot
good
of
at that.
people tell me.
A lot of people.
Like who's saying that?
A lot of people say that. A lot of people. You wouldn't know. I know these people.
He's a great salesman.
It really is. Like, here's the thing. When people say Donald Trump is a liar, no. Look, Joe Biden is a compulsive liar.
Yeah,
Donald Trump's he's like he's a bit of a bullshit artist, and he exaggerates.
There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference.
I mean, and friggin' Biden's lying about shit that, you know, affects everyday Americans.
everybody. Yeah.
Trump might have been exaggerated about how many people's at the inauguration.
Right, like Joe
Big
Biden will
fucking
say,
difference.
Bidenomics has helped every single American when they are struggling more than ever before.
Yeah.
Donald Trump will say,
My wall will be the prettiest wall.
like, all right, it might be okay.
Do you like Z-Brick?
Prettiest wall.
My wall will be like the Bo Derek of walls, a perfect 10. That's what people say. I say, maybe it's more like a Kathy Ireland wall. They say it's Bo Derek and 10.
All right. So we've got the debate coming back up here, but a lot of people are saying that the Trump interview, it wasn't like, it's not Donald Trump being Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump
Seems
being
like he has some advisors in his ear.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
not punching back at stuff. Like, it's not the funny.
When was this
comical-
recorded? Do we know?
I think
a couple of days ago.
Okay, he's got a lot hanging over.
So yeah,
that's true.
4 indictments. I mean, maybe 5.
Yeah, you know, look, that would get to anybody, I think.
About 93 charges.
Even Mr. DeSantis. We are back. Hashtag Crowder GOP debate, and we will see who has the balls after this to sit down at the Rumble booth. Onto the debate.
States lock their kids out of school for a year and a half. That was wrong. We stood up. I took a lot of fire for that.
Yeah, you did.
I was pilloried by the media, but I stood for our kids. And as president, I'll stand for you and your kids as well. But we have to make sure that what our schools are doing is focusing on solid academics. In Florida, we eliminated critical race theory from our K-12.
I love him for all this.
Yep.
He's
strong
without a
here.
doubt the
I'm
best
fine with
governor
him
in the
too.
country.
There's no
Yeah.
doubt. And that's
we
a
have
pretty good.
Yeah.
importance
Credit to
of
him.
American
He's the guy with the
civics.
best record and the worst rhetorical skills, I would say. That's the thing. He's not great at speaking right now. He's not great at invigorating people, but he has a fantastic record.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll learn that. Like Pence. Look at Pence. He's a master.
Big ears.
Any foundation in what it means to be an American.
Mr. Ramaswamy, Mr. Ramaswamy.
No, I agree.
Ramaswamy.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Who's cleaning
hold
up
on,
though?
Senator.
Like we said.
You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce,
Education.
many of these should not exist.
That's correct.
So
Good.
to the education
Brett.
question, how would you
Thug
deal
life
with the crisis?
moment.
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. Every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that, frankly, every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. And the fact of the matter is, look,
Civics. Richard Dreyfuss right now with his new documentary. He's like, I've been saying that for years.
But you know, the word privilege gets used a lot. Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness. And I think that's
but it's a burning hip hop scene.
But yes,
don't stop that.
But that is an important point to make, because a lot of people who are labeled when we talk about the fatherless households in the black community, it's about 50-50 split. Half the time it's the moms pushing them out because they want an additional check from the government, and these men actually want to support their children, but they can have their wages garnished, they can be put in jail, and the mother has no burden of proof to show that that money is going to the children. So let's just be clear. When we talk about fatherless black households, he just made a good point. He's talking about mothers who are incentivized by the government.
Yes.
I've been blaming them for years.
Was that factual, though?
I'm serious.
Yes.
Wow. Holy shit.
Of this issue?
No, I'm saying in North Dakota we made a priority of protecting women's sports, and we've done that.
I'm about to have a threesome with Gary Oldman.
So this is
absolutely
the whole.
But I do think when we start talking about education,
This is the trans athletes, trans athletes in sports.
We're just
talking
completely losing track of the fact that education differs by state. Some school districts are doing a fantastic job, some less so.
Name 3.
But the idea that every school district, state, and every teacher is somehow indoctrinating people is just false. You know, when I was building a company from scratch,
that's a bad answer. It is a systemic problem. Systemic racism isn't a problem. Systemic educational corruption is a problem.
Don't bring up the 4 exceptions.
Right.
With them, we talked to them. We did that, and as governor. Well,
I hear
education is
Poughkeepsie
one
has
of
a
the
good
biggest
charter
part of the
school,
state
so maybe
budget.
it's
So as a governor, I shadow a student.
there.
I don't. The night before, I find out the student finds out. I'm going to go to every class with them. I don't sit and lecture school districts how to do it. I go and see the experience. And there's a lot of things that have to change. But what needs to change in education is it's innovation. We're doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago with innovation, not regulation. I would get rid of the Department of Education.
That's not true. We're not doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago. As a matter of fact, we're doing it worse than before there was a federal Department of Education, just to be clear. When you hear this, by the way, Gen Z and a lot of millennials, you go, what would we do without a federal Department of Education? Ask your parents, the boomers who you mock all the time because it's a cool meme. They likely went to school before there was a federal Department of Education, and they actually tested higher in standardized testing scores because it was state-run and run by municipalities. So this idea that you need a federal Department of Education, no, it has failed, and actually the objective measurements that we have, the metrics, shows that it has gotten worse. That's where a guy like, I always forget his last name, Dugam, whatever, lost me. Let's hear Nikki Haley. Burgum.
Crazy woke things happening in schools, but we've got to get these kids reading. If a child can't read by third grade, they're 4 times less likely to
8 days
graduate.
after I was born, the Department of Education came around. October 17th, 1979.
You're old.
That's
I am
terrific.
not old. I am 43, not yet 44. I agree 100%.
So we blame you.
Old.
Yeah, but so Carrie Lake had this right? So we talked about, we did an interview with Carrie Lake up there.
still have
She said that the money should follow the student. You want to change public education? You start incentivizing schools by letting children and parents, obviously parents make the decision, but the children, the dollars follow them. They get to pick where they go. If you have a good school and you're desirable, more people go
By the
there.
way, the black and white and the gray issues coming up, it's the one that was controversial. It's the one that went on for an hour and a half with, of course, a black woman and a daughter who went to private school from a wealthy suburban area. Guess what? They attacked me. You'll see this. All of them were very good conversations. They were furious. They demanded that I not air it. And after that, I said, hold on a second. Let's see if we can find common ground on one thing.
I'm sorry.
It was a segment that I did that's going to be uploaded as a video.
But who's they?
It was a black woman and her daughter saying, we don't want you to air this. We don't think this is productive. And then at the end of it, they agreed. They said, well, yeah, school choice, a school voucher program. They said, how can anyone be against that? I said, hold on a second. Hold on. What if I were to tell you that the only reason the Democrats oppose it is because they claim it's racist? They said, well, that's bullshit. I said, that's my point exactly. That'll be coming out next week or the week after. Let's hear Mike Pence.
Did you say that, or did you say, what if I offer you a carton of Cools?
I both.
Let me say,
I hedged my bets.
for president of the
Stop
United
it.
States because
I saw
we
you.
don't need a president.
I
who's
saw
too
you.
You don't need to dump that.
I saw you.
Can we-
He said dump it.
No, he didn't say
No, I
dump.
said pop it. Like,
I'm kidding.
drop it like it's hot. I
We
don't
need
know.
a president who knows how Congress
he's getting
works,
booed again.
how the White House works.
What did I miss? What were people laughing at him for?
He just undid his fly.
I was fighting against No Child Left Behind when Republicans were doubling the Department of Education. I'll also shut down the
get rid
Federal
of it.
Department of Education. And when I
Well,
was
good.
governor,
There's one
we
answer that's
doubled
good.
Every
the
time
size
they
of
put the camera on him, it's 1988 for some reason.
Exactly.
And
Isn't
we'll
it?
give school choice to every family in America.
So
When
stop
I-
with the boys
Yeah,
regulate.
hold on. You were in the White House. You didn't get it
That's
done.
Claims
right.
credit for
Thank
everything
you.
else, and then he wants to pass the buck.
We're gonna do this. You didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
But you know what I'd
Why
say,
should I believe
Gerald?
you
I'd go, Gerald. I was the vice president, for Christ's sake.
Okay,
I went to
fine,
funerals.
fine,
They wouldn't let me
yes.
do
The difference between somebody who's an automaton and somebody who's actually a thinking agent in the White House, which we don't have in there today.
This guy's so much
And I
brighter
will
than
tell you, I wanna
anybody
address
else.
Vice
Except for,
President
like I
Pence's
say,
comment.
I like
I
DeSantis.
think we do need somebody of a different generation to lead this nation
Yes, we
forward.
do.
Look at the way I've run this
Lower
campaign.
third
Yes.
Going to the
businessman.
south side of Chicago, to
telling you he's
Kensington,
gonna blow up
in the
after
middle
this.
of Philadelphia, where traditional
Yeah, but the claws will
Republican
come out
candidates
for sure.
don't go.
Oh, yeah.
So what?
We have an opportunity
That's
to
when
build a
you know you're doing
multi-ethnic,
right. Right, no, exactly.
working-class majority to deliver a landslide, and I think I'm the only candidate in this race, young or old, black or
is it a
white,
hockey
to
rink?
bring all of those voters along to deliver a Reagan 1980 revolution. We're going to do it in 2020.
Is he saying that because he's between black and white?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's actually darker than Tim Scott.
But he's a
You can do a side by side. I guarantee you.
Oh,
I don't
God,
think
no.
Certainly South Indians
No,
are. Maybe
no.
not him.
Tim Scott looks
Maybe
like
not him, but South Indians are darker.
I'm all for him. I like him.
I love him. I love him. I love his food. I love his culture.
Hutchinson, you have 30 seconds on the same question.
On education, first of all, look at Arkansas. We have to
Shut
compete
up,
with
silly.
China. I built computers.
You're going to hell, Nick.
Education.
Would you like to see
We led
somebody's
the nation
fist
in
just
computer
catch him
science.
on the side of the
When
head?
has anyone wanted to look at Arkansas?
Exactly. What if they?
Look at Arkansas. We've got Walmart. Otherwise, we wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Look at all these trailer parks. Could you pan? Could you pan to this trailer park?
You saw that
Computer
series,
science
Ozarks?
To every school in rural areas
guy
and urban
is a
areas,
z-
offering computer
It
science.
makes a
for the
Christie look like
benefit of our
Elvis with
kids,
his stage
and we can
presence.
Compete with China.
Well, Christie
in
kind of
terms
does look like
technology.
late Elvis.
He does.
Yeah.
This is gonna go-
Actually,
this-
ate
this
On a
Elvis.
toilet.
is coming to you.
Fucking.
I really feel like this is a Asa, you ignorant slut.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, gosh.
All right, let me hear this
Decline
question.
in this country. You talked about it a little bit before tonight. So is there a role for a president of the United States in changing that? What would you do to change that?
Well, our nation was founded upon the Judeo-Christian values that has made this the greatest nation on God's green earth. I'm a big believer in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly.
Lives right
above
now
all
going,
that
and
we
they
ask
counter
or
you as
imagine.
3/5 as a
Our
person.
responsibility
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly
should
what
be
they're
the
saying.
model
Good point, yeah.
behavior we want others to follow. On education, the only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions.
That's
They are
violent.
Standing
Good
in the
answer.
doorhouse of our
That's
kids,
too violent, that image.
locking them into failing schools.
Shoot them
and
in the head?
locking
Will that
them
work?
out Of the greatest future they could have.
Tried to soften it. I don't know.
As President
I don't want
Governor
them
DeSantis,
paralyzed.
Would you support some mandatory military service
Oh,
for
don't
all?
Jesus, I thought that was on the show.
Mandatory military
I'm
service.
somebody that volunteered to serve, inspired by September 11th, and I deployed to Iraq. Alongside U.S. Navy
That's why I
SEALs
like
in
this
places
guy,
like
too.
Fallujah, Ramadi, and it's
walked the
something
walk.
that I think has taught me. You know, when you go in that type of
called
environment,
monkeypox.
anything you
Nick
have,
Paolo thought there
your
was an
personal
assassination
agenda,
attempt
take it
tonight.
at the
I really
Go
thought there was a
there,
shot.
focusing on
I go, Trump's not even there. God, these guys mean business.
Just some guy. Vivek!
It'd be Vivek.
One of the
John Malkovich coming with his polymer gun.
one
from
of the
In Line of
Murdoch
Fire.
kids.
True, yeah.
You killed that duck, asshole.
Good movie.
Okay, now for something.
Now for something completely different. She lifts her
And
shirt.
This is for you, Governor Christie. Do you believe that the recent spike in UFO encounters?
Oh gosh.
I get the UFO question.
And you wonder why legacy media is
I know.
dying.
Who just said that? I get the UFO question.
The
Chris.
one who looks like a UFO.
I think it was Christie.
It was.
And people are taking this a lot more seriously. And we're hearing that, there are things going on that people aren't aware of. So, if
We
you
take
were
this about as
president,
seriously as you
Governor
do.
Christie, would you level?
Although he
with
likes the flying
American
tea
people
saucers.
Could
about what
a
the government
flying saucer
knows
get off the
about
planet
these
if you're in it?
possible-
They bring donuts.
And especially coming from a woman from New Jersey, I think it's horrible that just because I'm from New Jersey, you asked me about unidentified flying objects and Martians.
Thank you for telling us what
What?
UFO
We're different, but
stands
we're
for.
not that different. Look,
Answer the question,
of
bro.
course, the job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. The job of the President of the United States is
Well, you
to
need a
stand
level to find
for
your belt
truth.
buckle.
That's not entirely
The job of the President of the United States is to be a role model for our children
Yeah, not a
and
role.
our grandchildren. And so whether it was UFOs or this problem of
So we need to pick an overweight man to be a role model?
Yeah, not the guy.
12-inch.
He could be the male Lizzo.
12-inch whole wheat.
Unions in New Jersey.
He's not
and
funny.
drove
No, he
them down
can't.
to an all-time low popularity rating because they were putting themselves before our kids. That.
What does this
is
have
the
to do with
biggest threat to our
UFOs?
Nothing.
country, not
He doesn't want to
UFOs.
answer that
Okay.
question. It's a
Where did
stupid
he
question.
pivot?
I don't fault him for this.
It's a stupid question. It's a really dumb question.
Is live from the spin room right here.
You're a
in the
spin room.
Fiserv
Shut it.
Forum
What is this
with
spin room?
reaction
Hey, that's a
from all the
casino in
candidates.
Vegas.
As soon as they step
Hey, who's
off the
that guy?
stage, we'll be back.
See, MGM Grant.
Hannity?
Hannity's like, I'm next.
Jeez.
God, Hannity.
Okay.
God.
So, hey, by the way, I should probably tell you this a little bit. And I don't know if we want to take some chats, but again, the promo code is Crowder, GOP debate. You get $10 off. Hey, with MugClub, what do you get? You get 2 times the show every single day with
Yeah.
us. You get a Friday show. You get
Boom.
Alex Jones's Alex Jones 2.0 on Fridays. You get Nick DiPaolo's show at Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. You're going to have Brian Callen's show, Hodge Twins show. You support our investigative journalism unit. And we also have some animated series coming down the pike.
Yeah.
None of it happens if not for you. Notice there are very, very few commercial breaks in tonight. Which is an exhausting 3-hour stream. But I do have to, every now and then, you know this, Nick.
Did you say 3?
We like to have a little.
His contract ends at
Wow,
Someone,
I've been
hit
going
the
a little.
gunshot again. Let's.
Wake up, Nick.
Say, home.
Did you really think that was happening in this?
I thought I heard a shot in the studio. I was waiting for Walter Cronkite. Come on, Vivek Ramaswamy. He's dead at 9:30 Eastern Time.
Yes. I hate to interrupt this program.
So we like to have a little. We like to have a laugh sometimes in the studio, and
yeah.
sometimes we pull some pranks on each other. You know this.
How
Nick.
long have we been on?
And about
trying to measure
over 2 hours.
Oh, good.
And you know that Gerald is obviously a very devout Christian.
Oh, jeez. Here we
I
go.
do, because every time I say something off color, he cringes.
I know,
I do
and
a
there's,
little
look,
bit.
it's a mix. There's
I'm
an
wearing a
intersective
shirt
audience.
that says
And by the way,
Jesus is risen.
yes. So by the way, we all agree on
So
these things.
my
And hit the
pup
like
touch.
button if you like this eclectic mix that is going on. But we like to have a laugh.
I love
here.
you, Nick.
And
I
sometimes we
want-
pull some pranks in the office. And because Gerald has often talked about,
Really?
Well, yeah, you remember. So we pulled
Yeah,
a little
we
bit of a
did film
prank
it,
on
Gerald.
Gerald
What
this
did
weekend.
you do to the poor
And
guy?
I think we all had a good time with it.
What did they do, Gerald? What did they
Gerald
do? to you?
didn't.
Good Monday morning. Come on, guys. You got to color and what the? Guys? Anybody? Hey. What? What? No way. No, Steven. Oh, no, Tim. No, Tim. Oh, come on, Lord. Tim with his PR headband? I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to church, I went to ministry school, I went on missions trips, for goodness sakes, you gotta be kidding. Sam?
Oh, hey, Gerald.
He thought he was left behind. So drunk.
What an idiot.
Sorry, you got a good sense of humor.
No. Left behind with Sam.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay,
We
there's
like to
a
have a
difference. I'll
like
take
to have a laugh.
left behind with the Antichrist and people dying left and right, but not left behind
Well,
with
who's to say that
Sam.
Sam is not that? Okay, so let's bring up the drinking game rules one more time.
Yeah.
They just had to help touch up Nick because he was shining like the greasy Sicilian that he is. So you drink.
I love that I'm Sicilian.
I'm never going to stop.
Take it easy.
Anytime
Canuck.
Donald Trump is mentioned, 2020 January 6th is mentioned, a moderator cuts off or interrupts a candidate. Anytime we have a thug life moment, and then you finish your drink anytime a candidate mentions a Democrat other than Joseph Biden.
Well, McAllen shows some
There we
nipple.
go. Been pretty effective so far.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Do we have the answer actually on that poll regarding disbanding the intelligence agency?
Yeah, it was. I know it was overwhelmingly yes.
Overwhelmingly disband the FBI.
Well, I'd be disappointed if it wasn't.
And our intel. This is a long commercial break. Should we go to do you want to go to really quickly one of
This looks like one of your sketches.
your remaining interviews? I know.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we actually
There's
have
the poll. Yeah,
there's the poll.
And it's gotten worse.
God, you
several
guys did a good
thousand
job on the
votes.
If you could be worse than 91% agreeing with you that those agents.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's gotten worse.
Okay, so I'm going to go. By the way, can I just actually ask a question in chat? Why does anyone use that hands? Like my hands smell like my grandmother's funeral.
I hate that.
The perfume. It's just so overpowering.
Sometimes my wife puts his shit on, comes in the living room. I get nauseous.
Yeah, I know. It really does. I'm hypersensitive to it. It makes
maybe
me
it's
nauseous.
just
We're going to have a little
But
therapy
listen.
session for Nick.
But I had a lady sit next to me on a plane with that.
Yeah,
and it's like going into a candle shop for 3 hours.
It's like someone
So I
farted
punched
lavender
her.
pellets
Yeah,
all
just
over my
barf on
hands.
her.
So I don't know how long is this. We have Gerald again. Bring it up in the lower third so people can see that Birch Gold is still going on right now. There's a commercial break.
No, I think they're coming back now.
Are they
No,
coming?
this is the
No, that's the Reagan Library.
Let's see what we've raised so far.
Oh,
Ed?
yeah, bump it.
They're doing this in September.
Timpani.
Oh, they're doing, yeah, that's in September. You sat down with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or spent
I
some
did.
time with Marjorie Taylor and some other candidates in Milwaukee. So let's roll that really quickly as we come back to the debates with people outside of DeSantis and Vivek who no one cares about. But here's Gerald in Milwaukee.
So obviously you can see we have Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you for hanging out with us for a minute.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. The Biden crime family name is going around quite a bit. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about that. You've obviously had a lot to say about this. What do you think is the most egregious thing that the American people need to grab a hold of that maybe they aren't about what's going on?
Well, I serve on the Oversight Committee, and we've been leading the investigation in the House of Representatives into the Biden family. And our investigation is not into Hunter Biden, it's into Joe Biden directly himself. The most damning evidence, shocking to me, was when we went in the Treasury Department. I've been there several times, and there's these reports called Suspicious Activity Reports, SARS.
Right.
This is a report you don't have on you. There's not one on me. There's not one on most people watching this show. I would doubt hardly anyone. But there's thousands of pages on Hunter Biden, all kinds of Biden family members, but it outlined very devastating things. It showed us that there were millions and millions of dollars coming from countries all over the world going directly into bank accounts that Hunter Biden and Biden family members managed under LLCs.
Right, the 20-ish I mean, you have 20 as well, right? Everybody just has 20 LLCs. That's the way you normally do business, especially when you're not selling a product.
Right.
Right?
Working on the inside and really seeing how utterly bad it really is, I've changed my mindset to the point where I'm like, we only have one choice, and it is to vote. If you don't vote, you're really voting for the other side. Not voting is truly helping the Democrats.
Yeah. Congresswoman, thank you very much. I appreciate that you're in the fight. Continue to do it. And we look forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. Hopefully some people start throwing some heat. We'll see what happens.
I hope they drop out, because we can just
They
move on
probably
and
should. There's a
fight
number
the
of them that
Democrats.
should. Yes, we should focus our efforts. That's not a bad point. I like that. Carrie, thank you very much for being here.
It's so good to be back on.
What's your take on big tech? I know you've been mistreated. I know we've talked about that before in the past, and that's an understatement, I know. But tell me what you think about kind of big tech and Rumble's place relative to YouTube, to Fox, and all those other guys.
I'm a huge fan of Rumble. When the first time I ever streamed a video and put a video out, I chose to do Rumble rather than YouTube, because YouTube has been behind censoring Americans on talking about the most important issues of our time.
Right.
What's happening? I think if there are good ratings on this, because I think with missing President Trump, I don't think people really are going to watch that much. But I predict that Rumble may have more viewers than Fox News.
Absolutely.
And so I think we are seeing the beginning of the end of old school legacy media, and we're seeing it being replaced with outlets where we can put the truth out, where people can get to it without having to pay a huge cable bill, without having to buy up a bunch of stations that they're not interested in watching on cable news. And frankly, I think Fox is going to struggle with their ratings tomorrow.
I do too. Thank you very much for making some time with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We ran into somebody. All right, we're going to cut into that. They're doing closing statements really quickly, so we want to go to that.
And then we'll see who actually sits down at the Rumble booth here for the Crowder GOP debate. Tim Scott, closing statements.
Against men.
He's getting laughs.
I'm Tim Scott. I'm asking you for your vote, and if you're in Iowa, I'm asking you to
turn up a
caucus
little
for me. You can go to votetimscott.com for more information or to make a contribution.
Give me money.
Did a good job.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Martha. Look, everybody on
Look,
this
I love
stage
funnel
wants to be
cake.
the next president of the United States.
He's a home.
And the only way that's going to
That's why I
happen
spent 3
is if
weeks
we
in
beat
Iowa.
Joe Biden. I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten the Democratic incumbent in an election.
Did you say beaten or eaten?
I did it in a deep blue state, being outspent 3-1. Beating a Democratic incumbent is not easy. The last Democratic incumbent president who was defeated was Jimmy Carter.
Weight Watchers isn't easy.
And he was defeated by
bragging that you
governor
beat a Democrat
from
as a
blue
Republican
state.
in New Jersey.
Show me
it's not a plus.
No.
Yeah. Show me you can defeat your weight, and then I'll put you.
Hey, we're piling on this
and
bad
stood
luck.
strong and
ab
hard
push-up.
against waste.
I
Those
beat
are
a
the very
Democrat
things-
and high
I will say
cholesterol.
he does fight hard against waste. He licks his plate clean.
Yeah.
What I'll do as president of the United States.
You know, there's governors all over the world starving to death.
Democrats want
because of you.
Some other nominee who's never beaten a Democratic incumbent.
fat fuck, look at
I'm the
you.
one who can win this race. And if you give me the
You
chance,
can't.
Christie,
I will
you
restore our
crack it up.
country by winning it.
You couldn't win a
Governor
fucking
Haley.
race.
Nikki Haley.
Win any race.
All right, Nikki Haley,
Several
let's hear
weeks
this.
ago,
You're not gonna be here
I
next
dropped
week. Go.
my husband, Michael, a combat veteran from Afghanistan,
Ah.
off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. I watched
You
him
couldn't
and
have been happier.
230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they had never been, all in the name of protecting America.
Yeah, not you.
If they are willing to protect us from there, we should be willing to fight for America here. I will beat Joe Biden, and he knows that.
You're a
I will
globalist.
strengthen our economy, and we'll bring this inflation down. We will
I'm a
put
female.
transparency in the classroom. We will secure our borders. We will have the backs of our law enforcement, and we will make sure we have a strong national security. And once again, we will make sure we have an America that is strong and proud. We have a country to save. Join us. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and let's get it done.
And I'll stop shopping at Marshall's.
Let's go over to TJ Maxx. Oh, no.
Look at here he
All right.
comes.
Martha, for this evening. It's an honor to be here.
Shut your face.
Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad.
Still funny.
The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, their war on energy, runaway spending that launched the worst inflation in 40 years, a crisis at our southern border, an assault on our values and liberties. And the American people have had enough. But I know we can bring it back. But different times call for different leadership.
Jesus.
The Republican Party owes the American people the
It's
choice.
out of a movie.
Proven
None of this
leadership
is
at the
authentic.
national level. that
He's
knows
a
how
guy
to move
playing a
conservative
Republican in a
agenda
movie
forward.
written by
We proved in
libs.
the Trump-Pence years, you can turn this country around faster than you can imagine.
You couldn't turn around a pickup truck, you dink.
Because I have faith in the American people.
You do?
Good, decent, hard-working, faith-filled, idealistic people of this country, and I have faith that God is not done with America yet. And if we will renew our faith in one another and renew our faith in Him who has ever guided this nation since we arrived on these wilderness shores.
Where's he been the last 2
The
years?
greatest nation on
There-
earth.
no.
are yet
We
to
don't
come.
need to renew our faith in each other if it includes corrupt members of the government. That is not the people. That is not the American populace you are speaking to. Vivek, let's hear him.
To celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound
See?
by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels
Hey, who
are
said
a
that first?
requirement for
Here we
human
go.
prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution
Schoolhouse
is the
Vivek.
strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself.
And finally, the Mets suck.
Pretty good.
Game, set, match.
Let's see Governor DeSantis.
Hi, guys.
Where's the Coke?
I'm Ron DeSantis.
I got no strings to hold me down.
This is our time for choosing. We will send
My
Joe
ears are really
Biden
big.
back to his basement,
You
and
don't
we
want
will
an Indian.
reverse the decline of this country. I'm a blue-collar kid. I work minimum wage jobs to be able to
A vote
make
for me
ends
is a
meet.
vote for-
I understand
Okay,
the
let's hear it,
importance
let's hear
of
it,
the
let's hear it.
American dream, and I know how that's slipped away from so many millions of Americans. We'll restore it. I'm a veteran who served in Iraq. I know what it means to put service above self. I'm also a dad and a husband to 6'5" and 3-year-old. I understand the importance of protecting parents' rights and the well-being of our
Good.
children. In
Good.
Florida,
6'5", 3-year-old?
we showed it could be done. I made promises, and I delivered on all of those promises. 2024 is make or break. We're not getting a mulligan. No excuses. I will get the job done, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you all.
bad.
No, that was bad. I'm sorry. He rushed through that. And we don't get a mulligan. I'm thinking of every slogan I can possibly think of.
They gave him the red light, you know.
They didn't give everyone closing statements?
From
No.
debates to
Oh, they did. I guess we skipped some.
I missed Burgum's.
Yeah.
What will I do with myself?
Dracula.
They did the worst first.
He goes, I got to get back to Kinko's, but I had a great time.
But first, I have to find the last remaining Kinkos. That's a task.
I had a great time.
All right. So, look, again, the promo code is if you go to louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub, it's Crowder GOP debate. You get $10 off if you join up now. None of this happens without you. We're going to see right now, we have someone on the ground there in Milwaukee to see who's going to sit down at our booth. We have Rumble has a booth going on there. If you're watching on YouTube, head on over to Rumble. We're going to go to MugClub exclusive after. I don't know the timeline here tonight because we're waiting to see the candidates who sit down. I do know that we have
we're
at
going to
least
see
one or
who
two.
we can get. It's basically the Wild West out there after this, right?
Well, it's the Wild West, and of course they have some stops they have to make first with people who've actively either contributed to their campaign or provided press as, pro bono.
Or cover.
But anyone who wants to sit down and look, what questions would you have for these candidates? Send them in. I think, obviously, it seems like tonight Vivek was the biggest winner. And I understand that people will say, well, hold on a second, his rhetoric doesn't maybe necessarily match his own rhetoric in the past. And I don't really, I've spent a lot of time looking into Vivek. I don't really see the waffling that people claim. I think that he's provided clarity on some answers. You have to understand, this is not a man who's been in the public spotlight a whole lot. This is not a man who's been in public office. And so what you know about his points of view in the past either are coming from excerpts of his book or really interviews where he's not consistently in front of the press. I think tonight he made it pretty clear where he stands. I think it was his kind of coming out party to the American public. I think he did well. I think that DeSantis did all right. And surprisingly, I never get the guy's name right. What's his name, the governor? Burgum.
Stop it.
I would rank him number 3 after those two,
He was
surprisingly.
much more interesting than some of the other people.
Well, his looks.
Yes.
But as far as Vivek, and he's saying, people pointing out some things he said, maybe he's evolved on the issues, like the Democrats say.
Yes, exactly.
When they flip-flop a little bit. But I've evolved on this. So
but in their case,
he did what I thought.
Yeah.
He did. I've been saying it on my show for a few months now, because every time I've seen this guy, whether it was on Fox a year and a half ago, I go, damn, he impresses me. He has a different take on these things that everybody else does. He's very eloquent, and to me, maybe I'm just a sap, but he seems more sincere. I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I think
self-made millionaire. Which
the closest example I could point to would be Carly Fiorina in 2016.
I know. Why do you do that?
And so I hope that he doesn't make the same mistake where Carly Fiorina that came in as a contender and then all of a sudden had the Mitt Romney advisors in her ear.
But she was a failure as a CEO, remember?
Well, no, that's one thing actually I will say in her defense. People don't realize that HP was hemorrhaging hundreds of millions and then they started hemorrhaging far less. So if you're going into a company, it's like, okay, they're losing $800 million one year. The next year they lose $200 million.
Well, I bought a printer from that bitch and it didn't work for 2 weeks.
But that's the closest comparison, honestly, that I would have, and I just hope that he doesn't make the same mistake. Do we think that anyone here closed the gap on Donald Trump? I think that Vivek maybe closed the gap as far as being a top choice for VP for Donald Trump.
I was going to say, he already, I know it's early to say this, he's going to be in a cabinet.
Yeah, he's going to be in a cabinet position. I think it'll... Who else?
Not a closet, I said VP? A cabinet.
Yeah, no, that would be Burgum.
Yeah. Coffin.
Yeah, exactly.
Good evening. Good to meet the debates.
And I don't, again, we're kind of in a box here, just so you know. We're in a studio where we don't have anything other than the air support that's provided to us from Mission Control. We've been doing a very good job tonight. Awesome. I would be willing to bet that people on Twitter, on social media, are outraged, let me guess, over Vivek saying that man-made climate change was a hoax, over the idea of defunding the Federal Department of Education. I'm just going on what they think are going to be their winning issues. And, of course, they'll go in on Pence on the federal abortion ban. But that's
talking about lefties on the...
Yeah, I'm talking about lefties. I'm willing to bet that's what's going on Twitter right now.
How about abandoning the internet, folks?
They're going to try and go after Vivek for saying that he would, that man-made climate change is a hoax.
So I think what we're seeing right now is that the Vegas odds makers are saying that DeSantis did better than Vivek. Right, so they're saying that Vivek went down just a little bit. Yeah. I don't think so. So here's what I heard from Vivek that I didn't hear from anybody else. A very clear, concise, 6-7 points that he gave at the end there. every single time he came back to this, he went head on into these issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys gave very canned responses.
That's
I think DeSantis did give some pretty clear answers, and I do think that he had the strength of being able to point to his record as governor.
He does.
So I think he's a guy whose record, his rhetoric doesn't match up with the strength of his record, and I like DeSantis a lot.
Right. So put him
which
him
is
next
good.
to
You want
Vivek.
actions, not talk.
Right, exactly. But you put him next to Vivek, right? And you go, DeSantis all of a sudden seems very kind of like stodgy and kind of tight, and he doesn't really put him next to Donald Trump now in your mind.
Yes,
and see
that's what I was
happens to
thinking.
Ron DeSantis, he will look like Mike Pence before you know it if he doesn't change what he's doing.
DeSantis tonight would not fare well against Donald Trump in a debate.
Not at all.
Vivek probably would if he didn't have to balance kind of trying to court the pro-Trump audience. But I do think that DeSantis really would have a tough time going up directly against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and so according to our website poll, actually this just in from Brodigan, 74% of you think that Vivek Ramaswamy won the debate.
They're flying V!
I think he did the best.
What
out of
poll
all
was
of them.
that, Gerald?
On our
That was
website.
our own website poll. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
check on my website.
I don't know.
We had Ralph Nader in the landslide.
I was saying, can tumbleweeds vote?
Why you?
In Michigan, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like Tim Scott kind of hangs around a little bit in some.
He
of these.
does.
I like
he's
Tim
a
Scott.
likable guy.
He's
got
clean.
good
He's
answers.
articulate.
He doesn't like. He's
I've
well
heard that
spoken. What are you,
before.
Barack? No, not Barack.
He
Obama.
didn't
Joe
show
Biden.
his
Yeah,
giant
there we go.
gums
Yeah.
tonight. That's a
Yeah,
plus.
Exactly. No, I think. I mean, I'm not surprised by Asa Hutchinson. Like he just seemed like he was a fish out of water. He
What
was
a-
one of the first to go. I think he was polling at 0.8%.
That's
on the
a 0.8
real
too much.
clear
Yes.
politics. Like,
By the way, it should be
Larry
noted that there's
Elder
a
would've
plus
been
minus
Larry
rounding error
Elder
of
would have wiped
0.8.
the
he would have
floor.
done better than freaking this guy, right?
Absolutely.
And so then Bergram he was a novelty because I didn't know that the vampires were running.
Can we go really?
Yeah, CNN's talking about it right
Yeah,
now.
let's
Do
go
you
to
wanna
CNN right now and see if they're making the attacks that I thought they probably would.
To know the difference between good and evil. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. Ukraine is the first line of defense.
The first time they've ever given
And the problem
anything.
that Vivek
Right.
doesn't
Well, no,
understand
and
is
they're close.
he wants to
NATO.
hear-
This is too.
I know, but what I'm saying is they haven't paid into NATO, so of course they have the money for Ukraine.
They have a little money.
They have
left
the money
over.
for virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And they're right next door. Cop it up.
Said is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense.
Wait.
Putin
Our
has
friends?
Ukraine is not our friend, just to be clear. Neither is Russia, but Ukraine is not our friend.
Right.
The Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I
Maybe.
was at the UN, the Russian
Yeah, by the way, I was going to say,
ambassador
that was a pretty bold claim to make out there, emphatically, that Putin killed Prigozhin because of the plane crash.
No, that was definitely a faulty muffler.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
He also went down with the brother of Scott Brown, so it's...
Really strange. Yeah.
Well, in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not
Whoa, wait, what did he say?
You've been pushing this live.
Uh-oh, Indian fight.
Go and defund Israel.
Okay, let me I'm going to address each of those right now.
What happened? What did he say, Gerald?
I didn't hear it either.
I think he said something about like you'll enjoy your new position on the board of
Raytheon.
like Lockheed.
Yes,
Lockheed
I
and
heard- I
Raytheon.
heard
She's
some-
a war hawk. She's like, the Balkans are next.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like we've talked about the potential for that, but
Okay, let's hear what Anderson...
Slept with Bill Crystal.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley's whole mantra is, I don't back
who they
down
pick.
to bullies. And she had to show that.
'Cause
in
she's
that
a strong
moment,
woman.
That
Yeah,
she
exactly.
could
Five
come
head.
back at
So tired of
Vivek
that.
and, frankly, talk louder than him, which, you know,
And
sometimes
fluster-
I
and
can say that
actually fluster him.
as a woman,
Oh,
sometimes that's not always the
Jesus.
easiest thing
Fluster
to
him.
do.
As a woman.
But,
Nick, shut up. She said as a woman.
Yeah, she's so
thing
oppressed.
about the policy here that is really an issue
has to
for
announce
Ramaswamy.
I'll
which is
take it
that
to Red
he is
Lobster on
putting the
Thursday. Just
table
shut your mouth right now.
that even in this sort of America First Republican
hot
Party,
white
there
chick?
is not a
Scampi
lot
season.
of support for. This idea that she raised about kind of pulling back from support for Israel is not popular among Republican voters. And sometimes it seems like he puts those things on the table just to say, well, I'm going to throw out the idea that no one's going to talk about. But on the debate stage, that's when you get called out for things like that.
Trump did this in 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched him
How'd
time
that
and
work?
again throw out things that were not party orthodoxy. And we all said,
I tie
he's
my tie
saying
like an
things that no
ascot.
Republican could support. But what we learned later was it wasn't about the policy as much as it was about the attention. You know,
well, I mean, Ramaswamy saying
what were your talking points, Ian? And be as boring as possible tonight in the post-debate analysis?
Nailed it.
Like, were those handed out?
Stephen, yes.
Question. Nikki Haley is arguing Ronald Reagan's position. She's arguing
Why are we
John
focusing on Nikki Haley on CNN? Of course.
Because she's a woman.
Rubio's
That's what I was
position,
rhetorical.
but she is losing.
CNN,
That
sorry,
is not the winning
it.
position with the base of the party right now. When I was out in Iowa, I was struck by so many
Oh, Pat,
Republicans.
you're here on the other side.
It's not so much about Putin. It's not about ideology. It's not even about America's leadership in the world. It's that they feel that they are getting screwed by Washington, and yet Washington keeps sending money to other places, not them.
Good point.
And that's more what it's about. It's like we have been ignored. And we keep sending our money in other places. Right. So she's trying to have an American leadership in the world against the communists, against a murderer, against a thug. On the facts, she's right, but it rings hollow with a lot of Republican voters who just think you're another politician. What about my community?
Absolutely. The song that I referenced at the beginning of this, I said.
Please tell us, Mike Chicklets.
I said,
Yeah, really.
The first reference to rich men north of Richmond is going to take place, and I didn't realize that Fox was going to raise it. But to the point John's making. A lot of Americans.
By the way, we are going to have Patrick Bet-David on the show. Some of you may know him as Mr. Valuetainment. I call him Patrick Bet-David.
Yes.
He's going to be on the show in a little bit. What do you think he's going to say about this debate? I bet you he's going to go, okay, look.
My men.
Let me put it to you this way, okay? So tonight, right, we have a problem. We have the debate, okay? And then people are saying, okay, right, look, let me put it to you that way. Now, maybe, okay, all right, maybe we want to look at Nikki Haley, or maybe some people are going to say she's a shrill bitch, right? And then they might say, hold on a second, they might say, okay, Ramaswamy point his finger a lot, right? But does that guy, Patrick Bet-David, if I'm trying to solve the problem, okay, have big biceps, right? Okay. Or does Patrick Bet-David have the biggest biceps? Let me put it to you that way. I'm going to put it to a poll to the audience. We'll get back to it. I'm going to go back with RFK Jr., okay?
Yeah. I don't know what he's going to say. So, look, we do have an interesting question from...
By the way, before people get back, he's probably my favorite podcaster out there outside of this
is he?
show.
And is he a black dude?
He's he's a Syrian. He's Iranian. Yeah. He's like a multi-millionaire with a very successful...
Great guy. We had the opportunity to meet him down in Florida.
Yeah, he's no joke.
Great time with him.
And he's a podcaster.
And he's a conservative. No, he lives in Florida.
He is a businessman. Which is the most important part of it. But we actually had a question on there. Do you think that Vivek, and this isn't just a question from our audience, this is actually a question that was posed online that we think maybe we should address a little bit. Do you think he's more of like the star of the party right now? And he won't really last? Is he like a...
my gut says that's probably the case.
You think?
I don't. I think he's got a lot of substance.
Stephen, why do you think that that's your gut?
Here's what I think: I think that he has a lot of. So it's like Michael Keaton in Night Shift. He's an idea man.
Okay.
But for the first time, he's really going to have to defend them. And here's what happens: even if you're better at for example, he may be better, Ramaswamy, at defending them than Ron DeSantis, or certainly than Hutchinson, right? But he's going to have to defend them to a different degree than anyone else because he's been a breakout star. So the attacks that are going to come are not going to be proportional with the level of defense that he's been forced to sort of mount in the past.
He's no longer the underdog.
Yeah, he's no longer the underdog, and that really is difficult to navigate. That's why these people, they end up feeling overwhelmed, and they end up hiring the old GOP advisors. Now, he's painted himself into a good one where he cannot bring those people in. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying that I think a lot of I've seen this in the past where people don't sort of foresee the potential pitfalls that come with being thrust into a national spotlight.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he rises to the occasion, and he very well could. But I could see it going either way.
I don't. I think he's well equipped, and especially after watching the schmucks he's up against.
I know.
And I think he has been having to defend his positions
the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
He's kind of the media darling right now.
Well, for a reason, though. You know? I really think he's got substance, and the diversity thing doesn't hurt.
Well,
I'm serious.
Whatever do you mean, Nick?
Yeah. No, you know what I mean. Look, you saw what his competition is.
Yeah.
And the fact, if we lived in a perfect world, even a normal world, the fact that everybody in this country can't look at what we've been watching in the White House for the last 3.5 years and go, you know what? Not only does Biden suck, the Democrat Party fucking suck. I know that'll
They're
never
evil.
happen.
They're evil.
They're
It's an evil party.
And I got to believe there's a lot more people that are feeling that way than we know. I'm hoping. Maybe I'm having a dream here.
So I think that
and we need a young guy like Vivek.
I was about to say. So I think what he brings to the table is a very Trump quality in that he is a very clear communicator. He can answer off the cuff. Some of the video footage that we actually showed earlier
Can I
showed him.
pause you just really quickly?
Yeah.
Just so you know, when people are saying, oh, they thought the odds maker said that DeSantis won, have you noticed that CNN's Chiron has not switched from Ramaswamy at all since the debate?
They know
that
he's
tells you who they know is most dangerous to them.
Absolutely.
The entire post-debate roundup has been Ramaswamy until they went to
just
say
changed it as soon as you said it, but
they just said it.
Ah, nice, yes.
But they still have him on the screen, so
exactly.
So sorry, go ahead, Gerald. But I think that's very
have the name Fox News on their air. That's fantastic. I love that for them. No, I do think that there is something to what you're saying, Stephen, though, that he is no longer kind of the underdog. He's no longer the guy that's just kind of the outsider coming in. All of a sudden, all of the attention will be focused on him. DeSantis, I think, in some ways likes this because the other candidates have to punch at Vivek.
Yes.
Right? Instead of
little
punching
heat
at
off him. You're right.
My theory is this. The people that are voting for Donald Trump are voting for Donald Trump, period. You're not going to change their minds. All of the other votes that are up for grabs are either going to go to DeSantis or Vivek or some combination thereof, and maybe somebody else is going to hang around for a little while. DeSantis needs Vivek to be defeated, whether it's from him or everybody else ganging up on him. He doesn't really care because he wants all of those votes to go to him so that he'll be the last man standing and challenging Donald Trump. And maybe some way, somehow, he can overpower him. I don't see that happening. Vivek's going to stay around.
Yeah.
He's got his own money. He's got a ton of support. He's got a lot of young, very engaged people, which is kind of hard to do. And he's got a ton of free media. If that changes, if CNN stops inviting him on, if Fox runs away from him and goes somewhere else,
he'll
you're
figure
start
something out.
He'll figure something out, but it'll get a lot harder really
He'll
quick.
get his buddies at tech support to hack it.
Yeah, something like that. Seriously. You got to play dirty when you got to play dirty.
Hello, RNC. This is Sprint.
The one thing DeSantis has over Vivek is like you said, great governor. He has done this stuff. He's not just bringing it up. And there's a reason people fleeing from California, New York, and these blue cities we make fun of.
I agree. So if people will sit there long enough for you to tell them that he's a great governor and understand the nuance
he needs
of
to
that,
punch in a little faster.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters what you can communicate to people in a short period
Well,
of
that's
time.
true. It's more about optics but he did can his campaign manager who sucked. I don't even know who it was.
No, that's true. I tell you what, though, it's really simple. These candidates all need to understand that this campaign needs to be all gas and no brakes, period.
That's right.
That's it. And I don't understand why they aren't all doing that. Look, of course, Hutchinson is sitting down with Dana Bash.
Naturally.
Now, by the way, I'm sure we could have gotten him to sit down, but we don't want him at the Rumble booth.
No.
Really quickly, before we go to that, before we have Patrick Bet-David on, we'll see the candidates who we have on here in a little bit. I'm hearing now that we actually do have our on-the-ground correspondent, Finnegan, who is there again in Milwaukee right now, who finally tracked down some folks. Let's go.
All right.
All right, Finnegan, you took some chances. Let's see how it paid off, brother.
Not well, Stephen. Not well. Apparently security's pretty tight.
So you have nothing going on?
Well, I got this lapel pin of the American flag, and now they took it, and my microphone.
Oh boy.
It's kind of par for the course for you, isn't it?
Basically.
Well, only 4 more years until that retainer is not obligatory.
I know. So. I should have just stayed up there instead of sending. I don't know.
And Nick DiPaolo, Nick Dip, you can go watch him on MugClub Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Or September 15th, go see him at Rob's Comedy Playhouse.
There we go.
In Buffalo, New York.
Look, 2 nights after that, hilarities in Cleveland.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Is it the 2 nights after that? I thought it was the following weekend.
No.
NickDip.com.
It's 2 nights out.
Okay, great.
In between, I do something else.
Go check out all his dates at NickDip.com.
I can't plug it here.
No. We understand. Yeah.
All right. So we have. Do we want to watch some more of the Tucker clips with Donald Trump, or is it just kind of people are saying there's a little bit of a
not much going on there.
The only thing there was a clip about the indictments being BS that maybe had a little humor to them. So if you want to watch that really quickly, I know we're working on the connection with Rumble right now to make sure we're good to go outside the booth with Patrick.
Okay.
So if you want to do that really quick.
Well, I do think this goes back to kind of
indictments, I think is the name.
our predictions.
Indictments.
Pretty much spot on. Yeah. Honestly, as far as what
Not
we
a lot of
expected
surprise.
tonight.
Actually, the surprise for me was Christie didn't go harder after Trump. I figured he was just going to go.
I think he did it for a moment and saw the audience reaction.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Which I give him credit for.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think he's a big puss, but he stuck to his eclairs, and he put up a good fight. But let me ask you, do you guys, in the back of my head, when we're doing all this stuff, maybe I've grown too cynical. I feel like I'm participating in a game. I'm sorry, the last election really did a number on my hard drive. And I just feel like this is all a big script and a show. We're part of it until the Dems try to steal another.
I think that the margin has to be so significant, and we do need to definitely. I mean, look, that's why we fight back with the tools that we have. Is like for example, we talk about MugClub, but there's a reason that we tell everyone, by the way, to head over from YouTube to Rumble, because if you just look at the Hunter Biden story, we've talked about this. That last election, all of the interference allegedly wouldn't have made enough of a difference. And so what we can't do is install governors who need to do their job as it sort of relates to. No, it would have. In other words, all the election interference wouldn't have been able to save it for them if people just knew about the Hunter Biden laptop story and the corruption.
Right, yeah.
We know that there would have been enough votes that would have switched that they could not, that would have been insurmountable. So that's a multi-pronged approach with the media. And unfortunately, like we've talked about tonight, we see the candidates who are GOP donor class puppets, and a lot of people in, unfortunately, the right-wing media follow suit. And so you look at a lot of the same talking points. I expect you'll see a lot of the candidates making the rounds on a lot of these shows, issuing the same talking points. So it's a multi-pronged approach. We need to fight back on the big media sphere, big media, big tech, right? I always call it the entertainment, media, big tech, industrial complex. Then there needs to be, on a state level, there needs to be at least adhering to your state constitution, certainly governors making sure things like voter ID, and really sunlight being a disinfectant. But what we can do is certainly fight back with independent media. That's the first step. That's the vanguard, and you guys can support it if you think that we do enough at MugClub, ladderwithcredit.com/MugClub. You get $10 off, and if not, hey, then don't support us. We need to do better.
When you say right-wing media, other than Fox, who are you talking about?
Talking
Radio?
about unfortunately, right-wing media, and I've talked about this quite a bit in the past, is it's dominated by a lot of nonprofit influence. And so the problem with nonprofit influence is that it means you have donors. And it means that those donors get to dictate content. And a lot of these for-profit businesses, by the way, like the biggest media companies online that exist in the conservative sphere, also have huge nonprofit sectors, and there's a lot of funding of the funds.
But when you say dictating content, where? On what platforms or what?
Well, we don't necessarily need to name names, but I'm pretty sure people can guess. Take the top 5. Yes. That's the answer.
I can't guess. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, Nick, quite literally billions of dollars in nonprofit, right? It's a 501c3 or a 501c4. These are not businesses. And so unfortunately, when you are beholden, look, that's why we have the investigative journalism unit. The people we have here we're thrilled. They're going, wait, we don't just have to oust a congressman. No. Whatever it is that you think is most important. When you have a donor, it's this. It's, okay, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes. You forgot to say the magic word. And that's when people often wonder, why are conservatives so far behind often on the cultural fight? That's why, because for the left, as ironic as all this is, they largely are propelled by for-profit industries, with the media, with the entertainment industry, with big tech.
That's why there's a CNN and MSNBC and all that outnumbering, and we got Fox.
Well,
we don't even have Fox.
Fox is the only one. Fox is the only one. But then if you look online, right, again, you can't fight back when you have donors dictating what it is that you can and cannot say, and we see that a lot, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's our media. It's not just the donor. It's not just the political issue. It's the media industry on the right. Yeah.
It's the advertising connection too. That's why you have to decouple from advertisers as your model. And
yes.
Elon Musk even said that. He's done a lot of things I don't agree with since saying that by hiring the CEO he hired and other things. But that's the thing you have to do, because if companies go, that's not safe. That's not a safe thing for us to say. We don't want to advertise there. All of a sudden, dollars get pulled out of it.
Yeah. Well, to give you an idea, let's just say 1, 2, let alone 3 of her Christie jokes, which, by the way, were superb. Perfect. The fat jokes. I'm a child. I still think they're funny. There's not a single other conservative media entity who would have allowed that. Not one. It wouldn't be allowed. And guess what? There are enough people out there who enjoy having a laugh and enjoy different kinds of content. But that's the problem with having a donor class dictating not only the candidates, but the media. And we're able to call balls and strikes, and it also makes it more challenging.
Why would they think like that when the average American is like us and howling?
Well, the average American isn't the donor. Yeah.
Patrick Bet David is ready for us to give us a little post-debate
All right. So look, let's go to my main man. Okay. Very excited. Let me put it to you that way. Yeah. Patrick Bet David. Mr. David, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Hold on a second. I can't hear you yet. 1 second. Okay, good.
Just need it on there.
Let me hear you there. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Oh boy, we're hitting.
1 second.
We're hitting.
This is a little.
Patrick,
We're hitting. Oh, perfect. I can hear you now, sir. Look at you. You're looking tan, but you always look tan. All right. Let me ask you, Mr. David. What did you think of the debates tonight? Who came out the big winner? We had our predictions, but I don't want to lead the witness here. I think I know what you're probably going to say.
Yes, and by the way, I don't know what the media is saying, so whatever I say to you is purely fresh out of being in there, watching what happened, how the audience was reacting. I thought Vivek had a great turnout in multiple areas. I think I give him an 8.5 is what I give him. He could have had a higher score, but I think Nikki Haley, when it came down to foreign policy, had a bit of an edge. Now, remember, guys, this is not about who you like or who we like and who's your guy and who's that person's who you're rooting for. I thought Nikki had multiple good moments. And quite frankly, a lot of people in the audience were reacting to her very well.
Oh, come on now.
She was not on my list of anybody that was going to react. I thought Tim Scott was a little bit flat. I thought he said the right things. I thought he was likable. I thought he looked like somebody that would make a good VP. I didn't see that as a person that would be a good number one. I thought Mike Pence was very aggressive. That doesn't mean it was good aggressive, but I thought he was aggressive and he was trying to impose himself out there. And you kind of have to see a couple times he had to be stopped. Who else? DeSantis, I thought he hit his scripts very well. If there was 6 scripts and 8 lines that DeSantis had to hit, I think he hit 100% of them. And I was watching very closely when the breaks would happen, who would talk to who. During the breaks, DeSantis and Christie would speak a lot. And if you notice, DeSantis, if we were to count how many shots he took at Trump, I don't know how many times he took shots at Trump, maybe even 0, but you heard Christie do it. So Christie was a mouthpiece to say the things that maybe DeSantis wanted to say about Trump, but he didn't have to say it. So strategically, I thought it was a very good strategy.
Well, by the way, and I would say,
frankly, I don't have an opinion on them.
Well, Pat, no one does either. You're the Bela Lugosi lookalike, Burgum. But you're so congenial, by the way. And this is why I think you get all of these guests who come on and don't realize and I mean this in a good way, like what a sniper you are and how surgical you are. You just said, I think that if he had 6 scripts, he hit all of them. That is a way to say a little bit in a friendly way, in a respectful way, that DeSantis obviously has to go with talking points a little more. And I do think that's an interesting dynamic that only you could provide insight, here for the audience. If he was talking a lot with Christie, that does seem like there's a little bit of a double cross maybe, right? I get to be good cop, you get to play bad cop. You think that's what was going on a little bit with DeSantis and Christie?
I think we're naive to think people are not doing that. I think we're naive to think Nikki Haley and Mike Pence don't have a partnership going on where they had a moment to show that they disagree, but it was something they disagreed on that wasn't really important, but they agreed on the bigger issues. So I saw some kind of a connection between them two. But yeah, look, I mean, it's strategic. Vivek, obviously, if you were to say, close your eyes and say, who was Trump? Was Trump in the debate tonight? You would say absolutely. How? Through Vivek. So these are strategies that they're playing. And for us to try to just pin it that DeSantis is playing that strategy with Christie, it's naive. Everyone's playing it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and it actually provides some insight that we couldn't have. I think Gerald has a question for you.
I was actually going to piggyback off of that. So it looked like Christie went after Vivek a little bit more than I expected. I figured that Christie was going to go after Trump, but Vivek is the real problem for DeSantis, in my opinion. If he stays around, he steals votes from DeSantis. The people would go to him. Is that what you're saying? Do you think that was actually the target was not just Trump, but Vivek with Christie?
If you notice, there was a part where Mike Pence took a shot at Vivek about the script. Hey, slow down, like trying to say you're a fast-talking salesperson, And then, Pence had a line that got a reaction. He says, look, we need to kind of not vote for someone that's going to be too old or too young. Obviously, the too old, he's talking Biden and Trump, and too young, he's talking about Vivek. But I think America's maybe at a point where, they don't want a Pence. And, Vivek flat out called everybody. These are, super PAC puppets, those comments that he made. And, I mean, he did not hold back. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pence was not happy with Vivek. But I thought Vivek did exactly what those who are pro-Trump would have wanted him to do. So again, even though Trump wasn't there, he was in spirit through Vivek.
That's exactly right. When it was happening, we were watching this live and streaming it, and I said, if you were just to change it, if you were to say, if you were to read this from a script, what Vivek just said, and say Donald Trump said this, you would read it and go, and do you want a super PAC puppet? That's the choice. I'm going, that is quite literally exactly something. And I wonder if he's positioning himself, do you think, with someone like Vivek, who maybe doesn't have a ton of experience? We've often asked who would be the VP candidate for Trump. Obviously, Kari Lake would be up there. It seems like a lot of people aren't necessarily willing to take the risk. You think Vivek is more likely to be sort of tapped for that VP spot, or certainly a cabinet spot after tonight, than maybe going for the presidency?
I have a very hard time with that, because when you have an alpha personality like Trump, you cannot have an alpha as a VP. You just can't. It's just not going to work out. When you're running a company, typically, if the CEO is alpha, the number two has to be a little bit of a guy that knows how to privately call you out, but publicly hold you up. And I don't know if Vivek, as a founder, CEO, driver, who's built multi-billion-dollar companies, in his mind, he probably sees himself as an equal to Trump, because he thinks he did it on his own. So even on the inside, Vivek's a pretty confident guy. Here's a guy that came from a mom and dad that came here 2 years before he was born. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I see him as a VP. I think the types of people that Trump would want as a VP, if you want to look at everybody on that stage, 100% loyalty is important to him. We were just with Kari a few minutes ago. Kari, somewhere around here. Number one is loyalty. Kari's super loyal. He values that a lot. And number two, it's somebody that's not going to outshine him. And I think Tim Scott is a great candidate as a VP, because he's just not going to outshine him.
Yeah, I would hope that's not the case, and you have the best person for the job. But I do understand that those dynamics need to be taken into play. Were you about to ask something?
I was just going to say,
this is Nick DiPaolo here.
I just
Patrick,
learned so much from. I really didn't know about those games.
Yeah,
them speaking. DeSantis and Christie.
Oh, Patrick David is a killer.
Yeah, that's brilliant observations that I'd never heard. I see, but I was thinking that Vivek was playing it. Look, I know I'm not going to be the president. I see him playing it as maybe chief of staff,
something like that.
And Trump's going to be, if Trump's around, is going to be done in 4 years.
Yeah,
I see him taking a prominent role there. But again, he makes a great point.
He makes a good point, because think about it, of all those people on stage, Mike Pence was the guy who Trump chose as his VP last time. And
but he had guys like Steve Bannon in his administration who wouldn't he been afraid of him? I know he's loyal to a fault. Wouldn't
maybe
he
that's
been
a little
threat?
bit different, because he kind of had to do his.
But I just learned so much. I never knew games like that were being played.
Yeah, and I do think that Mike Pence tonight absolutely sucked. I know that Patrick can't say that, because again, he gets all the people they'll go on his show, and rightfully so.
Well, let me speak for him, like Vivek and DeSantis did.
You about to ask something there, Joe?
I have another question for you. So outside of Kari Lake and anybody that was on that debate stage tonight, do you see another clear choice for vice president?
I'm a fan of Christie. I'm a fan of again. Look, you for again, think about the alpha person in your life that operates and leads a company or runs a team. Okay, whoever that alpha is, number two cannot be an alpha. Your ambition cannot be to outshine the alpha. It's just not going to work with. It's not going to work with a personality. Right. So you got to take the person with a lot of ambitions of one day I would like to be, etc. So that's not going to work out with a Vivek, because Vivek is very ambitious.
Agreed.
And he is very confident, and he is very driven, and he is very hardworking, and he believes in himself, and he knows how to sell the dream. He knows how to sell the nightmare. He knows how to relate to you. He knows how to rally and fire the audience up. Every time he got up and spoke, the people were just energized when this guy speaks. And Americans want something like that right now, because it's been a little bit of a fear, nightmare, doom and gloom type of a America we've been living in for the last 3-4 years, with way too much animosity and tension and, all of this. So I don't know. I don't see that part, but I think there's going to be. Keep this in mind with President Trump. He is a very unpredictable yet predictable leader. Okay, predictable in the areas that he's very predictably values loyalty. Okay,
right.
He is predictable in the area of wanting someone that is, not going to want to outshine them. but he's unpredictable that he's going to probably end up picking somebody no one is thinking about, just like he picked Pence. That's also very likely of happening.
Stormy Daniels.
Yes. Well, he's playing pickleball with her right now. So, look, I know that you are busy. Sir. Hey, I mean, not that you need it, but where's the best place for people to find you, support you? Because I always tell them, look, if you're going to pick the top 3 people out there doing programs right now, Patrick Bet David is one of them. Where's the best place for people to find you, Patrick?
You just type Patrick Bet David. You can find us on all socials, Patrick Bet David. We have a podcast called PBD Podcast that we cover a bunch of different things from politics and business. You can find us everywhere.
See, that was a very, very friendly way of him saying, look, let me put it to you this way. Google me, bitch. That's what he just said to me. And I look like an idiot. Patrick Bet David, thank you for taking time, brother.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thanks. Be well. By the way, Nick was laughing because you had never heard him. You never heard him before, and I guess it was probably the impression once you heard him.
You were dead on with that.
No, it's spot on. Great guy.
But did he
He's
say,
awesome.
I'm really
Patrick.
asking because he said Peabody at the
Did he?
PBD. Patrick.
PBD.
Oh,
Patrick
all right.
Bet David.
All right.
He said,
Which is
PBD. That's all, folks.
Yeah.
That's all, folks. Okay.
I was just thinking though how Pence was trying to call Vivek out for his inexperience.
Look, listen.
Vivek could have said, "Well, how did
the thing is,
it didn't hurt Trump."
Let me put it to you that way, okay? Mike Pence, all right, has a very small penis. Right. That's right. Okay. But Vivek, right, is an alpha. So the two go together. One's going to be a power bottom, all right, and one's going to be a top. And what are you looking at, Gerald? You look very confused.
I'm looking at something. I don't know what language something was just in on my screen.
Is it Patrick Bet David writing an old Assyrian?
Actually, Rumble had 3 of the top 4 streams in the world tonight, right? We were the top stream other than the actual just clean GOP debate stream, right? So there a lot of people for that.
And that's just on Rumble, not including YouTube and MugClub numbers.
All the other metrics that we go off of. So you were a part of, obviously something very big.
Other than what was
you're saying other than the just original stream? Yeah.
Other than the original stream, like we were the largest thing out there. But there was something that looked like it was Indian, probably a cricket review. I don't know.
Are you saying Rumble is this show on
this show on
the
Rumble?
4 largest shows at the time were Rumble shows. 3 of the 4,
and we're number 2.
Massive.
So thank you guys so much. And again, please do consider. Look, and here's one thing. I know that we mentioned it quite a few times tonight because of that promo code, Crowder GOP debate.
was number 2.
It's $10 off. But hey, would you rather us sell Boll and Branch bed sheets and Quip toothbrushes that then start to turn into a vibrating cock with a rainbow
Wait a minute.
flag?
Hey, what's the matter with that?
I'm just saying, you see those all over the pot. No, Quip. Hey, Mission Control. Bring that up. Bring that shit up. Quip toothbrush did a rainbow toothbrush that looked like a rainbow vibrator, and every single conservative was selling that shit. Don't you condemn me. Don't you judge me. Okay, Mr. Nasty Show, and you and your stupid Boy Scout FCC sweater vest bullshit.
There it is.
You ever try to get blood out of a Boll and Branch sheet? Oh my God.
We have it. Bring it up right out.
Bring up the Quip toothbrush. Look.
No. The other one. This one.
Yeah, that one.
No. That's much. The picture in
Any
honor.
Dramamine
The
with
latest
this shit.
picture in honor. Go there.
Bring up the Quip toothbrush.
Do it. Boom!
My point is, we mentioned one thing tonight. There's been one, and it's MugClub, and that's because of viewers like you have made this the number 2 stream. And by the way, that doesn't include all of the other numbers out there. So because of you, we're able to send investigative journalists out there. Because of you, we're able to bring the OG like Nick DiPaolo on. Because of you, we're launching shows like Brian Callen and like the Hodge Twins, and Alex Jones, of course.
Predicting the future, by the way.
Yeah, by the way.
Floris
Right
Leachman.
now, he's doing the show at on Friday, but he wants to do the show every single day, and we have animated shows, documentaries. That's entirely because of viewers like you. So would you rather us plug Boll and Branch and Quip and Birch Gold and I'm G. Gordon Liddy? Or, well, I guess no. They still run Gordon Liddy commercials.
They do.
Even though he's dead.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Weird. There's gold in them. Their ads.
Yeah.
Wow, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Quiet. I want to hear what Mike Axelrod has to say.
In a minute, we'll have Jordan Peterson, I believe, will be available to come on. It'd be good to hear what he has to say. He was standing there, but Patrick was going long, so he got pulled away, but he's going to come back in just a minute.
You think Jordan Peterson said, listen, Patrick, I appreciate, but could you shut the hell up for a moment?
Just one moment, please.
Listen, my man, Jordan Peterson, look, you're a doctor, okay? But here's the problem. I'm the guy. Shut the hell up. No, by the way, isn't it great? Hey, I don't know if we'll get the candidates because a lot of them are urinating their little panties. Not Nikki Haley, of course, because I would never.
Hers are huge.
Yeah, everyone other than her. But I have to use the
do that.
restroom. Really, do we want to do a quick commercial break as we get Jordan Peterson on the line, or figure that out?
Yeah. It'll be a few minutes for Jordan Peterson, but we can do a quick break because these guys are just basically gas bags on CNN.
Yes. So a quick break. Everyone here has to urinate really quickly. We'll come back. Jordan Peterson, most likely, and then we'll see which other candidates are available. And then, of course, we will take your chats, go exclusive to Mug Club, Nick DiPaolo, Gerald Morgan. Enjoy this quick commercial break while I relieve myself.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the constitutional law that created this country. And some people don't. It started liberalism. Mug Club can stop it.
And now for the adventures of the white privilege boy. All right there now, Timmy. I know you're a teenager, but if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. You can't park your vehicle faced into oncoming traffic. Come on, let's move.
Well, gee, officer, I'm sure sorry. Can I just go back to my car?
No, I want you to follow my instructions. Either get down on the ground or follow me away from the vehicle.
But, officer, can't I just get my PCP?
No, well, usually I'd say no, but you can make it quick. Come on, get on out of here, you white rascal.
Oh, boy, I'm in a free base.
Oh, those boys. What pickle will they find themselves in next? Stay tuned for next week's installment of Adventures of the White Privilege Boys.
Hey, boo, Pedro, not today. You're not sending your best. I'm gonna send you right back. Looking over that. Well, let's keep building this wall. There you go, brick by brick. My wall, frankly, shoots fire, you see? And you're gonna pay for it. It's Trump! Hey, guys, in the chat, let me know what you'd like me to put in my moat. I'm thinking alligators and spikes.
Did Nick leave? Gerald,
that is by far got it. That is by far one of my there's people running behind me. Oh my gosh. It's one of my favorite sketches that we've ever done. It was Trump playing Minecraft building the wall.
So good. Oh my God.
It was fantastic. So look, I know we've got people that we're working on right now. If you see on like CNN, Fox, everybody right now, there's a spin room, right? So the spin room is basically where they go to do interviews and to talk about what just happened. Essentially what we're doing here, what CNN sucks at doing, and what obviously many, many more of you are watching us do this. They actually had a bit of an issue, and I don't know how it got resolved, but apparently Representative Matt Gaetz out of Florida said that it was resolved. They were not letting any of the Trump surrogates, basically people who are going to go in and kind of represent Donald Trump, like Carrie Lake or anybody like that.
That may have been a miscommunication, though.
I think it was intentionally miscommunicated if it was. I think this is Fox being petty because Fox is a little pissed off at Tucker and they're pissed off at Trump, right? And they are basically saying, hey, we're going to make this a little bit more difficult for you. Donald Trump Jr., you're not welcome. Kimberly Guilfoyle, you're not welcome, right? Things like that are happening. I think they did finally get it sorted out. Maybe they were making a big deal out of it. Maybe that was the whole story to this. But I think what we're seeing right now, bigger, I don't know how to say this the right way, bigger than the debate that we just saw, we're witnessing the death of mainstream media.
Which also tells you how out of touch these candidates are, that they're appearing with Dana Bash on CNN right afterward.
Every single time it's like, Vivek, get out of the room. Nobody's going to be watching these people.
Yeah.
Right? So with Rumble being the sponsor and streaming, like you're seeing very, very large numbers of people watching this online. You're going
off of YouTube, by the way. Off of YouTube, off of Facebook.
YouTube and Facebook and some of the biggest players out there. You're seeing people kind of run out of this and go, you know what? You're seeing a moment in time where these people are going to look back and go, this is the death knell, right? No longer do we control the politics that people want to see. No longer do we control the questions that get asked. Because think about this. If you're somebody who's Brett Baer or Martha McCallum, you have to be careful sometimes the questions you ask because maybe they aren't going to come on your show next week. Maybe they're not going to be happy at the network that you're going to get called. What was it, the second floor? If you ever got called to the second floor, you knew.
At Fox News, it was a second floor,
it was a problem, right?
Yeah, that's where you had all the executives.
We don't care. We're not going to be jerks just to be jerks, like the clickbait stuff that people do.
No, you never want to sandbag anyone, but we want to ask the questions that people have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The normal, everyday American that has a question, like, look, I get it. I was talking with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Congresswoman, she was much nicer. I've never really met her. I just thought she was a little bit fiery in most of the things that I saw. Very nice. She said, look, it's a 10-year problem to fix. You've got to give us the House and the Senate and the White House. I'm like, look, we've done that. Maybe we didn't do it for 10 years, but we gave you that, and we've been burned so many times. Can you promise me that it's going to happen this time? Because I don't want to be left at the altar yet.
How many times have we had Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Dan Crenshaw on and talk about Section 230?
230,
and then nothing is actually done.
I said we talked about
that. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I don't have anything against the guy. Dan Crenshaw, last time he was on, he supported the TAPS Act. Everyone else gave him a softball. And I said, how is that not red flag laws? And I asked him, okay, let me ask you a different way. How are you going to guarantee that the TAPS Act that you're supporting does not turn into red flag type laws where a neighbor can simply, in a disgruntled state, report a neighbor who they don't like and they forfeit their Second Amendment rights? He didn't have an answer. Not saying that Dan Crenshaw is a bad guy, but we asked that question in real time where he was immensely popular. Now, a lot of people have those issues with Representative Crenshaw now, but at the time, it was a question that was important and no one else was willing to ask. We've had these questions for people. We never, by the way, aim to be disrespectful with people, of course. This is honestly, people are often surprised when they sit down. We go, look, we match your intensity, but we're also not going to do the bidding of the donor class. Right. That is a big difference between what we do. If we were doing the bidding of the donor class, you think Nick Paolo would be here? Who, by the way, told me he didn't have to go to the bathroom. He said, no, I'm doing all right. And then I come back, he's gone for 9 minutes.
Exactly.
I hope you had a hell of a piss, Arnold.
Yeah.
Well, I got a prostate the size of, the Statue of Liberty.
The size of Chris Christie?
Exactly.
No, but that's right. So when we had Senator Rubio on, we basically pressed him and said, look, if you don't fix 230, you may not be around.
Yeah.
Because maybe they can just lock you out. You won't have a voice. This is the kind of thing that needs to get fixed ASAP. And look, I love, and you can go online. We'll probably put it up for MugClub, the full interviews that we did. I know we showed some segments of it today.
Yeah.
But you can see that full interview, and I was just like, look, 10 years? I didn't go.
And by the way, you did a good job too, Gerald. Everyone,
thank you.
Please sound off in the chat there that Gerald. Gerald is he's now migrated to this full time. I mean, you worked here part time for, I guess, going back to 2015 in some capacity.
Seriously?
Yeah, and you know what happened? Here's the story.
Really?
Yeah, here's the story about
Hope
Gerald.
that doesn't happen to me.
Oh boy,
Gerald. Do you remember the conversation? So Gerald said when we were in these contract disputes, and I said, I really want to be independent and kind of break free of these shackles. This was a really earnest moment, and Gerald said, I think he can do it, and I think that if you do it this way, he kind of went through potential, as far as sign-ups and as far as our merch shop, which you can go to crowdershop.com. He said, you can do it. And I said, I know, but if I do it independently, I need, and you said, you're going to need someone to handle it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to handle that all yourself.
He was that guy.
And he was that guy. And he said, all right, let me step in. Yep. And God in the form of Gerald Morgan, who, by the way,
of a tight end.
Yes. Well,
Very
to this
tight end.
day.
Thank
Can
you
I
very
ask
much.
you guys a question? Because I know you were discussing 230. Can you refresh my memory? I know it has something to do with platforms being immune to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, okay, when you, for example, like Sprint or Verizon, or in your case, Metro PCS, they're regulated as a public utility, right? Meaning that even if you're a neo-Nazi and you're not committing a crime, they can't shut you down, right? That's a different regulation, right? They're afforded certain liberties. In other words, they're not liable for what people are saying across their cell towers. Same thing applies, by the way, to, like, for example, the town square. So 230 has extended to the digital town square, meaning that places like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they're not seen as publishers like the NewYorkTimes.com. They're seen as digital town squares, which means they do not editorialize. They do not censor content based on point of view, which affords them, but they benefit from, in other words, you can't sue YouTube.
So they're having it both ways.
They're having it both ways. And so all I'm saying is the way that you solve it is say, you are either a platform or you are a publisher. And considering that YouTube has removed our content and suspended us 4 points of view and preemptively said, send us your content so that we can tell you if it's acceptable
we
or
did it
not.
and they wouldn't, by the way.
What?
We did it and they wouldn't. You know, the vaccine thing, we were like, hey, can you tell us if this
The vaccine
kinda crosses
parity,
lines?
yeah.
It shouldn't, but we just want to make sure
Is
they're like,
230 the movement to stop that?
No,
Or that's
230 is the bill
what
that gives
allows
them the
to do
protection,
that?
but they're abusing it. Yes.
And we're trying. Who's
just
trying to
reverse it.
change that?
Well,
Don't
they
tell
all
me
say
Jim
that they are.
Jordan.
They all say that they are.
They're
No,
not
he's too busy
trying
hitting an
hard
ankle
enough.
pick on what?
They're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, they're not doing enough.
In other
was our
words,
whole
there's
point.
something in it for them too.
Well, and here's the problem, too. If you're a conservative media company and you're making quite literally tens of millions of dollars off of YouTube, the easiest path to make money right now, by the way, you guys need to understand this, is make money off of YouTube advertising, Google AdSense, and Facebook instant articles. That's the easiest way. You could literally have never created an original piece of content, just copy, paste, hat tip, and make tens of millions of dollars, and many people out there do. That's a constant. It's something that we have been up against for a very long time, and that does not encourage conservatives and Republicans to do better. And that's why they feel comfortable right now. For crying out loud, right now, Burgum is appearing with Dana Bash on CNN. Could you be any more tone deaf?
Any more predictable? They've had Mike Pence on. Who'd they have first?
Well, they just had a Vivek on. But the fact that they're doing this, like, what do they think? Man, I really have to bring my message to the people. Let me go talk with Dana Bash.
They're just used to it. It's well, like they have to get out of the old.
Nobody's
way of
interviewed anybody from Transylvania on CNN.
That's true.
Let me tell you something about Dana.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, he certainly did stand up to those Ottomans. So
it worked out. No, I think people do get stuck in these old patterns where they're like, "Oh, I have to give a canned answer. Oh, I have to be a little bit more kind of upright in these debates and not show the personality and the fire that really got me here in the first place. And now I have to go talk to CNN and MSNBC and Fox and CBS. I got to talk to all these guys. No. What you need to do is bypass the gatekeepers. You start taking power away from them.
Look, there are two things in this industry. I'm going to give you some inside baseball here that are hardest to cheat. And I've said this for a very long. You can buy views on platforms, okay? Especially if you have billions of dollars or hundreds of millions in nonprofit funding. The hardest numbers to cheat are live viewership and ticket sales. That's why when people point to Donald Trump's rallies, I get it. You can have a big rally and maybe not win a general election. That is plausible, though not likely.
Right.
But it is very, very hard to cheat. Consistently having people come out to your rallies or pay a ticket to go see you speak in person, or people at that. In other words, tonight, when these streams are going on, you have the choice to tune in anywhere. We cannot pay to plump up our viewership because it has to go through a 24-hour approval process. Whoever tuned in, you tuned in. Those are the two toughest numbers to cheat. And so I will tell you this, if nothing else, if you want to know if you're having the wool pulled over your eyes, if you see a huge media company online that has these huge plays, right? Millions of plays. And Tim, you know, you run up against this. Everyone who runs social here on YouTube, on Facebook, you go, wow, it's 5 million plays, but they're consistently getting a few thousand or maybe even 15,000. On a good day, 20,000 live viewers. That means there's a disconnect.
Yep.
And that's why, you know what, a good example, by the way, Patrick Bet-David has great live viewership. Jordan Peterson sells more tickets out there than anyone in the conservative movement. I was thinking about this in the drive over today, and I would love to hear from you. Who would you say are the top 3 shows online, like the top 3 podcasters out there doing it? I would say Patrick Bet-David is up there for sure. Jordan Peterson in his field, he's untouchable.
And Mark Maron.
And yeah. Well, I guess in the Count of Monte Cristo lookalike convention. I wasn't going to say it because I didn't know if you were friends with him or not.
I don't have a problem. I mean,
I do.
A lot of people do.
No. I just,
guys like that are scared of me. So
I think this is going to be interesting. So they're fact checking the debate right now. They brought on the
CNN?
nerd in the glasses on CNN.
Oh, here we go.
Number 3, I would say Joe Rogan because of first movers' rights. He stayed in when everybody else pulled out. And so I would say Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan would be in my top 3. I'd love to hear yours. Let's see the fact check from this Rainn Wilson lookalike.
Free and open is misleading at best. And that's because Governor DeSantis is omitting a bunch of important
it's 2 queers, 1 cup.
about what he did early in the pandemic. Here is the reality. He certainly
Between
did
2 queers.
open up Florida. Certainly was faster than some other governors in doing so.
That's high praise.
He did not keep it open from the start.
They should have thought bubbles over the head right now.
Restrictions
It's hot
at the
dogs
beginning
going
of
into
the
donuts.
pandemic on Florida's people, its businesses, and
Who
other
is this
entities.
goo gobbler?
Some of the things he did in March 2020
Jesus.
and April 2020. He closed Florida's schools for the rest of the school year. He banned
Did he?
most
You
visits
look
to
into
nursing
schools.
homes. He ordered bars
Wearing
and
a trench coat with a bag of Twinkies.
For the rest of the school year, do you know what that means? For a couple of months.
Yeah.
Because it was in early April, late March that we were talking about this, the closing of all of this stuff. And he's like, he closed it for the rest of the school year? He's not telling the truth because he did close things down for Florida. He opened them sooner than most people did.
And the context matters. If you had your way, and by that I mean known Democrat shills, yes, Anderson Cooper and this man, his name escapes me because I don't like to remember it. You are included. But here's the thing: what kind of policies would you have if left unfettered? Kids still wouldn't be in school.
Of course.
And that's without a hint of hyperbole.
Be like Chicago
Children would not be back in school, and if so, at the very least with masks on, which by the way, the literature, someone can bring this up from Mission Control, show, and I know it's not a perfect clinical trial because you're not going to have that with masks because you can't have a placebo control group, just to be clear. We're not going to have the golden standard. But if you look at the meta-analyses, children who wore a mask infrequently or not at all were less likely to have severe COVID complications than children who wore a mask.
That's not what Randy Weingarten said.
I thought you were saying Randy Newman.
Yeah.
Same thing.
You know I'm going to wear a mask.
Not going
because my school's up to the task. I can't breathe because I'm wearing this mask. Give me another Grammy mask.
It fogs my glasses.
That guy sucks.
Oh, Randy.
I like him. His
No, he's
songs are
actually very
catchy.
talented.
Oh, yeah, him and
I don't
Paul
like him
Anka.
either, but I know he's talented.
That was their big fact check, by the way. They've gone to commercial. The fact check was Ron DeSantis wasn't telling you the whole story about the lockdowns. He needs to be, and he was like very adamant about that. And I was kind of trying to read his lips as he was talking.
That's all
about
they
stuff.
do.
No, they're trying to point out these small things where it's like, of course, everybody closed down. Everybody was worried initially about this, right? But it's what he did once we go,
I'm saying the
we
fact-
got to get
Oh,
this.
sorry.
All right,
Saying
little
come
Joe
on.
Lewis. Gratuitous Joe Lewis cam. He goes, you can.
This is how he
There we
shows that
go.
he loves you with the butt. Sorry, he's been very patient. Right now he's wondering when we're not at home.
Is anybody taking him out?
He does that, by the way. Clears the room.
Sausages.
I don't know what they do in South India. I don't want them to eat at me.
No.
So cute.
Love that.
All right, good boy.
By the way, let's
very
bring up
confused.
a tweet from our former Vice President Joseph R. for Robinette Biden.
He's going back to Nick. By the way, that's because Nick feeds him from the table.
He does.
I do not feed him from the
You and Alex
You are
Jones encourage the
incorrigible.
table.
Son's a bitch. He took my food.
By the way, it's sons of bitches. If you could, please I shouldn't have said
I am
that
from
out loud.
Canada. I
Pardon me.
don't say the.
There's an
That's
S.
it. He says you son of a bitch.
the son of a bitch. I've been playing for the Canadian for 2-3 years.
There you go.
So Sicilian.
You got me cussing over here. I apologize. That wasn't.
Yeah,
intended.
blame it on me, you hellion.
Yeah. So this is from Joseph.
I never fed the
R.
dog,
Biden.
by the way. He took my food.
A bunch of Republicans on stage.
Stupid white dog.
One united MAGA ideology from our on-air channel.
You
can
have
bring that
Ron
up, right?
DeSantis, you
That's
got Tim
not
Scott,
it at all.
you've got Mike
I mean,
Pence.
I mean, the
What do we
tweet
got there?
of Joseph R. Biden.
The hell was that? Oh, that's Trump looking at it from his
No,
cell.
that's the what she said tweet. The one right above that. Yes.
We're doing this live without a net.
Well, and he's
Because
getting
she's sick
better.
today. What?
We've been drinking.
The tweet right above that. I mean, it's literally half an inch above that.
That's what she
Go
said.
ahead, bring it up. Bring it
Stop
up. Now,
it.
do it. Yeah.
Oh, my
A
goodness.
bunch of Republicans on stage, one united MAGA ideology. Oh.
What's this, Hollywood Squares?
Yeah, exactly.
No, no, no,
Bruce
I don't need
Phalange
the
going to
video
make an
for it.
appearance?
Just-
Yeah,
just
he's
that,
the
right?
middle square on the age quilt.
This is Joe Biden trying to.
Wait, was that supposed to be clever? Like,
That's what I mean.
What
This
he
is
just
like,
said?
That's not mine.
That's comedic.
I have to give.
Joe Biden.
That's
Joe
not
talking about
mine.
the videos.
That's-
I didn't hear what Nick
Kenny
said.
Rogers.
Oh, okay. Well, you
He said it about Paul Lynn. Kenny Rogers is a fucking genius.
Wait, Kenny Rogers?
Kenny Rogers said, yeah, the singer came up with that one.
All right.
No, Kenny Rogers said, ow,
You just hit my shoe.
I hit your heel.
It's a Goodyear welt.
Jeez. What's that made of? Shark's teeth?
I don't know, but I tell you what I do know. When he said that stupid white dog, that felt bad for Nick coming out of his mouth because he loves Joe Lewis. You didn't
He
mean
is-
that for a moment.
If I could have a dog on the planet, I
Yeah,
would kidnap that thing.
He's a. You
And
and Alex
I'd
Jones.
treat it the way it deserves to be, not the way you treat it. Who feeds cotton candy and chocolate to their dog?
He likes Mickey's.
He is the
He likes it.
sweetest, scariest dog I've ever seen.
He's the scariest looking dog. I've never seen him dislike anybody.
He doesn't
Who,
mean
me? I hate everybody.
He's a very
oh,
sweet-
yeah.
No, yeah. No,
He
Joe
dislikes stray cats.
Let's grab a couple of chats because we're waiting on obviously Dr. Peterson. We'll see
Yeah.
if he gets in there.
Yeah.
And outside of that, then we can go. You know what? We can go to Mug Club, and if these candidates want to wait, then it'll just be on Mug Club. We'll run it on as a clip tomorrow. But let's grab a few chats. And thank you again. The promo code is Crowder GOP Debate, $10 off, and he will be at Rob's Comedy Playhouse September 15th, somewhere in New York.
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
All right, so here's
Somewhere
hey,
in New York.
hey,
Here I am in front of my
I can't
pizza.
remember everything.
Here I am in front of my pizza place. I love that picture.
All right, so here's a question for Stephen. What were your thoughts on the questions, and what issues do you think needed to be addressed during the debate?
Well, I was just very surprised that they started off so quickly with the climate change as the number one issue and how they partnered with Young America's Foundation. That seemed odd to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. And then right away going into the abortion in a way that was hedged, really as though it was written from Salon.com or Slate. I think that we learned today, look, and I've always tried to be really careful about this. You know this, Gerald, because I was at Fox News for 4.5 years.
Right.
They never liked me, to be clear. Well, actually, that's not true. 2 people did, and then Roger Ailes did not. He also banned Norm Macdonald for life, so I felt like, okay, I'm doing all right. In other words, they don't just hate everybody.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was there for 4.5 years, so I've tried to be objective. They're not your friends. They're not your allies, Fox News. I think we learned that tonight. Would you say so, Gerald? It did not seem like they were being even-handed.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, you've got an entire field of Republicans, and so you have to ask questions to kind of push them a little bit and get the conversation going. But when you talk about climate change as a settled thing, that's a debate right now with conservatives and what part we play in it and what we should do. Literally spending trillions of dollars and shutting down world economies to try to make sure that we go green instead of letting Africa, I don't know, use coal. By the way, every single freaking electric vehicle out there is powered by coal, so thank you,
We
coal.
just had an ad for the Cadillac, the new EV from Cadillac.
Yeah.
They're like 450-mile range, which, by the way, is probably 30% better than it actually gets. That's 1 tank of gas.
Seriously.
And the gas mileage in my SUV is offensive.
It definitely is. But I also think that they are not pushing back the way that they used to.
No.
Fox News?
Fox used to be the rebels. And look, again, they're never going to be that again. They're never going
Can
to be
I
that
say
same way.
why
Rumble,
without
hold on. Rumble, those guys are the rebels.
Yeah.
They're the ones out there. What is it? What did your mentor say, Andrew Breitbart? Punk rock.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what they are. So Rumble, lean into that. Don't try to be friends with these people. Go in there and burn the damn thing down and put a nail in the coffin for us all so that we can just move on with
Well, and
our
that's what I
lives
love
and
about
have to
Rumble. They're
worry
not
about
trying to burn anything down, but they are what they are. And
That's what I
I
mean.
couldn't be happier to be partnered
You know
with them,
why? They don't
honestly.
have a woman as a CEO. Start there. I'm dead serious.
Chris is.
Well, you were
in
about to
fact,
say
a
something
man.
before that.
That was it.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Suzanne Scott and whoever the hell else.
Yeah.
And what are the kids?
Yeah,
It's not Murdoch's
Lachlan
kids.
Murdoch and
yeah, those two.
Yeah.
Where'd they go to frickin' Berkeley?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always have to be careful because
my manager Tommy's being interviewed on
I thought it was Vivek's brother.
I like gay with you.
By the way, we do have Jordan Peterson on the way.
He's on the way,
In just
yeah.
a minute, he'll be.
What's he in an Uber?
picked up
Let's
and
grab another chat.
All right, we got another chat here. It's a question for crew. How bad would Trump bulldoze Republican nominees if he had been at the debate?
Well, we talked about that. I think you have to imagine, okay, Donald Trump there put him next to Christie, put him next to Tim Scott, put him next to Vivek, put him next to Ron DeSantis, put him next to Nikki Haley. I think everyone comes out of there, like I said earlier on tonight, everyone comes out of that debate tonight worse off than they went in, with the exception of Vivek.
Right.
And I don't know. I guess
maybe
sort of. DeSantis. There's still a question mark. I don't think that DeSantis answered the questions that he needed to tonight. That's what I think is probably. And I'm not a political junkie, so I know other people have. Yeah.
But the way we were doing this tonight, we'd turn it down while they were answering stuff. We didn't.
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah, we
missed
missed
some
some
of the.
We missed some of it. Yeah, we missed
I'm
some of it.
just saying.
No, there were a lot of fat jokes.
Why is Johnny Carson come back to life? Right.
So what did you think of the debate?
Look,
Christie did
good stuff.
Good job.
Wild stuff. Wild stuff.
Weird, wild stuff.
Wild stuff.
Very good over there.
Christie hasn't seen his dick in about 45 years.
Let's ask the Zoomer.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because Chris Christie hasn't seen his Dick Cavett. All right, let's. We have Jordan.
we have him.
Oh, we have
I think
Doctor.
we got them.
Do we have him?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so right now, of course, we had Patrick Bet David. Like I said, if I were going to put my top 3 people out there kind of fighting the good fight in their shows, their podcast, Patrick Bet David would be there, and Dr. Jordan Peterson, who I believe we have on right now. Doc, can you see me? Can you hear me, sir?
Hey, Stephen, how are you doing, man?
I am doing well. Hold on a second. I'm trying to. Is that a jacket? That's almost like a Two-Face jacket.
It's from Don Cherry.
Quite the ensemble.
It's Don Cherry's coat.
Exactly. Well, I am a Canadian, you know,
Yes.
so it's necessary to have a suit like this.
And that's because
That's why
Doc
I said
Peterson in Rumble, you can't go out of bounds. So, Doc Peterson, what did you think? What was your take? And by the way, the best I think that you can just Google Jordan Peterson and find everything that he does. If I'm missing the most effective plug, he's so ubiquitous. Doc, what was your takeaway tonight on this debate?
Well, the first thing I thought was that I thought all of the candidates did a credible job. I thought it was actually a pretty strong playing field. I thought each of them hit some points home effectively. And then, I have opinions about each of the different candidates' performances. I thought Vivek Ramaswamy evoked the most positive and the most negative response from the audience.
Yep.
He's very charismatic, and so he can produce that extremely broad response from the audience. So the challenge for Vivek will be to learn how to minimize the negative consequences of his somewhat impulsive style, and to capitalize more on the attractiveness of his vision. I think, because I think when he does that, he's very strong. I think his use of insult in relationship to the other candidates didn't do him any particular good. I don't think it hit well. I think it turned them against him in a way that was somewhat counterproductive for him, but I also don't think that it sat well with the audience. I thought DeSantis, I'd give DeSantis a pretty solid B+ performance rating with very little variability. He was stable and credible the whole time. I thought that Mike Pence was quite statesmanlike, that Christie showed a fair bit of spine. I like the North Dakota governor. He looks like a credible guy. It doesn't look to me like he's in the race to the same degree as the rest of the candidates. I thought Nikki Haley scored the odd point. DeSantis was very strong on the southern border protection issue. So Tim Scott has a good sense of humor, although I thought that he played polite. I think he is polite, and I think he is a genuinely good person. But there was a kind of there's a harshness that might also be introduced into the realm that I don't think that he capitalized on. So
he needed a little more, Tim Scott. He needed to get in there, go after the puck a little more.
Yeah.
And I don't think he did.
Yeah. Well, and by the same token, he didn't make any mistakes that made it look like he was unfit for the job. And I actually think that was the case for all of the candidates. So I think as a showing on the Republican side, it was quite strong. It's a tricky debate for him with that many people talking, because it's very difficult to develop any ideas in any detail. So, that was challenging. I think it was unfortunate that Trump wasn't there. I think it's not good that both Biden and Trump have decided that they're not going to participate in these debates, because the debates are crucial. And I think participating in them is a show of strength and a show of respect. I mean, Trump made a brilliant move tonight, going to see Tucker Carlson instead at the same time.
Let me say one thing here. I slightly disagree, and let me explain sort of my premise here. I said this before the front end of these debates. Everyone's been talking about, and I agree with you, that for Donald Trump, strategically, right, it was a risk he didn't need to take. But I also think that everyone there tonight really should be thanking their lucky stars. The best thing that could have happened to them from a selfish perspective, right, as far as advancing, is Donald Trump not being there. Because every time I'm watching these people answer, with the exception of Vivek, DeSantis, certainly Pence, certainly Nikki Haley, certainly Christie, and I'm going, let me put them right next to Donald Trump. Every single one of them tonight would have left that debate far more bruised and battered if Donald Trump had been there. So it's almost a benevolent act.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We don't want to do damage to the Republican Party, right?
It might have been advantageous to these candidates for that to be the case. See, the playing field was a lot more level.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they can necessarily complain about the fact that he wasn't there. I think it's unfortunate on a broader level that he's foregone the debates. But, it's early in the campaign, and God only knows what's going to happen. I mean, the world's a very strange place at the moment, and no one has any idea what's going to happen between now and November.
Right.
I mean,
you're absolutely. Let me ask you this from a perspective of someone who obviously has literally run up against, I guess figuratively, but quite literally gone up against the Canadian government. Figuratively run up against them. Literally actually had to actively fight the Canadian government. The free speech issue is obviously something that's pivotal to you. There was just a new, I think it was a case or a ruling there in Canada. And I've always said that the United States is the greatest country in the world because it's the only country where freedom of speech exists. In your gut, but as someone, and I know that free speech is near and dear to your soul, watching that tonight, who would you have the most trust in as far as someone who would be a defender of freedom of speech? Because it's a pivotal issue. It extends to big tech and extends to media in general. And of course, that affects all of us. Did you have a gut feeling of this might be someone who will be in our corner?
That's a tough one, you know. I guess I would pick. This isn't a precise answer to your question, but I would have some faith in Pence, Christie, and Vivek.
Okay.
Probably. So there's 4, and DeSantis. You know, no, I think those people would fight for that for different reasons. I think Pence would fight for it because it's a right. I think Vivek would fight for it because he knows you can't think without free speech. I think DeSantis would fight for it. I think he would fight for it on principle as well. So that would be a more constitutional argument. Christie, I think, would fight for it because Christie's got a spine. He's a tough character, and I don't think he's the sort of person that would allow anyone to interfere with his free speech, you know. And so I'm pretty confident. You know, you don't know what temptations will beset someone when they obtain a substantive amount of power.
Right.
But I certainly have a lot more faith on the Republican side of the political distribution in relationship to protections for free speech than I do on the Democrat side.
Yeah,
I mean, look, we know Biden. We know, you know, I guess I take it personally to some degree, too, because I know absolutely perfectly well, because this was all revealed, that Biden told Facebook, for example, to preferentially promote the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal directly over the Daily Wire. And of course, I'm quite, you know, tightly associated with them. So I'm in that,
of course,
in that camp of reprehensible individuals.
Yes.
So,
isn't it funny for anyone to say, look, and I know, of course, you're going to have liberals who hate Jordan Peterson, but for anyone to put the words reprehensible and Jordan Peterson together, those are silly people. You can't say that, Doc, but I will. I think Gerald has a question for you.
And I know we have to wrap you in just a couple of minutes here. I know you've got some other things to do, but I just...
He's a busy man.
Yeah, Dr. Peterson, I agree with you on Vivek. I started to see the same thing. The audience didn't react the same way that I thought they would. But he was kind of a marked man going into this debate. Like, DeSantis needed to do some damage on him, but he's basically gobbling up all of his votes. So, is there another strategy he could have taken? Like, I think it was kind of nice to see him go on the offensive a little bit.
You mean, what, you did a different strategy for Vivek or for DeSantis?
For Vivek, basically going on the offensive and punching out a little bit first.
I think there were some things he could have done, and that would have been helpful. I think that Pence was quite markedly professional in his use of pauses. You know, he controlled the pace of the dialogue, and Vivek is quite impulsive and quick. And I think that highlights his youthfulness in a way that's not useful to him. I think that more explanation and less criticism would have worked better, again, and made him look more sagacious and more mature. I think he could have done that and in a manner that would have only be advantageous to him. And I also think that he could have highlighted his, as I said earlier, his concern for the disenfranchised working class, particularly on economic grounds. And I think that was a weakness in the entire field. They've left that field, they've left that part of the political domain for Trump, and that's not smart because that's really where Trump is strongest.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they maybe Vivek was smart to go into the immigration issue because that does tie in with the American working class, that's a big reason that Trump surged in 2016. And I don't think that Fox News was really doing a very good job of trying to at least lay up the issues for them where they would be strongest to answer. I mean, going into climate change and abortion. I don't know. I was a little disappointed, but I know that you have to wrap up. You're the belle of the ball tonight, Doc. Where's the best place for people to find you and support you because you're everywhere these days?
Well, I mean, people are certainly more than welcome to take a look at my books if they're inclined to do that. The place I'm most active is really on YouTube. That's the right place to follow me. That's where, I mean, apart from the books, obviously, that's where I'm, I suppose, at my best. I don't know if I'm on my best at my best on Twitter, for example, but
no one is.
It's entertaining.
And by the way,
necessary sneak pit.
You correct your dirty mouth. It's X, Doctor.
Yes, it's X. I'm sorry. That's right. That's right. I will get that right eventually.
Yeah. Right. None of us will. All right. So on YouTube and, of course, your books, everyone knows, I mean, it's one of the best-selling books that I can think of, certainly in the...
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, one thing.
His book, and I want to thank Dr. Peterson for his book. I was going through some tough stuff.
Yeah.
About 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a little bit of a mess of my marriage.
Yep.
And his book, basically, the gist of it was you got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And it really, one of the few books that ever had an impact on me. So I wanted to
Well,
thank you so much for that. And I live in Savannah, Georgia. I think you opened a center down there or something. Are you going to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, there's a new university down there, Ralston College, bricks and mortar institution, and I'm starting this Peterson Academy, which my daughter is running, and we're going to cut the cost of a university equivalent degree down to something approximating $4,000, which I think will be absolutely comical, and I think we can do it too. So,
well, Dr. Peterson,
thank you, sir. Radical proposal.
We run in different circles, but Nick, just in case you didn't know, Nick DiPaolo is the OG in comedy. He's probably one of the most respected joke writers and known as one of the meanest comics in the business. So if anyone were to tell you or tell anyone 12 years ago that Nick DiPaolo will be thanking Jordan Peterson for a book that tells him how to improve his character and moral fiber, they would have called you an absolutely insane person. So that shows the kind of people that you're able to reach and take some time. Nick DiPaolo, one of the funniest men, but an animal, a savage. Dr. Peterson, I know you're busy, so thanks for taking the time, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, man, it's really good to talk to you, and I'm very happy to hear that my book was helpful. I'm always very happy to hear that. That was the whole point of writing the damn thing.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
He really, really needs it. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. We appreciate it.
All right, so
that is insanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick DiPaolo.
I was like,
It's
what? He
really
told you
not.
to make your bed, Nick?
You see, you look at me and see a dumb Italian.
I didn't say dumb Italian.
You don't have to. Black guys are right about a lot of this stuff. Okay, I get pigeonholed. I'm serious. I get pigeonholed, and I get plenty of books at home. Whether it's Jordan Peterson, whether it was back the day Newt Gingrich, Pat Buchanan, even I was going to say Chomsky, but that would be a lie.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I just don't have. I'm not a pretentious asshole who has to show it like a lot of the people.
No, I just never know.
On the left.
I have to keep
Anyways.
the allure. But you know what? Nick DiPaolo is actually he's a kind man at heart.
I saw 5 minutes of him on YouTube one night and went, "Oh my God,
yeah,
this guy is absolutely brilliant."
We were really covering him with Bill C16 there in Canada before he had appeared on Rogan and before he had sort of broken. And I said, "Look, this is a guy who's really fighting the fight against the Canadian government as a professor." And I couldn't be more happy that he's done as well as he has. And he's just one of those guys. He just needs to get out in front of people. If you have heard the left describe Jordan Peterson, you'll think he's a monster. If you've heard Jordan Peterson in his own words, to know him is to love him. So
that's how it was with Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
that's all I heard was how evil he was, and I put it on, and I'm like, I haven't heard him say even close to a dark thing.
Well, that's the same thing that I had heard about you, and I tuned in and I said, well, I see the point.
Yeah,
but it's okay. We need all different kinds of warriors.
No, you're right. I do it for, you don't think Dr. Peterson would love to let it fly like I do some nights?
Well, I know he's a big fan of Trailer Park Boys, which means he does have a little bit of a dark side to him. And again,
awesome.
the promo code is Crowder GOP Debate, $10 off at louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub. And we're about to go. Do we have we're going
to have Don Jr. here in just a second.
Oh, great.
Should we go to MugClub or?
I mean, at some point.
I mean, we've been going for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Let's probably go to.
All right. So look, we're gonna have Donald Trump Jr.
Release some clips of Donald.
And we'll have some more clips with Donald Trump Jr. tomorrow. If you can't be, but look, if you're a freeloader, I understand. $7 a month is genuinely. I'm not just saying this. I get is tough for some people, but what you get twice the show, Louder with Crowder. You get Nick DiPaolo 4 times a week. You get Alex Jones and his full-length show, Deep Dives on Friday. You're gonna get Brian Callen, Hodge Twins. Get Mr. Guns and Gear. We're adding some new series every single week. And more importantly, none of this exists, period, without the support of you. Please do hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Head on. The best thing you can do is subscribe to Rumble. If you're on Rumble right now, tell them right there. You just click that button right there.
That one.
Boom.
Little one.
You join up MugClub. You go through that portal, and you can see what's live at any given moment in any given day. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. This has been Crowder GOP Debate. Nick DiPaolo at So-and-So Comedy Playhouse in Buffalo. Just go to nickdip.com.
Nickdip.com.
There it is.
The drinking game really did a number. And Rumble, thank you. YouTube, piss off.
All
Yes,
right.
please.
Donald Trump Jr., can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. How was it being there? I was there yesterday. I had to leave to get back here for the debate. I had to catch an ungodly early flight out of here. But I wish that I was there to sit in the room. What was your take on what was going on in the debate?
It was amazing. I mean, Trump won a debate without even having to be present. It was spectacular.
What I missed?
That's what I called yesterday.
He said Trump won the debate without being
I'm
there.
sorry, Don Jr. I did a half pee because out of respect for you, I cinched it up and now it burns, and then I hear everyone laughing. So I'm sorry. I don't know what I missed. What happened?
They asked me how I thought it went tonight. I said it was incredible. I mean, there's nothing like winning a debate without having to even show up.
Yes.
No, hold on. They didn't ask you. It was me, Don. It was me.
Well, he doesn't know.
I can't see the screen. Nothing's
That's okay.
showing up. I'm just seeing this. Are we on live now, or
Yes.
are we just talking?
No, we are always live. So careful with our comments about.
Well, listen, I saw Paolo on the screen there, and I just wanted to thank Nick because I think he's hilarious, but more importantly, he paid me one of the great compliments I've ever received. Actually, I was speaking somewhere. I think it was in Georgia one time. And
Savannah.
he showed up and he